In 2050, humanity enjoys a better life than ever before, thanks to the rapid development of science and technology. However, the sudden appearance of wormholes changed everything. People looked at their appearance and did not understand what it was. But at the most terrible moment, monsters emerged from them. Robot-like, one-eyed and with tentacles instead of a mouth. On the other side of the wormhole is another world. Unknown creatures have arrived from millions of light years to take over this planet. Human military weapons were completely ineffective against alien technology. People began to retreat while the cities burned to the ground. However, at this time, a cultivator appeared who gave hope to humanity. He gave the humans a brief moment of peace by changing the course of events and sending the aliens back into the wormhole. The art of cultivation has once again supplanted science and become the main subject of research. 50 years later, 3 guys stand over the prone man and think he is dead. The guy recovered and didn't understand what had happened to him. A scoundrel with a pipe pokes a lying man and asks him if he is dead. Suddenly, the guy grabbed the bully's hand, and he puts it on the ground with one movement and stands up. The trio watches this and is surprised that their opponent is already on his feet. The scoundrel tells Tang Ming that if they understood each other better, he would have simply given them money and not gotten hit on the head. One of them tells the other to stop talking nonsense and takes a swing at the main character. Tang Ming jumps back and dodges. The opponent is surprised by this. The protagonist turns around and goes on the counterattack and kicks him in the chest. The guy with red hair takes out a knife and asks why he is resisting. He thinks that Tang Ming just wants to die and rushes to attack. The main character dodges a knife strike. And throw your punch. Tang Ming hits the villain right in the nose. One of the hooligans notices this and calls him out, getting scared. The main character knocks out the bully's teeth with an elbow strike. The red-haired guy asks Tang Ming not to approach him. The main character comes up and asks him what year it is. He asks Tang Ming if he is stupid. The protagonist looks at his enemy with contempt. The guy with red hair gets scared and says that it is April of the year 2100. Tang Ming thinks about the year he was in high school, and he realizes that it seems he has been reborn. Because in 2120, the alien army attacked again, and there was a final battle. He didn't expect that aliens would also become cultivators and be able to break through the Saint Realm. The alien says that human beings are no match for them. He tells them to disappear and an explosion occurs. Tang Ming looks at this flash and horror can be seen in his eyes. A very powerful purple boom occurs. The action returns back to the situation with the villain. The bully asks Tan if he is okay. The main character asks him to disappear from his sight and never show up at the school again. The trio of hooligans run away in fear. Suddenly, Tang Ming asks them to stop, and asks if they want to return anything. Tang Ming didn't expect that Gao Hu would take away so much money in 1 year of high school. The protagonist was an orphan in his past life, and thanks to his determination, he became one of the leaders of the Cultivator Alliance. High school territory, nostalgia. No one now can imagine that in 20 years, aliens will strike again, and then all of humanity will perish. Tang Ming recalls the Kingdom of Saints, and he clenches his fist from this terrible memory. Since God gave him another chance, this time he will destroy all aliens. Early in the morning of the next day, the sun illuminates the school. Tang Min is covered in sweat and breathing heavily. He is sitting on the bed in the lotus position and exercising, with a yellow aura around him. Overnight, he learned all the basic abilities of the High School of Cultivation. He needs to return to his previous level. It's good that he remembers his past life. It will make it easier to break through the first level. After the first level, you will need to break through 9 gates, and then break through against many kingdoms. Although he breaks through faster than in his previous life, it will still be difficult to reach the Realm of Saints before the final battle. It looks like he'll have to train more. School, the wonderful time of adolescence. The crowd turns its attention to Wang Jin, a very beautiful girl who is supposed to be the school idol. She is a cultivator of the Wang family, who has passed the first level of high school. She is called to play while Tang Ming watches her under the tree. In her past life, high school student Wang Jin came from a family of Taoist cultivators, and was then considered an untouchable goddess by the hero. But this time it needs to be cultivated using the microton hardening method. The criminal cultivator fled to Guanren and met Wang Jin. After a long battle with him, she defeated him, and suffered greatly, gained great fame and received a serious injury. She runs after him with a sword and orders him to stand. Tiger Zhaohu asks her to let him go in exchange for gratitude. Wang Jin refuses because if she captures him, she can return to the Cultivator Alliance. His hands grow larger and redder, and he calls her ungrateful. She dodges the blow with an acrobatic stunt. The girl tries to strike with a katana, but gets caught in the enemy's fiery fist. Even though Wang Jin has excellent skills, it won't be easy for her to break his arms. He didn't expect that at such a young age she would be so strong and so beautiful. The enemy warns her that he will kill her now. Wang Jin unleashes a barrage of straight slashes with his katana and calls him a bastard. The protagonist looks at this and reasons that the girl's chi is not strong enough. As long as Zhao Hu protected the vital point, it would not be a problem for him to resist Wang Jin's sword. He grabs her katana and looks at her face. Wang Jin only wished for this, and her weapon was enveloped in blue energy. Unexpectedly, Zhao Hu takes control of the situation. The enemy has captured Wang Jin, and if she does not recover, her life will be in danger. Suddenly, Zhao Hu was hit on the back of the head by a stone. The main character thinks that if he can't break through the arms, he'll break through the skull, and jumps on his back. Zhao Hu anticipates this trick and turns around to strike. Tang Ming blocks this blow with clenched teeth. The main character tells the girl that he came here because he heard screams. Wang Jin explains that everything is fine and that he better leave here. Tang Ming tells her that he will stay and fight together, to which she replies that he is just an ordinary student. The protagonist explains that he is a cultivator who, in the face of death, goes to fight to save his comrades. Wang Jin is encouraged by these words and looks at the boy. At this time, their enemy attacks them, saying that they will not leave here alive. Wang Jin tells Tang Ming to buy himself some time and she will kill the enemy with one blow. The protagonist's fist collides with Zhao Hu's fist. The enemy points out that he is also a cultivator, but is he really a representative of only one of the 13 families? Tang Ming asks Zhao Hu if he would believe him if he said he was self-taught. They fight fist to fist and the opponent asks how he dares to deceive him. The protagonist invites him to look at the fiery hand coming out of his hand. Zhao Hu is surprised by this and does not believe that this is possible. The protagonist continues to hit him with his fiery fists, which are called tiger claws. The opponent admits that Tang Ming's skills are better than his. He asks the protagonist to stop, because there is no disagreement between them. To which Tang Ming says he is sorry, and Zhao Hu doesn't understand. Wang Jin says that it is already late, and draws his katana from its sheath. Zhao Hu understands that this is a blade release technique, and realizes that she is from the main family of the city. Her katana strike pierces her opponent's neck, and she says she does it. In order to become better, Zhao Hu also falls dead. The Wang family's secret technique is sword release, and only a few people of skill practice this skill. Wang Jin thanks Tang Ming, to which he tells her to be careful on the way back. The girl turns her head and asks what the main character's name is. He introduces himself as Tang Ming and thinks that even he can catch a big fish. She wonders why she didn't expect that there was another student in the school who was cultivating. Why she hadn't heard of him before. Guanzhen High School, students talk about Wang Jin's fight with the criminal. Tang Ming sits at his desk while someone tells him that she has finally found him. This is Wang Jin, and she didn't expect that he was only a sophomore. Next to her stands senior Xu Feng, second place in the school, a follower of Wang Jin. The main character pays attention to them and asks if they need something. She came to thank him because she couldn't have killed Zhao Hu without his help. The crowd was shocked by this news. The newspaper did not write that he also fought. Xu Feng looks at Tang Ming with disdain. He says that the protagonist's bravery is commendable. But he won't deny that Wang Jin is stronger and protected him. The crowd hears this and starts calling him a loser. Xu Feng explains to Tang Ming that it will be much safer if he doesn't hang out on the streets at night and offers to help him. The protagonist removes Xu Feng's hand from his shoulder and says that he can manage without his help. Xu Feng is shocked that this guy rejected him right in public. Wang Jin tells Tang Ming that if he needs help, he just needs to say so. She leaves the office and leaves the guys alone. Xu Feng tells Tang Ming that if he doesn't want to die, he needs to stay away from the girl. The main character looks away with disdain and does not react in any way. Midterm testing, next is Tang Ming. He passes the test and begins to create lightning between his hands. The crowd is shocked by this. They remember that it was he and Wang Jin who defeated that first-class cultivator. The girl understands that the main character is carefully hiding his power. Xu Feng looks at all this and becomes nervous. He asks his protege Gu Qian to fight him, to which he agrees. Having a high concentration of qi doesn't mean you have great strength, as long as you have the courage to fight me, his new opponent tells him. But if Tang Ming refuses, everyone will understand and won't say anything to him. The protagonist accepts the challenge, and the teacher tells him to be careful. Tang Ming takes a stance and tells his opponent to attack. Gu Qian starts the battle and charges with his fist. The teacher explains that he is very strong, to which the girl replies that he is no match for Tang Ming. The protagonist dodges and notices that his opponent is very slow. Gu Qian attacks Tang Ming, but he simply jumps above him in the air. He explains that qi must flow throughout the entire body, the dragon's spine, the confluence of the rivers and both hands. Didn't his teachers teach him this? Gu Qian loses his temper and becomes covered in a red aura, becoming like a bull. The teacher tells him that he has exceeded his limit and this blow may be his last. Gu Qian rushes madly towards the protagonist while he stands still. Tang Ming turns his leg as if he is preparing for something. He jumps and raises his leg to strike. And with all his might, he kicks Gu Qian on the head. The protagonist lands and tells his rival to rest for a couple of days and calm down. Gu Cheng's friends run up to him and ask if he is okay. The crowd and Xu Feng are discussing whether Tang Ming is really that strong. He explains that instead of sending others, it would be better for him to come and fight himself. Xu Feng agrees to the challenge, wondering where Tang Ming got his impudence from. Midterm testing, school grounds, the battle begins. Xu Feng hoped that Tang Ming wouldn't complain if he was injured. The teacher notes that this is a family technique that increases physical performance several times over. The school's martial arts are only at the basic level, so it's expected that Tang Ming will lose to Xu Feng. The opponent wants to use a drug that will make Tang Ming writhe in pain. His father owns the largest share of the pharmaceutical manufacturing business. Tang Ming says he knows his father's name. He is a second-rank cultivator. Xu Feng says that the protagonist could have stayed away from him and saved his life. Tang Ming sees similarities in the enemy's movements that were reported in the news during the war, and realizes that the traitor to Earth is Xu Feng's father, Xu Hai. The protagonist asks his opponent if he thinks he will win. Whether he believes it or not, even without special techniques, Tang Ming will defeat him. Xu Feng loses his temper and attacks the protagonist. Tang Ming catches his enemy in a mistake and knees him in the belly. He explains to him that by increasing his physical abilities, he does not increase his control, and thus his movements become much slower. Xu Feng gets angry and tells Tang Ming that he will kill him. The protagonist blocks the opponent's attacks and explains that his fighting skills are poorly developed. Fighting him is just stupid training and a waste of time. The protagonist unleashes a flurry of blows on his opponent and sends Xu Feng into free fall with a kick. A crowd and his friends gather around him, asking if he is okay. Tang Ming explains that Xu Feng is too weak, so it's no fun to fight him. The teacher asks the children to take the loser to the doctor and continue the test. Tang Ming hid a chi seed in Xu Feng's body, which would grow with training and then turn him into a useless creature. This will be a warning to him to be honest in the future. The teacher announces that the cultivator test is complete and asks everyone to go into the office to take the written test. He also says that Tang Ming will go to the test first, and that he should not forget to visit the director tomorrow. Wang Jin tells the protagonist that Xu Feng will report him and offers his help if necessary. The protagonist thanks her and says that he can handle it himself. The crowd discusses the tests, how difficult they were, and how many people failed. Everyone also looks at Wang Jin and is amazed by her beauty. Suddenly, one of the guards draws a blade from its sheath. Wang Jin notices this and blocks the blow with his bag. They shout to her that another villain is attacking from behind. She turns her attention to him and realizes that she left her blade in the dorm, but they still can't harm her. The girl dodges the blow that slips past her chest. She is surprised that the killers decided to attack the school despite the alliance. A crowd of students tells her they want to help, to which she says not to come closer, because they are not their rivals. She asks them to bring her blade, and the guys agree. Suddenly, Tang Ming rushes into the fight and says that he will help her. Wang Jin sees the enemy's attack and tries to dodge it. At this moment, Tang Ming throws out his elbow strike, and thus covers the girl's back. They divide the opponents in half and split the battle into two fronts. Tang Ming intercepts the opponent's knife strike. He understands that this grappling technique is only taught in high school martial arts courses. The crowd is surprised that the martial arts at the school are really that strong. Tang Ming believes that he must deal with his opponent as quickly as possible to avoid surprise attacks. Suddenly, his opponent throws out a hidden blade from his hand and throws it over his shoulder straight towards Tang Ming's head. At this time, Wang Jin dodges his enemy's attacks. She understands that her opponent has not said a single word, which means he is very dangerous. The girl sees a knife flying at her enemy from the other side. Tang Ming runs up to her and tells her to leave her rival to him. She is surprised by this, because he defeated his opponent so quickly. Wang Jin hadn't seen Tang Ming for several days, but his cultivation had increased significantly. The opponents have first-class martial arts skills. Tang Ming slams his palm onto the enemy's chest, causing an aura to appear underneath. The opponent coughs up blood from such force. Only a few days have passed, and Tang Ming's striking power is becoming more and more perfect. Wang Jin checks the fallen enemies and thinks that the protagonist has saved her twice already. She notices some kind of mark on the neck of one of her rivals. Tang Ming sees it and realizes that it is the mark of one of the 13 families, the mark of the Morongo family. Wang Jin hints to the protagonist not to interfere in family affairs. They see the crowd and notice that this is not a good place for conversation. The partners come to a place where there are cabins for treating serious injuries and forbidden stones. These stones restrain the fluctuations of spiritual energy and are also prohibited on the market. Tang Ming explains that he needs them to slow down the rate of regeneration to improve control. Wang Jin says that the theory of cellular refining is not well known and doubts that the protagonist can handle it. Tang Ming needs a female assistant to accompany him because he is concerned about outside influence. Wang Jin agrees to help because he saved her twice. The girl brought him to her family's hospital because the medical cabin was too big. She asks him not to worry because it is her family's hospital, and the security guard is nearby. The girl gives Tang Ming his stones. He thanks her and goes into the cell while she tells him that no one will disturb him. She's clicking something on the computer hologram, and a blue glow can be seen from the cabin. Tang Ming takes the lotus position, and energy begins to form around him. He needs to break the boundaries of his own body to release energy and prolong life. If he constantly mobilizes available resources, the path of cultivation will be at risk. Wang Jin watches Tang Ming through the glass and is worried. The red light comes on and something happens. The heartbeat has stopped. The body temperature is falling. No signs of life are detected. The girl doesn't understand what to do in this case. She notices that the glass in the cabin is starting to crack. The doors of the medical cabin open suddenly and smoke comes out. Tang Ming comes out of it and explains that the secret in this technique is in danger. Wang Jin hugs the protagonist and thanks God. She is embarrassed by what she did. The girl asks if everything is okay, because his heart stopped and she thought he died. Tang Ming explains that it's okay. This secret technique is too demanding. Wang Jin says that with each practice the strength increases, and that he could have died. And even the strongest cultivators would not have done such a thing. She asks him what he will do next, and he asks her to guess. The teacher is surprised that the couple wants to join the martial arts competition. The crowd is shocked that Tang Ming in 11th grade wants to go there. He has already made his decision, and Wang Jin says that he is already strong enough for it. The teacher says that he needs to coordinate this with the principal. Behind Tang Ming stands the same trio from the cultivator test. Xu Feng says that we need to beat the crap out of him so that he lies in bed for the rest of his life. The bald head asks Tang Ming if it is him. This is the director. He asks you to show him your abilities. He agrees and becomes covered in a blue aura. The director stands up and admires him, as his strength is different from other first-stage cultivators. Tang Ming asks if he will be allowed to participate in the competition now. The director agrees without any problem, because he now has another gifted student. Wang Jin says that she needs to think seriously about choosing a university. She is going to Hanhua. Tang Ming speculates that she will become one of the top 10 most talented fighters in the future. She asks him if he wants to go to the cultivation university, and at that moment someone approaches them. The scoundrel wants to consult with Tang Ming about taking part in the martial arts competition. The protagonist sends Wang Jin on her way and says that he will help them. The villains say that Tang Ming is smart, because they didn't want to beat him in front of everyone. Wang Jin looks at this and rejoices, because he will defeat everyone. Xu Feng is angry and expects his guys to make him an invalid. The school roof, which is surrounded by a fence. One of the bullies tells Tang Ming that he needs to be taught a lesson. The main character asks that they are not from this school, they were sent by Xu Feng. The big guy praises Tang Ming for understanding everything and says that all his bones will be broken, but he will remain alive. The three of them carry out a rat attack. Tang Ming just looks at all this and smiles. Plaintive cries of pain are heard from the roof of the school. Tang Ming walks away from the trio, who lie beaten on the floor. He shakes off the dust and moves on towards Wang Jin. The girl says that Xu Feng's father is very famous and has campaigns in both the political sphere and the military. She remembers that Xu Feng is the kind of person who will take revenge at any cost. And if Tang Ming needs help, the Wang family can help him. The protagonist asks if the Xu family's martial arts level is legendary. Xu Hai is an influential and rich man, but he is also a cultivator. How did he achieve such legendary skills? Isn't he worried that he can only keep the skills to himself for 10 years? Wang Jin doesn't understand and asks what he means. Tang Ming explains that it can't be that simple, that this man is just a link in the chain, and he wonders if he could have passed through the black hole into the city 10 years ago. Wang Jin asks if Tang Ming thinks Xu Hai is relying on aliens. The protagonist scratches his head and reasons that he might cooperate. In recent years, there have been many criminals who have come from another world and can disappear at the right moment. Tang Ming invites the girl to see where he spends his money. She agrees with him and the whole situation is like a web. Xu Hai Corporation in Guangzhen. A man with a ring on his finger asks if 3 people are needed. The client says that 1 first-class cultivator and 2 second-class ones are needed. Xu Hai says that the team must be led by a top-notch cultivator, who must stay as long as possible. The assistant says that Zhao Ho, a first-class cultivator, has died. Xu Hai asks if it was the Cultivator Alliance that did it or not, to which the assistant replies that it was Wang Jin and Tang Ming. The boss asks if Xu Feng has fallen in love with her. The assistant answers yes, and the boss exhales cigarette smoke. The boss demands that a man be sent to tell Xu Feng to stay away so as not to ruin the plans. The assistant agrees with the order, and the boss puts out his cigar. The boss is now walking on a knife edge, but the Xu family will still become the 14th best family in martial arts in one day. Wang Jin asks Tang Ming what to do now. The protagonist explains that if he does this 2 more times, he will become a first-class cultivator. And he digs in his pocket and says he has something for her. He stumbled upon a website for cultivators by chance, and handed her a notebook containing notes on sword and healing skills. The girl is glad that she has now found answers to her unresolved questions. She smiles and thanks Tang Ming for this help. The main character thanks her for having learned a lot from her. The girl gets embarrassed and asks to just call her Jin. Wang Jin also learned about Shu's company, that they have mountains of money, but they are not used anywhere. Tang Ming wants to be careful because he thinks there is someone behind Shu Hai. Wang Jin asks not to worry, because the Cultivator Alliance will take care of it. Tang Ming remarks that they are similar, but the girl replies that she cannot compare to him. Guangren National Martial Arts Stadium. The crowd watches the fight of Wang Jin, who has surpassed her teacher. She strikes with her sword, leaving a blue mark. And her weapon ends up at the teacher's neck. The girl passes with an A. Next up is number 7, from the Guanzhen school Tang Ming. The teacher says that it is enough to hold out for just 3 minutes. As soon as they say start, Tang Ming swings his fist. He lunges with his hand and blue energy appears near it. The teacher stands in a defensive stance and is shocked by what happened. It turns out that Tang Ming had already thrown the teacher out of the field. The teacher stands in shock and sweat pours from his face. He thinks this is some kind of joke. The crowd admires that he is very talented because he won with 1 move. He passed with a score of 5. People stand near the results board and discuss them. Tang Ming and Wang Jin ranked 1st and 2nd in the country in school. She notes that she trained him, but his results are higher. The girl asks him which university he wants to go to, and he answers Hanbei. Wang Jin explains that Hanbei is famous for theory, while Hanhua, wherever she wants, is famous for practice. Tang Ming advises him to come with him because in his previous life, Hanbei had discovered a breakthrough in the cultivator realm. He can't tell her this, but he assures her that she can trust him. She is shocked that he is not shy about using secret techniques. He definitely does not want a normal life. The girl believes him and goes with him to Hanbei. Xu Feng stands and watches them. They irritate him and he wants to surpass them. At the end of the day, he's still his father's favorite. He just needs his help. Guanzhen underground tunnels. Yao Ming tells Wang Changfeng that they should be careful because she wants to meet her younger brother. They walk in the door and shout police, put your guns on the floor. The guy notices a man in test tubes and is speechless. Yao Ming realizes that they are all criminals who have disappeared over the past couple of years. Changfeng wants to immediately inform the Alliance to arrest Shu Hai. The boss is in the hospital and looks at his son. He asks who did it and is told that no traces were found. Suddenly, police officers rush into the room and accuse him of experimenting on people. The boss's assistant tries to protest to the employees. The boss asks if it is because of them that his son is in this condition, and he smashes the policeman's head into the wall with his hand. The remaining officers demand that they stop and not resist arrest. The boss's clothes begin to tear, and he says that at his level they won't be able to handle him, and killing them will be fun. The staff are shocked that it is a 4th-class cultivator and try to run away. A bright red flash occurs. The boss picks up a paper next to the dead employees, and he understands that these 2 rats have exposed him. He cannot allow his son to fall into the hands of the Alliance, so he kills him. A bright red flash occurs near Xu Feng. A policeman comes into the room and looks at the situation. He sadly notes that everyone is killed. Yao Ming remarks that Shu Hai probably escaped through the window. She wants to warn the Alliance so they don't let him escape. Yao Ming sees Wang Jin and his brother Tang Ming in the fallen leaf. The fast train rushes to Hanhua. Tang Ming tells Wang Jin that he didn't expect that she actually wanted to enroll with him. She explains that she is not against it, and that her family has given their consent. People see police officers and wonder why they are here. Yao Ming flies into the carriage and notices Tang Ming. She hugs her little brother and is happy for him. Wang Jin is jealous of her and thought that Tang was an only child. Yao's partner approaches Yao's brother and says that they are currently on a mission. He explains that Shu Hai is connected to aliens and sent 3rd-class cultivators to him, but they all died. Something strange is happening to the train. It is shaking. People run from the next carriage and shout that there is a terrorist there. Yao is told to evacuate the passengers, and she does so. Tang Ming is waiting for this terrorist to come to them. This man enters the carriage, enveloped in red energy. He says that 10 years turned to dust in an instant. His own son was killed in cold blood by himself and asks how they want to die. Tang Ming covers Wang Jin with his hand. She sees this and becomes embarrassed. The police officer suggests that they disperse peacefully and simply detain him without a fight. Shu Hai explains that he will only be satisfied when the 2 die. The police officer demands that Wang Jin and Tang Ming run away. The protagonist explains that they have enough power to defeat him. Wang Jin's secret sword technique has become better recently, and it can injure him. The police officer agrees, but asks them to be careful. He says let's start and goes on the attack. Shu Hai becomes furious and tells them to line up. Changfeng lunges with his sword, and wounds Shu Hai in the elbow. He is surprised that they brought the Imperial sword on the mission. He gets hit with another attack on the shoulder. Imperial swords are rare, meaning that the Wang family values Changfeng highly. Tang Ming misses with his projectiles while Yao Ming launches an attack. The police officer puts two fingers together and says the word Linu. Shu Hai is shocked by this because it is a spirit technique. Chang Feng attacks him. This is a great opportunity. The terrorist was wounded in the shoulder. He decides to kill the girl with the spirit technique first, because the others pose no danger to him. She dodges the attack and the ling happens again. Shu Hai shudders in pain again. Chang Feng notes that the enemy is exhausted and therefore cannot use his powers. Shu Hai smiles because they want to kill him. He becomes completely enraged and rips his clothes off his torso. Yao Ming is thrown back by the blast wave. Chang Feng is also affected. He is surprised by the explosive technique the enemy deliberately pretended to be tired. Shu Hai explains that he used air to protect his injured heart. He had 2 hours left, but that would be enough to kill them. He attacks Tang Ming, who stands there without moving. The train rushes along while the battle inside continues. Tang Ming blocks the blow and realizes that even he can kill such a wounded opponent. He clenches his fist and counterattacks. It falls exactly on the side of Shu Hai's stomach. It's difficult for Tang Ming. It's not for nothing that the terrorist is a martial arts master with a hardened body. Shu Hai demands that he not waste his strength and just die, and hits him with his knee. He grabs Tang Ming's arm, which blocked the previous strike. Shu Hai says that he will tear off his arm first. The wounded Yao Ming watches this and screams. Wang Jin joins the fight and says that Shu Hai will die if he touches Tang Ming, and she draws her sword from its sheath. Shu Hai notices this and looks over his left shoulder. Chang Feng notices that Jin is in a hurry. She won't succeed if she picks the wrong moment. Tang Ming pronounces Ling. Yao Ming is surprised that her brother used her spirit technique. Shu Hai screams in pain from this and freezes. Wang Jin cuts his opponent's forearm with his blade. She places her hand on the floor, and she gets upset because Shu Hai blocked her attack. She falls to her knees next to him. Shu Hai says that if anyone escapes, he will kill everyone on the train. Wang Jin doesn't believe this and says it's nonsense. Shu Hai laughs and says that it turns out that everyone will die today. Chang Feng says that China helped him become a cultivator, but he dared to work with aliens. Shu Hai explains that they made him this way. The state led him to certain death, but the aliens made him rich, and he became 10 years younger. He resigned himself to the death of humanity if aliens landed on Earth. Tang Ming says that humanity will not perish, and he will personally kill all aliens. Shu Hai points out that this is a good joke, since aliens have already begun to study humans and cultivation. Tang Ming is not surprised that the aliens have mastered the secret of cultivation so quickly. Chang Feng asks Shu Hai who else is helping the aliens, to which he replies that they have no other choice but to die. Tang Ming says that he will not die and will do everything to stop him. Shu Hai reaches into the protagonist's head and tells him to die. Yao Ming tells his brother to run. He simply defends himself from the blow and slides back. Yao Ming is shocked that her brother was able to block the blow, and he doesn't understand how this is possible, but Tan is already jumping behind Shu Hai's back. The main character dodges a blow that flies into the wall, and Tang Ming hits the terrorist in the belly with his palm. Chang Feng notes that her brother uses normal attacks, but his strength is much greater. He relies on his vision. He finds weak spots in Shu Hai's movements. His abilities were far superior to Yao Ming and Wang Jin, so why hadn't he heard his name before? He landed several strong blows, but Shu Hai doesn't care if there is something they can't see. The terrorist laughs at the fact that he doesn't care about the blows, and will simply exhaust his opponents to death. He tells Tang Ming not to waste his energy because he has no chance. The main character stands and breathes heavily. Shu Hai asks if he has realized the difference between them and has decided to give up. He notices that his body is numb and he cannot move. Shu Hai asks what Tang Ming did to him. He explains that he knows there are points that, if hit, will seriously injure a person. Shu Hai says that this is impossible because cultivators temper their bodies. Tang Ming explains that they are located in the internal organs. Shu Hai repeats after the main character in shock. His skin and flesh are like steel, but his internal organs are no different from normal ones, says Tang Ming. Beginner cultivators don't really have these techniques, but they are very useful. Shu Hai is surprised that he was able to use body techniques, because they belong to the Fang family. Tang Ming explains that this is an acupuncture method that can be used to injure vital points and organs, and tells him to die in peace. Shu Hai falls down dead and can't believe that he was defeated by the little one. Tang Ming asks Wang Jin if she is okay. She replies that she is fine and thanks him. Tang Ming blushes at such beautiful breasts and helps her up. Chang Feng notes that Yao Ming's brother possesses all the rudiments of a cultivator. Yao Ming agrees. How could his brother be an ordinary person? She asks to help her quickly, because she will always have time to flirt. Tang Ming asks his sister not to talk nonsense. Chang Feng recalls that the families had already made a marriage agreement, but in gratitude for saving his life, he will help Tang Ming if necessary. Hanbai railway station. The sister says no one expected her brother to rank first in the country on the exam. He asks Yao not to worry about him when he goes to university. Changfeng asks Wang Jin not to go any further in her relationship with Tang Ming. She must remember that her parents have already entered into a marriage contract. The girl gets upset and replies that she knows. Changfeng sees off an upset Wang Jin at the station with a suitcase. In front of Hanbei Station, reception of Hanbei University. The university student is responsible for admitting new students. He sees Tang Ming and Wang Jin in front of him. They introduce themselves to him by their names. The student in the admissions office looks at them in shock. People notice this couple and remark that they are number 1 and number 2 in the country. The crowd immediately starts to roll up to Wang Jin. Tang Ming asks the girl if they are too famous for freshmen. At the same time, on the other side, the girl is happy that she has come to Hanbei. This is Fan Xiaoying, 3rd place in martial arts. She ran away from her grandfather and escaped his control. Fan runs up to the admissions office and says that she is a freshman. Everyone stands near Tang Ming and Wang Jin and looks after them. Fan understands that these two are 1st and 2nd place in the exam. So what if it's a good grade? Isn't it only after a real fight that one can judge skills? She continues. She wants to take 1st place among freshmen. Tang Ming asks if that girl is Fan by any chance, and the committee replies yes, she is 3rd after the two of them. In the future, her father became the first person to go beyond the limits of physical possibility. Wang Jin says that she is very strong and can reach 1st grade without any problem. If Tan and Jin hadn't come, Fan would have become the best newcomer. Students are congratulated on their acceptance into their new home, where they will live for 4 years. This university truly deserves to be called one of the best. The first cultivator course program was organized here. Little Fan calls Tang Ming to fight him. He agrees to her challenge. People want to bet on the strongest freshman to win. The crowd is surprised by such a challenge to a fight. It turns out that Fan enjoys having so much attention on her. Wang Jin comes out from behind Tang Ming and wants to fight her herself. The main character says it's okay. He wants to put her in her place. Fan notes that it was she who wanted to say these words. The student tells Tang Ming that he will find a free arena, to which he replies that this place will do. The organizer asks the crowd to make room for the battle. Tang Ming and Fan stand opposite each other. She wants to agree that if she wins, he shouldn't cry. Tang Ming just remains silent and smiles. She takes a stand and remarks that if she loses, she will not stay in Hanbei. The crowd is shocked that she is only 12 and so strong. She can actually destroy him in 10 hits. Fan wants to deal with him quickly so they can see how strong she is. Tang Ming dodges the girl's attack. She notices that the guy is acting like a fool and needs to be more serious. Tang Ming just keeps smiling and dodging the blows. Fan is confused and surprised that he dodged again. The crowd discusses the girl's technique. Zin says that she is no match for him. Fan attacks from above, while Tang Ming defends. The crowd is amazed by the girl's techniques. They call her a genius. She hid her fist behind her, which glowed with blue energy. Tang Ming notes that there is 1 blow left. She replies that she will put all her remaining strength into him. And she makes a sharp lunge, her fist blazing with red fire. Tang Ming decides that he must strike too. Their fists collide and there is a white flash. The two fists dispersed each other's energy. Fan doesn't believe it. It was her hardest blow. Tang Ming explains that he used the power of vibration to repel the fire fist. He withstood her strongest blow. She admits that she cannot defeat him. Tang Ming tells her that he can teach her this technique. She kneels before him and says that from now on, he will be her older brother. And he says that one cannot transfer knowledge to someone with whom one does not have a close relationship. Wang Jin congratulates this little freeloader. The 3 of them walk to the dorm, and Fan says that the staff has already delivered the luggage. Tang Ming thanks her and she replies that it is not necessary. Wang Jin remarks that Fan is nicer without her arrogance, to which the protagonist remarks that she is the same. She retorts how she can be arrogant with someone who is so much more talented than her. He just smiles and they move on. Fan says that the dorm for guys is on the right, and for girls on the left. Wang Jin asks Tang Ming to go to bed early, and Fang asks him to report any problems. Tan reflects that with such a younger sister, he won't have to worry about anything except cultivation. It's time to meet the neighbors. He pokes the button in the elevator, and he goes into his room. He has 2 neighbors, Heyan and Zhaolian. Tang Ming also introduces himself to them. They are surprised because he took 1st place in the exam. 2 guys look at each other and are at a loss for words. There's another guy living with them, Xiao Fei, a cheerful, chubby guy. Tang Ming extends his hand to him. He takes it and shakes the entire main character because he is excited. Tang Ming thinks that with such a cheerful guy there will be no time to get bored. The next morning, the first-year students gather in the square. Everyone pays attention to the 1st and 2nd place in the exam. Tang Ming's roommates feel very cool, but they don't see the chubby guy. And he finds himself next to Wang Jin and asks if she is the main character's bride. Tang Ming becomes embarrassed and the girl blushes. Pukliash says they are perfect for each other. Fan is jealous of Wang Jin towards his little brother. The man at the microphone takes a deep breath, and he shouts the word silence into the microphone. Everyone starts covering their ears except Wang Jin and Tang Ming. There is a guy in a mask, a busty girl and an old man standing. There is a man in a suit, a guy in a coat and a man in a kimono standing. Tang Ming thinks they were being intimidated. They are told that they are all cultivators who will contribute to the development of the country. It turns out that those 6 are teachers, and they are surprised that the first 3 places went to their university. Yue Shan wants to test the abilities of the freshmen. He was warned about the pressure being too strong and decided to use half his strength. He spreads his energy throughout the stadium. Tang Ming remembers that this is a 7th grade cultivator. His suppression power is strong, and the sword of the Wang family would rather break than bend under someone's force. And Fan's strength is equal to 1,000% of her grandfather's strength. Yue Shan is surprised that they got 3 cultivation geniuses at once. The teachers discuss which of them deserves to take them into their classes. Yue Shan bursts in and says that they will learn from him. The others point at him, saying that several students have already dropped out because of this. Hua Fengyan stands and listens to these conversations, feeling very awkward. And he thinks that as long as there is at least 1 student, research funding will not stop. Tang Ming looks at all this and takes a closer look. Yue Shan asks the boys if their legs have given out. They are so weak. Maybe you should bring chairs so they can hear him out. He begins to warm them up with words about the death of his partners and how weak they are. Some guys think they didn't come here to fight. Yue Shan says that being a cultivator without self-sacrifice is the same as being nobody. And if they don't fight, he will force them to. From this moment on, students must fight each other, with the loser receiving 1 point. Another teacher says that this is not possible, but Yue Shan will take care of everything. And if someone defeats one of the 3, they will receive all 100 points. Points give the opportunity to obtain medicines, weapons, and equipment. One guy tries to get his katana out with an awkward movement. Another one takes him by the scabbard and says that if he gets 100 points but defeats the rich kid, he will not be able to live a normal life, and suggests that he wait for a convenient moment. No matter how strong Tang Ming was, he wouldn't be able to deal with the crowd. The protagonist's classmates are on his side. Tang Ming tells Wang Jin that her help is not needed yet. He tells Fan that he will show her how to use the spiral and thunder technique. Blue energy begins to gather in his hands. He stands up and says, "Let's go." Hanbei University site. Tang Ming tells you not to stand in his way if you are not strong enough. 2 people attack him for 100 points. Tang Min puts one of them on the floor, and he crushes it, also dodging the second one's katana blow. The guy with the katana is happy that he has 100 points in his pocket, but Tang Ming blocks his punch with his fist. The guy is shocked that the main character was able to parry the blow. Moreover, the katana cracks under such force, and it falls apart, and the guy flies with a piece of the weapon in his hand. The girls stand and rejoice, watching this spectacle. 2 students are rushing towards Tang Ming again. Yue Shan admires the protagonist's courage. There are few like him left now. A whole crowd attacked Tang Ming. A brawl ensued, and dust rose to the sky. Yue Shan asks how long he can withstand the attacks. Tang Ming scatters everyone. He has 61 students to his credit. Another one with a knife jumps behind him. But Tang Ming anticipates this and kicks him in the belly. 62nd. Yue Shan is shocked that this student can withstand a whole 100 students. He literally holds off 1 siege. Students fall and hit the floor. Tang Ming thinks that's enough, because there's no need to escalate the situation between his classmates. The whole crowd runs towards him because they think he has run out of strength. Tang Ming punched the ground, causing a wave to emanate from it. He says that if they are not afraid of death, then let them come. The crowd watches as Tang Ming's fist creates a crater. She stopped and thought that this guy was at least 2nd class. Yue Shan says that the battle is over and asks everyone to stop. He also praises Tang Ming and asks him which teacher he wants to choose. The other teachers are amazed at his impudence. Tang Ming understands that Wang wants him to make a choice. He chooses Hua Feng as his mentor. All teachers are surprised by this choice. This beautiful woman feels very awkward. Tang Ming confirms his choice. Yue Shan asks the hero again. Maybe he misspoke. Tang Ming replies that he studied information about the teachers and chose his own. Wang Jin and Fang also follow him in choosing Hua Fei. Yue Shan does not agree with this and protests. One of the teachers tells him that students have the right to choose their own mentors, to which he replies that he wants to protect them from making the wrong choice. Tang Ming promises that they will all reach 2nd grade by the end of the semester, to which Yue Shan replies that this is impossible. Tang Ming explains that anything is possible, and if anything happens, they will come under his control. The teacher asks Yue Shan what he thinks about this. He replies that let everything be as they wish. Feng Yan has been daydreaming all this time, and she is being asked the same thing. She is asked again whether she agrees to accept these students. She nods many times and says she agrees. Feng Yan also learns that her research budget will not be cut, and she is very happy about this. She believes that she will succeed. And now everyone else can choose their mentors. Hanbai Research Office. Feng Yan says that any questions that arise should be asked to her. Tang Ming asks her to tell them about her research on cultivation theory. She agrees and opens her notes. Cultivation in China generally follows the path of ancient cultivators. Cultivators from the 1st to the 4th class harden their skin, muscles, and bones. Cultivators from the 5th to the 7th grade temper their bone marrow, organs, and blood. Cultivators must constantly practice martial arts. There are 2 types, heavenly and yellow. The secrets of advanced techniques are forbidden to be passed on to do so. You must either be at a university or in an influential family. The Wang sword technique is passed down only within the family, and it can kill opponents stronger than the wielders of these techniques. The Fan family has a combination of human and internal energy. In addition, there are many secret techniques that will be described in university textbooks. Tang Ming says that these are basic theories and a teacher should not study them. She thinks carefully about what he said, and she says that the goal of her research is to open a new level, after the 9th grade. Tang Ming stands satisfied, while Fan and Jin are shocked by such words. Van understands why the protagonist came here and chose such a teacher. Fan repeats, "Go beyond the 9th grade cultivation." Feng Yan explains that this is just a personal theory, and it is very crude. And in fact, everyone laughs at her because she spends time on research instead of improving her power. Tang Ming supports her and tells her not to worry about it. He tells her that perhaps the wormholes are connected to the Earth's energy limitations. But now that the worlds are closely connected, the limitation may become weaker. Tang Ming agrees with this, and all modern cultivators have steel bodies. Wang Jin notes that the theory of spirit is very vague and unclear, so few people practice it. The teacher exclaims that perhaps there is a way of spiritual cultivation that does not correspond to the classical one. But then why wasn't this type of exercise passed down from generation to generation? Tang Ming speculates that it could have been transmitted by word of mouth rather than paper. The teacher agrees with him and says that there is definitely sense in what he says. She begins to write down that spirit and body, spirit and matter are opposite to each other and complement each other. Some martial arts were involved in mental attacks. Tang Ming calls the girls so as not to disturb the teacher. He remembers that in her previous life, Hua Fengyan discovered a spiritual technique, but now she will do it even earlier. Wang Jin asks Tang Ming what kind of fuss there will be if it is opened, to which he replies that this is just his assumption. The girls say their families will support their teacher's research. Tang Ming feels that her theory will be correct, and they will study in this direction. While Wang Jin was telling him something, someone approached her from behind. She turns around to see this stranger. An acquaintance, Mu Zhongxing, approached her. She asks him why he came here. Tang Ming recognizes this guy. His father was a genius, and after his father's death, the son was sent to Hanbei, which was average by their standards. Mu Zhong says he came to greet them with his deputy. Wang Jin says that they have already greeted each other and can go. Mu Zhong says not to be so indifferent and asks to get along well with him. Wang Jin has a strong prejudice against the Mu Zhong family. He didn't expect that 2 first-class cultivators couldn't kill her. She guesses that he is the one who sent the assassins. He just smiles and looks at her, and Tang Ming stands and sees him as his enemy. Mu Zhong just wanted to say hello and thinks they will get along at university. He approaches Tang Ming and asks if it was the 2 of them who killed those assassins. Wang Jin tells Xing not to stand in the protagonist's way and asks him to leave everything in the past. He starts yelling at her and tells her to shut up. The situation is escalating. Sign explains that because of the damage to the Wang family, he has changed. He asks his protege Zhao Xiong to teach them a lesson. The assistant tells the master not to worry, and that after his blow, Tang Ming will feel bad. Wang Jin asks Mu Zhong how he dared. He takes her by the hands and says that the administration will not do anything to him. Someone flew past them very quickly. Mu Zhongxing turns around to see who it was. His henchman appears there, pinned to the wall. Tang Ming told Mu Rongxing that he had struck with all his might. Sin looks at this little one and thinks something. Zhao Xiong starts yelling at Tang Ming, and Murong tells him to shut up. Sin offers the protagonist to cooperate. Tang Ming says he is not used to groveling. He gets angry and says that let it be so. Mu Zhongxing wants to find a way to get rid of him and Jin. Tang Ming is interested in engaging him in a mortal combat in a month. Mu Zhongxing stops abruptly. Wang Jin exclaims. Then Tang Ming calms her down and says that he has a plan. The protagonist guesses that Mu Zhongxing wants to get rid of him as his main rival. He is surprised by Tang Ming's self-confidence. Girls want to participate too. Tang Ming asks Mu Zhong whether he accepts the offer or not. Sin accepts the offer, planning something. He leaves and wishes the heroes not to regret it. Wang Jin tells Tang Ming that he shouldn't have been so impulsive. He tells Xiao Ying that he will be cooking them starting next week. She asks him to tell her what his strength is. He replies that he hasn't gone to the alliance trials yet. Tang Ming is going to go to the exchange office and exchange points for combat equipment, and asks her girlfriends. They answer that they are going with him. Hanbei University exchange office. They are met by the manager of this place. Grandpa thinks the kids want to exchange a couple of points, but they take out their smartphones. and Tang Ming shows that he has 137 points. Grandfather says that the hero has access to only yellow-level techniques, and earthly techniques are only available to third-year students. He offers to buy exercises for Tang Ming, to which he replies that he will only buy them in his third year. The main character chose 3 techniques to purchase. Grandfather recommends buying one and upgrading it rather than dispersing power into 3 at once. He doesn't want to watch a young talent bury itself. Tang Ming shows the master the Tiger Claw technique. The grandfather sees her and understands that this technique has been brought to an ideal level. Tang Ming explains that he learned it in 2 months. Grandfather says that there are 4 levels of techniques: ordinary, lower, higher, and true, and his Tiger Claw technique is comparable to 10 years of training. He offers to show Tang Ming the technique, and if he learns it at least halfway, he will not distract him. The protagonist agrees to this and asks to show her. Grandfather demonstrates the technique of intercepted palm. It is considered excellent in the yellow level. The old man puts his hand in front of him. He rises into the air and blue arrows fly from his hand to the floor. They destroy the floor and leave a big hole behind. Grandfather asks Tang Ming if he has learned it, but he is lost in thought, and he shows the old man his hand, in which 3 arrows are swirling like a whirlwind. Grandfather is shocked by this and says that Tang Ming is talented. The main character thanked the old man for his help and purchase. A month later, the training hall of Hanbei University. Xiaoying attacks Wang Jin. She blocks the blow with her sword, and he understands that it was an earthquake technique. Xiaoying says he can repeat this move, but she uses a spiral technique, and Jin's blade is knocked out of his hands. It falls to the floor with an iron sound. Xiaoying is happy that she has mastered the earthquake technique and the spiral technique. Jin admits that her strength has grown, but she has forgotten about her sword technique, and Xiaoying's clothes are torn all over her body. She sits on the floor and covers the bare parts of her body. Jin gives her a towel and tells her to dry herself off, and reminds her that in a real battle, it's not just clothes that can get damaged. She remembers Tang Ming and realizes that she doesn't even know how he's doing. A quiet place outside the university. Tang Ming realized that his cultivation base had been upgraded to the 2nd grade. He finishes training and leaves, leaving marks of impact on the rock. The university gathered for the battle between Tang Ming and Muzhong. Xin shows his uncle the main character and says that he is strong. Yuan says that Xing wants to kill him in the ring, but he is afraid that Yueshan will stop him. Uncle understands that Tang Ming must die, and he doesn't care about Jin. But the murder cannot be committed in front of so many people. You can send a bomber after Van and disguise it as a terrorist attack, but the assassination orders should not be obvious. Uncle reminds Sin that his father died and left his son in his care. Chubby gives Tang Ming a massage, saying that his massage technique is a family secret technique. He also booked a table at a restaurant to celebrate the victory after the battle. Tang Ming's classmates take the chubby guy aside. Little Fan thinks her position as #1 sister is in danger. Teacher Hua is worried, but Tang Ming reassures her and says that they are all waiting for her breakthrough theory. The protagonist looks towards his opponent, and he sees Murong Yuan next to him. One of the heads of the Muzhong family reached the 7th grade before the age of 30, but then was stuck in that grade for 10 years and was unable to reach the 8th. Wang Jin says that the Wang family and the Muzhong family started quarreling about 10 years ago. Both families closed the wormhole, and only Uncle Wang Yan remained alive, to which the Muzhong family thought that it was his fault and demanded punishment. She doesn't know why they are feuding just because of a name, but perhaps they had personal scores to settle. In the past life, the Muzhong family's territory was constantly attacked, but there were no corpses. Their family is not that simple. Yueshan says that the Ring of Life and Death is protected by the Alliance. After this battle, there can be no retribution, otherwise they will be held accountable. In the first fight, Xiaoying faces Zhao Xiong, and Tang Ming advises against getting into trouble. Yueshan says that he has the best yellow-level techniques and asks the girl to be careful, and he notes that they really have problems, and if she loses, she should give up quickly so as not to die. Tang Ming thanks him for his concern, but assures him that everything will be fine. Yueshan doesn't believe that they are equal to Murong Xing. Tang Ming only remains silent and smiles in response. The crowd looks at Xiaoxing and Xiong. They want the guy to be more gentle with the girl. He is happy that if he defeats her, he will be officially accepted into the family. Xiong suggests that the girl surrender immediately, to which she sends blue energy down her hand. Yueshan announces the start of the battle. The crowd is amazed by Xiaoxing's internal energy, which is at the 2nd class level. She is angry that Zhao Xiong looks down on her. She lunges at him with a fist, and against this background his hand seems enormous. It lands in his palm and it starts to smoke. Xiaoxing unleashes a flurry of punches at Zhao Xiong. Yueshan thinks that Xiaoying's technique is very powerful, and she puts a lot of energy into it. Xiong is surprised that the girl is becoming arrogant and taking on too much. She makes fun of him because he is a 3rd-year student and bullies those younger than him. Xiong becomes furious and angry, and a red aura appears on him, similar to a bear. Yellow-level martial arts temporarily increases the destructive power of the palm. He slams it onto the ground, creating a wave, and Xiaoying simply jumps away from it. His enraged bear technique is very dangerous. With a high level of martial arts, the girl may be in danger. Wang Jin points out that the trump card Tang Ming taught her is useless. Xiaoying jumps around the battlefield and says that the big stupid bear won't defeat her. Zhao Xiong slams the bear into the ground. He waits for her to dodge, but the girl has something in mind. She uses the fire fist technique. The girl herself is thrown back by the force of the blow. She mocks the bear, asking if it was too much. He thinks that despite her second class, she can still damage him. Xiong says that this small blow did not harm him, and they exchange fists of fire and fists of a bear. Xiong accidentally tears the girl's dress, to which she tells the stupid bear that she is angry, because this is her favorite dress, and she uses some strange technique. Xiong is amazed at how the momentum from the blow can increase in an instant. Xiaoying uses a wide-range double fire fist. Xiong doesn't understand what's happening to his breathing and he can't move. Something is happening to his heart. The girl asks the enemy not to move, because she has one more trick, and she sends him flying free with a two-fisted punch. The enemy falls dead. The whole crowd rejoices, and the girl is also happy that she won. Tang Ming tells her that the battle is not over yet. Suddenly a bear stands up from behind Xiaoying. She turns around and a shadow falls across her face. Xiong tries to hit the girl from behind with his huge hands. Tang Ming shouts across the battlefield that they surrender, and Yue Shan stops Xiong with his body, protecting Xiaoying. He announces that the girl has surrendered and Zhao Xiong has won the first battle. The crowd is outraged because a man attacked a girl from behind. In the next battle, Song Lu will test Wang Jin's strength. Xiaoying's friends support her, saying that she has performed well against a third-class cultivator. The girl burst into tears and rushed to hug Tang Ming. He feels awkward and tells her to be more careful next time, while Wang Jin wonders when they became so close. The chubby one in the crowd shouts that Tang Ming is cool. He has two girlfriends at the same time. The protagonist catches Van's gaze. Jin and Song Lu enter the battlefield. Song Lu notes that her rival is known as the reincarnation of the Sword Fairy. Wang Jin replies that she is in a bad mood and will not argue with the opponent. She says that there are too many words and rushes to attack Song Lu with her sword. Uncle Muzhong remarks that with such strength, Wang Jin will become a threat to the Muzhong family in a few years. It is said that Wang Jin was born with this sword technique, but it turns out that any other normal weapon can be used to create this technique. Song Lu strikes back with his blade. In the end, they didn't damage each other and simply exchanged attacks. Wang Jin's hand trembles because she needs to put in more effort to block her blows. She asks her opponent if she wants to continue. Song Lu tells her not to feel sorry for her and to hit her with all her strength, and he gets into his fighting stance. Wang Jin says that she is a swordmaster and will now demonstrate it to her, and they disappeared from the place where they were. Song Lu is shocked by this. She can't believe that she just disappeared. She realizes that Wang Jin is on top. The Wang family master attacks her with his blade downwards. In response to this, Song Lu attacks her with his sword upwards. A huge shockwave occurs and the battlefield is covered in smoke. Yeshan thinks that both girls are good, and together they can kill a third-class cultivator. But unfortunately for Song Lu, Wang Jin is too strong as a swordmaster. The defeated woman looks at him with a blank look and understands that she is lost. Yueshan watches the crowd cheer and says that the girl is worthy of being the heir of the Wang family. The sword tore the clothes, but did not harm the body. The girl's talent is the brightest among the young generation. Xiaoxing didn't know that Jin was so strong, and thinks that she wouldn't kill her for hugging her little brother. Wang approaches Tang Ming and says that Mu Zhongxing is very strong and should not be underestimated. He smiles in response and asks her not to worry. Xing praises Tang Ming because he did not run away and his courage is commendable. The main character raised his head and looked at Muzhong. He says that if Tang Ming joins his family, he will not be limited in resources for cultivation, and this battle will be friendly, to which the main character answers no. Xing says that his family and the Wang family have entered into a marriage contract with each other, which infuriates Tang Ming. To which he replies that he hopes that Muzhong is as strong with his words as he is with his fists. Xing is shocked that Tang Ming refuses the offer and is going to die. Yueshan stands between the fighters and counts the start. He lowers his hand, signaling the start of the fight. These are the techniques of the Muzhong family of the earthly stage. These are the vanguard of Earth-level technology. They can release toxins and absorb energy. The only weakness is that with prolonged use it corrodes the body with spiritual poison. Sin raises his hand in front of him and speaks forward. Tang Ming bounces back from his opponent's poisonous spit. The crowd says that the degree of corrosion of this liquid is higher than that of a strong acid. Xing says that Tang Ming became practically invulnerable after attaining the rank of cultivator. But in the face of spiritual poison, the higher the class, the greater the danger. Yueshan believes that poison is very dangerous, and even he does not dare to use it thoughtlessly. He's just afraid that Murong Yuan might want to interfere with the end of the fight if something happens. Tangming continues to dodge Xing Muhong's projectiles. He says he notices when the main character dodges. Tangming casts a spell near himself, thereby dodging the projectiles. Yueshan notices this, and says that the protagonist has honed this technique to its true form. Sin gets angry and says that he will not let his opponent avoid the blow, and dozens of acid projectiles fly at Tangming. Wang Jin and the girls are in shock. They are very worried about the guy. Yueshan is amazed by the 10 threads of internal energy. Tangming has become a second-class cultivator. The main character uses the storm spiral technique, and a whirlwind of air spins the acid projectiles. They fall to the floor without touching Tangming. He sits after using the technique, safe and sound, with acid around him. The girls are glad that Tangming is safe and sound. The protagonist asks Sin if there will be anything else, to which he gets angry and says that Tangming should die. Little Sin is called by his uncle. He tells you to try your best, and not to disgrace the honor of the Mujong family. Sin says he doesn't know this technique and apologizes if he accidentally melts the bones, and his body becomes covered in green acid. A whole column of poisonous substance is sent towards Tangming, but he dodges it, and just one drop falls on his jacket. He immediately takes off his jacket and throws it away from himself. Tangming sees that nothing is left of the jacket in a matter of seconds. Sin explains that this is the poison of the second purification, which still burns and sticks. The crowd says that the cultivator families are very treacherous. The girls ask Yueshan to stop the fight, but he cannot intervene until there is a winner. He asks Murong Yuan why he is so serious, to which he replies that this is a life and death ring. Tangming understands that the second purification is really dangerous, and there is no way out. The protagonist uses an earthquake technique, and the stones rise into the air, and kicks them towards Mujongxin, and he himself runs after them, flashing his heels. Sin releases 3 acid hands and says that he is wasting his energy. Tangming thinks that the stone will act as a mediator between the human body and energy that requires direct contact to act. Sin is surprised that the protagonist still dares to defend himself. The crowd watches the battle and believes that Tangming can win. The main character charges blue energy into his fist, and he hits the stone with his fist with all his might. Mujongxing is shocked by this, but he tells Tangming that he foresaw this, and the main character ends up in a cage of acidic tongues. It is a black cage of death, in which victims begin to rot from head to toe until a pool of blood remains. Tangming asks the enemy what will happen if the cultivator's spirit is damaged. He doesn't understand what he's talking about and asks what's what. Tangming explains that Xing did not foresee that the protagonist would master the spirit technique. The enemy tells Tangming to die and says the word needle. The protagonist looks at this and says Lin in response. Mujongxin's body freezes and he groans in pain. Tangming breaks out of the cage and charges forward. Uncle Mujong is shocked that the protagonist used the 9 mantra technique, which is secret and kept secret at the Imperial Military Academy. Tangming closed in on Xing and launched a flurry of blows at him. He tells his opponent that the technique is very powerful, but Mujong is very weak and will not last more than 3 minutes. Sin is angry, and from this day on the killers will chase him everywhere until they chop him into small pieces. Tangming looks at him with pity and contempt. Sin hysterically says that he will kill the main character, and he will live in fear. Yueshan tells him to shut up because he is watching the fight. Uncle Mujong says not to be so strict with a child who simply does not want to admit defeat. Tangming sits down and says that it is true, because as long as Xing is alive, they cannot live in peace. Sin mocks the fact that the protagonist wants to kill him. Tangming whispers in his ear and asks if they have improved the moon aura technique for aliens much. Sin looks at the protagonist with shocked eyes, and he says he doesn't know what Tangming is talking about. The protagonist understands that the Mujong family has not yet betrayed the Earth, but they have some kind of agreement with the aliens. Xing tells Tangming that if he tells him where he got this information from, he will leave them alone. Uncle watches this battle and doesn't understand why Xing is so excited. Tangming puts his hand on Mujongxin's shoulder and asks him if he is afraid to die. Yueshan says not to do it, while the rival's uncle threatens to kill him today. Xing is horrified and says that they won't dare touch him because he belongs to the Mujong family. Tangming explains that he cannot leave peacefully unless he kills him. Yueshan and Uncle Murong rush to save Xing. Tangming casts a spell with 2 fingers, and Xing's body is covered in blue energy. Uncle Mujong becomes enraged and is overcome by a purple aura. He rushes to Xing's aid in a rage and tells Tangming to die. But he is stopped by Yueshan, who blocks the blow with his own body. The uncle asks the teacher how he dares to stop him. He explains that this is a ring of life and death, and that after the battle one cannot take revenge on the participant who killed the enemy. Yueshan asks his uncle if he wants to go against the Cultivator Alliance, to which he simply screams and directs his power at the ceiling. It goes right through the roof of the stadium. Uncle picks up Xing and tells Tang Ming to stay within the university walls or he will die. The protagonist replies that his path of cultivation has just begun and will be much longer than his. Uncle says that Tang Ming is brave and will wait until Yue Shan stops protecting him. He tells the protagonist that he will kill him and jumps up through a hole in the roof. Ye Shen asks Tang Ming to stay on the university campus as long as possible. Wang Jin runs up and says that it's all because of her. Xiaoying says that her brother's problems are her problems too, and her grandfather is not afraid of the Muzhong family either. Ye Shen says that Tang Ming's girlfriends are quite brave. The girls are embarrassed by this and blush. The main characters stand surrounded by teachers Yue Shan and Hua. Hua apologizes for her cultivation skills being too weak, but Fang supports her and says that she is a genius. Wang Jin says that Tang Ming should not have killed Muzhong Xing. The protagonist says that she will not be touched again because he is alive. Wang Jin understands that Tang Ming is doing all this for her, and she invites him to solve the problem with Muzhong in the evening on the shore of Lake Hanbei. Evening. Tang Ming pokes something on the screen and someone calls him. He thinks he has been discovered despite the incorporeal technology of the Earth. Tang Ming walks into the room and sees a chubby man talking in his sleep. He comes on a date with Zin Zin. She stands in a beautiful white dress and notices that Tang Ming has arrived. The protagonist looks at Wang Jin and becomes embarrassed. She takes his hands and says that she was a genius. But after she met one person who settled in her heart, she began to feel ordinary. And Tang Ming understands who she is talking about. Wang Jin says that in order for the protagonist to live safely, they need to use a trump card. For example, become a couple. Tang Ming asks the girl if she didn't enter into a marriage contract with the heir of another family. She explains that it was her family who made this decision, not her. Tang Ming says that he only cares about the girl's decision and her true thoughts. She asks him if he doesn't know her thoughts, and they hug even tighter. Tang Ming asks her if she is willing to be with him even if her family is against it. She says that despite everything, she devotes herself entirely to Tang Ming. They kiss passionately while sitting on the grass. In the morning, Wang Jin notices that Tang Ming has woken up. The protagonist says that they shouldn't reveal their relationship yet, and notes that he won't hide behind the girl in the face of problems. She believes him and explains that he should not face difficulties alone, and they kiss again. Muzhong Family Company, Beijing. 2 security guards stand and guard the door to the office. The boss says he knows about it and will inform the head of the family when he returns. Uncle, if he never comes back, then the killer of Sina will live in peace. Muzhong Heng tells him that he can't talk to his older brother like that, especially since he is now the head of the family. Uncle says he respects his older brother, but he is not in his place. Muzhong Tian says that he is also saddened by Xing's death. Uncle shows up again because Sin has always been an outcast, and now the family is collaborating with aliens. Muzhong Tian loses his temper and is covered in a red aura that looks like a snake. Uncle also becomes covered in a purple aura and asks if he wants a fight. Muzhong Tian attacks his brother, and he becomes immobilized by his older brother's snake. The third brother asks if Muzhong Tian wants to remove the witness. He explains that he can easily kill him, but if he continues to talk nonsense, he will make him beg for death. The third brother snorts in displeasure. Muzhong Tian dispels his technique and says that the matter with Little Xing will be resolved later. The third brother leaves and says that he will avenge Little Sin himself. Muzhong Tian says that Tang Ming is not his problem, and if something happens, he just needs a push. He fears that the aliens are up to something and asks everyone to be on guard. Muzhong Heng says China wants to select a few cultivators and develop them to minimize the influence of the Muzhong family. Tian replies that there is no need to resist this, but to tell Zheng Er that he has an opportunity to become famous. China is eager to cultivate genius cultivators outside of influential families. Hanbei University Training Ground. 3 classmates stand and don't know what to do. Chubby asks Tang Ming if he really wants them to attack him all together. The protagonist confirms this and tells them to get started. Pukliash says that they really are attacking him. Tang Ming notices that he is joking around again, but he will tear his tongue out. And they really attack. 2 attack on the ground, 1 in the air. The one in the air is trying to strike with his stick, but Tang Ming intercepts it with his bare hand and dodges the blade of another classmate. He sees a chubby in the air and realizes it's a fake attack. The fat man asks for forgiveness because he was fooled. But even so, Tang Ming dodges the attack. He talks too much empty talk and knocks the chubby one back with a punch to the belly. He takes his friend with a katana with him. The girls watch the boys having fun. Wang Jin says that their teamwork is very weak. Internal QI is used as fuel for explosive power, which is quite interesting. The protagonist sweeps away the stick just a centimeter from his face. Tang Ming grabbed his opponent's weapon. He pulled him in and hit him in the chest, but he was able to block the blow. The guy with the sword is covered in fire and is gathering his strength, and it strikes the air, creating a wave. This wave flies along the trajectory set by its attacker. Wang Jin is amazed by this technique of Master Yueshan. Tang Ming says that he learned a technique secretly and asks to see it. He uses something, and this technique reflects the wave from the sword. And it also hits the guy with the blade. He is surprised that Tang Ming so suddenly neutralized him with his sword chi. The guy with the stick realizes that he simply used the internal energy of both of them against them. Tang Ming looks at them and sees in them people who are brave, persistent, not afraid to fight, and overcome fear. And this chubby lazybones lay down and pretended to be dead. He's a real joker, but his skin and muscles are vulnerable. Chubby asks Tang Ming where he was when he invited him to the party. Teacher Yueshan came to them and noted that he had come at the wrong time. He wants to introduce Tang Ming to someone. It's some guy who looks like a waiter. This guy introduces himself as the chairman of the Hanbei University Cultivators Association. His name is Cheng Ping. He is Yueshan's disciple with the highest level among the students. He Yan and Zhao Lian respect the teacher very much, so they should know about him. Tang Ming recalls that his father died on the southwestern front, and Cheng Ping himself greatly helped in the final battle. The guy says the fight was good, but the main character lacks hand and foot speed, and his blocking needs to be limited. Yueshan says that's enough, but Cheng Ping says it's just a normal sparring match and asks him to maintain the block. Two people are preparing to spar. Tang Ming decides to start the fight first. He begins to conjure the sword of 50 spirits, and a barrage of ghostly blades flies towards Chen Ping. The guy is surprised that they lost to him when he fought with one hand, and here, Chen Ping says that the energy is dispersed, so one blow is enough to defeat the opponent, and some huge spirit appears behind him. Tang Ming just remains silent and smiles. Cheng Ping still reflects the protagonist's ghostly swords, until two yellow hands appear from his hands, which turn towards the owner's face and fold into a fist. Wang Jin explains that this is the 8 hands technique of the earthly level Dao, which is as powerful as the highest, but is not popular. Tang Ming recalls that this technique improves with each increase in class, and at the 9th level, the fist is capable of shaking rivers and mountains. Chen Ping speaks more carefully and they begin. He quickly rushes to attack Tang Ming. Cheng Ping slams his fist into the ground, sending rock fragments flying towards the protagonist. Tang Ming is surprised by this truly amazing power. He notices a ghostly fist that has been creeping across the floor all this time, and the fist grabs Tang Ming's hand. Chen Ping says that he is better at close combat, and the technique is practically undefeatable. He gets closer to Tang Ming and tries to strike a third time. The main character's captured hand is casting a spell. Cheng Ping realizes that Tang Ming is using internal energy to avoid the attack. One uses a finger of black frost, and the other uses a heavenly attack. Yeshem demands the students to stop. The girls look at this very tensely. The guy says that to reach this level, he will have to train for a long time. Yeshan praises Tang Ming for putting up a worthy fight. Two former rivals exchange pleasantries. Cheng Ping also asks Tang Ming to represent Hanbei in the competition of 10 universities in China, and make him chairman. Pukliash is shocked by this. This position is occupied by the strongest students. Participating with the team will be a great honor, regardless of the result. Tang Ming asks why he should be the one to participate with the team. Chen Ping explains that in order to enter the wormholes, one must be a member of the Cultivators Association. Tang Ming asks why he was chosen as the chairman then. Yeshan says that in that case, the Muzhong family will not accept it so easily. In the past life, the wormhole was calm at this time. So why are there problems in the southwest now? Tang Ming asks Cheng Ping if everything is bad in the southwest, to which he replies that everything is under control. He also explains that the army in the wormhole was exposed to biochemical contamination. Tang Ming thinks that he should upgrade his class as soon as possible. The main character thought. All his classmates and girls are waiting for an answer. He agrees, and the chubby guy begins to extol his idol. Yeshan hopes that Cheng Ping's decision is correct. Tang Ming will definitely lead the association to success. Yueshan asks the protagonist not to put off training. Cheng Ping wants to take Tang Ming to the association right now. Someone punches the wall and says die. This someone turns out to be a previously defeated fighter. He says that sooner or later he will kill Tang Ming, but Song Lu says there is no point in that. Zhao Xiong tells her that she seems to have fallen in love with that country bumpkin. She answers him that if he doesn't value his mouth, then she can tear it apart. The door suddenly opens. A crowd with our heroes enters it. Zhao Xiong tells Cheng Ping that he only came here twice a year, and that he brought in an enemy of the association who killed the former chairman. Association members consider him an incompetent chairman, and a bald little man appears behind his back, who says they want to elect Zhao Xiong. Chen Ping asks if everyone thinks so. While the bald man was saying that there was no need to waste his energy, a yellow hand approached him, and she swatted him to the floor like a fly. Chen Ping asks if anyone else wants to say anything or not. He repeats his question. Zhao Xiong doesn't understand when Cheng Ping became so strong. He says the Cultivators Association is not a place for power struggles. Tang Ming asks to show strength to convince the crowd. Cheng Ping asks if he can do it, to which he asks him to calm down a little. Tang Ming says that he is the authority here, and a bad warrior will not become a general, and he challenges Zhao Xiong to defeat him. He responds by mocking him and saying that he will not become chairman. Song Lu listens to this stupid talk in silence. Tang Ming repeats that he needs to defeat him first, otherwise he won't qualify either. Chen Ping says that the protagonist's words are his words too. The whole crowd of dissatisfied people grins at this situation, and Zhao Xiong commands everyone to attack Tang Ming. One runs at him and tells him to watch his hands. Tang Ming responds by grabbing him by the neck and lifting him into the air. Another villain wants to hit the hero with a pipe, but he dodges and sends the two flying freely. He conjures something in his hands and blocks 2 blows with his sword. Tang Ming lands and tells them to get lost. Cheng Ping reacts to the pebble that flew at him and sends it back. He asks Wang Jin if she will help him, and she replies that there is no need. At this time, Tang Ming simply scatters the crowd. Song Lu tells Zhao Xiong that he cannot retreat. His clothes begin to tear, and he becomes covered in red energy, becoming like a bear. Tang Ming silently runs up to him and punches him in the jaw. The main character asks if anyone else has any questions. Cheng Ping congratulates Tang Ming, who is now the chairman of the Cultivators Association. The protagonist excludes from the association all those who attacked him. Song Lu calls Tang Ming and asks him not to leave them alone, otherwise they won't cope. He asks Wang Jin and Xiao Ying whether they will join the association or not, to which they agree. Chen Ping leaves and tells him to do as he sees fit. The association will conduct daily training sessions over the next 2 months. Cheng Ping reports to the director that Tang Ming has agreed to participate in the competition. The director says that the main character has great potential and can become a university representative. He also asks how Chen Ping's father is doing, to which he says that things are not going well. The director says that his father was a genius not in intelligence, but in heroic bravery. Yeshan asks Duan, the director, if the proposal to allow students to go to the wormhole has been accepted. And Chen Ping says he supports the proposal because it will be an invaluable experience for them. The director says that if this proposal is accepted, someone will have to bear responsibility. The wormhole has been stable for the last few years, but it has become active now, which is very strange. Yeshan decides to select geniuses for the state war. It turns out that aliens are very active and the situation is not so surprising. The director agrees and says that these are troubled times. Someone is doing push-ups. The count has reached 334. Xiao Ying sits on the chubby guy with a whip and trains him. At this time, 2 classmates are sparring, and Tang Ming and Jin are talking. He explains to her that he made Xiao Ying his deputy because she likes to be the center of attention. If chubby Xiaofei trains hard, he will become the strongest in the company. Tang Ming doesn't want to take other students to the competition because they will cause chaos. He reassures her, saying that he has everything thought out. Song Lu gives Jin a folder with a list of the association members who participated in the competition. Tang Ming asks her what she is unhappy about, but she replies that everything is fine. She doesn't do anything that goes against her principles because of her sword skill. Song Lu agrees with these words and becomes uncomfortable. Tang Ming asks you to do something for him in exchange for a couple of secret sword techniques. She doubts the protagonist's words, but he assures her otherwise. They negotiate such a good deal. The guys are sparring, and one of them notices that the other's phone is ringing. He steps away and apologizes. He'll go pick up the phone. Zhao Lian asks again if anyone's health has deteriorated again. Everyone in the training room notices this and looks at him. Xiao Ying, sitting on the chubby one, tells him not to stop. Zhao's partner asks what happened. He replies that it is urgent, and that he will not be able to continue training today. Tang Ming wishes Zhao a good journey, and he runs away. Life support apparatus. Zhao's mother's condition worsens, and her body's resistance increases. Due to more expensive drugs, the cost of treatment will increase significantly. He is entitled to subsidies, but he needs to pay an additional 200,000 coins. Zhao asks for better care for his mother while he looks for money. He is walking down the street, and he thinks where he can get such a large sum. He hits the pole with his fist, and a passerby gets scared of him. Zhao notices a leaflet on a pole with a prize of 1 million coins. The crowd is chanting to kill someone. Ring, 2 fighters are fighting. One of them gets hit hard in the jaw by a fist. The referee counts 10 seconds, and the lone wolf wins this fight. Zhao comes to the boss of the establishment and says that he wants to fight. One of the fighters tells him that the milk on his lips is still wet. Zhao says he's ready for even 3 rounds. The boss's henchman says this is not the place to throw words around. But the boss asks and orders him to leave it so that he can try. Only in this case, he must sign a life and death contract. Boss Yao tells Zhao to prove himself in a fight with the lone wolf. The spectators in the stands are shocked that there is a student in the ring. The lone wolf mocks his opponent because he doesn't have a single scratch. Zhao tells his opponent to yap because he won't have the chance later. The fight begins, and the wolf attacks the student. Zhao stands up and a green aura envelops his body. He punches his opponent. The lone wolf flies out of the ring and is stopped by the ropes. The spectators in the stands are delighted because the student defeated the enemy with one blow. Zhao asks the boss if he can now become his fighter. Yao stands up and agrees, orders that a manager be assigned to him. The assistant told him that the student had only come for money and that they would never see him again. Boss Yao tells him to make a star out of him, and at the end of the journey make him lose and keep the money. The three villains rejoice at the boss's plan, praising it and smiling. Yao orders the newcomer to be advertised and sent to fights. Xiao Ying is still training the chubby one. Tang Ming sees that Zhao Lian hasn't come to training again. His partner says he never asks for help, and it looks like something happened at home. Zhao is given some kind of inhibitor in his hands. He asks what it is, to which the cunning henchman replies that it is medicine. Jay refuses and says he can handle it himself. The manager doesn't make it in time and the door closes. He kicks the lockers and says what an idiot Zhao is, acting like a child. New fight, opponent is the king of Muay Thai. Sompa asks Zhao if his parents allow him to perform here. The student asks the judge if they can start yet. He gives his permission and Sompa runs at Zhao with his fist. The student dodges the blow. Also blocks a knee strike. He takes a breather and realizes that his opponent has hard bones. Sompa is glad that the student now sees his power, and he realizes that Zhao looks like he has never competed in black boxing. He is now serious and intends to kill him. Zhao catches the light blow and realizes it's a fake. Sompa brings his second leg straight towards the student's head, and Zhao puts up a block with his hand, and apparently he gets a forearm injury. And Zhao punches him in the jaw, telling him to go to hell. Sompa falls dead, bleeding from his mouth and nose. The spectators in the stands rejoice at the student's victory. Jay realizes that the bones in his forearm have been shattered by the impact. The manager asks if he is okay, and he says yes. He tells him that if he loses one of the 10 games, he will be disqualified. And again, he offers him his medicine. Zhao says he is ready to give the injection. The manager tells him that he shouldn't have been so capricious, and puts the inhibitor in his hand. He injects himself with it and the veins in his forearm bulge. The manager asks him how he likes the medicine. He replies that it's normal, and the cunning client now wants to always push this drug on him. Since Zhao brought 100,000 coins, the hospital agreed to continue the treatment. He asks how his mother is, and the doctor replies that she is slowly recovering. Zhao says he will bring the remaining money later. Tang Ming's disciple tells the boss to be careful, but he simply dodges the blow and smiles. He takes his hand, and he throws the student with the sword to another part of the hall. Tang Ming calls the next one, who turns out to be Zhao Lian. He takes off his jacket and says he's going. Tang Ming asks Zhao Lian if he is injured. He explains that he practiced alone, and he begins the fight with his lunge with the weapon. Tang Ming stops his blow with his hands, and he notices that the internal Kree is leaving the body. He praises him for being able to achieve his true intentions. Zhao doesn't listen to him and kicks him. Tang Ming simply blocks with his hand. The main character wonders where he learned these movements. The veins on Zhao's face bulged and drool began to flow from his mouth, and he madly attacks his teacher. Tang Ming dodges and is surprised by this power. The main character realizes that something is wrong with him. Zhao lands on the floor, breathing heavily. His classmates are happy for him because he has made more progress. Xiao Ying thinks, how did he become so strong? It's impossible. Tang Ming asks Zhao if he has used anything. His partners don't believe this nonsense. Zhao is ashamed and closes his eyes. Tang Ming explains to him that these are very harmful pills that can kill, and asks him again. Chubby and his partner ask Zhao to tell them the truth. Tang Ming says he may spend the rest of his life as an invalid, and Zhao confesses this and explains that his mother is seriously ill. He just needed a lot of money. Tang Ming asks to explain to him what is going on. Zhao explains his situation to them, and he says that he had no choice because of his mother. Friends tell Zhao that she should have told them about her problems right away. Tang Ming offers to lend him money so that he can pay it back in the future. Wang Jin remembers something. It turns out that the Luo family is in charge of casinos and other gambling in the country. Tang Ming wants to have a real-life training session at this boxing club. The Luo family is very treacherous, and is no less than the Muzhong family. Boss Yao chops off a cigar with a guillotine. Tang Ming came to him and said that he wanted to perform in Zhao's place. The boss agrees, and the guard understands what needs to be done. All the guards are looking at Tang Ming, and one of them advises him against it. Tang Ming sends this advisor into the wall. The rest of the guards stand at attention and ask if he is seeking death. The boss takes Tang Ming to fight in Zhao's place. The friends ask the main character to be careful, and they themselves go to the auditorium. The manager doesn't understand why the boss is changing fighters, to which he replies that Zhao has a broken arm. Boss Yao orders his manager to give Tang Ming the drug and start with a light dose. This is a drug for stimulating potential without any side effects. Tang Ming understands what it is and asks how to use it. The manager says that it just needs to be entered, and the main character does so. Spectators are outraged that Zhao was replaced by another fighter. It turns out that Tang Ming had already been involved in underground fighting, and was also called the Underground King of 100 Assassins. The referee introduces the two fighters, Tang Ming and Mad Dog. Mad Dog apologizes and says he will take 1,000,000 coins. Tang Ming simply remains silent and takes the blow. The opponent doesn't understand, because this blow can break the spine of even an adult. Tang Ming takes his head and tells him that it is better for him to rest, and presses his head into the floor. The audience is shocked by this outcome. They don't understand where they find such champions. The boss is happy, and orders the manager to prepare the champion. The manager comes to inquire about Tang Ming's condition, to which he says that the enemy was weak. He warms up the main character with pleasant words, and gives him a new dose of the drug, which Tang Ming takes. The showman announces the start of the fight. Tang Ming's friends sit in the stands and wonder if he will be okay. Wang Jin says the underground boxing ring is a fight to the death. The first champion comes into the ring. He has a strange appearance. Tang Ming dodges his attack and realizes that he is fast. The rival looks gay and calls the hero a baby. He demands Tang Ming to show his true strength, and the opponent unleashes a barrage of blows on the main character. The opponent asks how he likes it and delivers a powerful punch. It hits Tang Ming's block right away. The protagonist understands that his rival has great power, but behaves strangely. Tang Ming looks at Boss Yao, who thinks that now is the time. Tang Ming kneels down and clutches his heart. His friends started shouting and worrying about him. Wang Jin explains that he is fine and has a plan. The opponent says the drugs are finally starting to work. The opponent explains that it is precisely students who have been so little battered by society, and they so easily trust everyone. He reaches his hands towards Tang Ming's head, and takes him into a triangle choke. The opponent tells him to resist, because he is such a genius and so useless. He tells him that he can give him 500,000 coins and let him live. Tang Ming says that 500,000 coins in his lifetime is really not much. He takes his hand, and blue energy appears under it. The opponent starts screaming in pain. Tang Ming broke his arm. Xiao Ying is happy for Master Tang and says that he is the strongest. The boss is angry and doesn't understand what the hell is going on. The opponent in the ring cries and regrets his broken arm. He doesn't understand because his boss told him that Tang Ming had overdosed. The protagonist explains that he used internal QI energy to break down the drug. The opponent asks if he knows how long it took the people to get to the place where they are, and Tang Ming sends this gay man on a free flight. The protagonist tells him that he will leave him alive and give him 500,000 coins so that he can be treated in the hospital. Someone bet everything on Tang Ming and is now going to get rich. The boss gets angry and calls him a bastard. All the guys in the ring were surrounded by bandits. They stand with guns and aim at the heroes. Chubby tells Tang Ming that they are surrounded. The boss says that even a top-class cultivator is not immune to firearm attacks. Wang Jin says that they don't have any gun permit, especially since she is from the Wang family. The boss lets her go, but the rest will die here. The girl says that they will all leave together. The boss is surprised by the disrespect and orders fire. Lead begins to be fired at the heroes from all sides. All the heroes cast some kind of spell and protect themselves from the bullets, and Tang Ming says that no one will die. A blue flame appears on his forehead, and the heroes are enveloped by a blue dome, through which bullets cannot pass. Tang Ming holds his hand and all the bullets stop. Wang Jin is surprised that he has already learned to control his energy like this. Tang Ming says nothing is impossible. He reasons that through training he has discovered the wonders of consciousness, and directs all bullets back to their senders. The boss can't believe that so many of his men died in just a few seconds. He asks Tang Ming what he is doing. He replies that it is precisely because of scum like him that many good people stray from the true path. Therefore the crime must be punishable, and one of his henchmen takes out a grenade launcher. Wang Jin shouts at Tang Ming to watch out, although at this distance it is already too late. But Tang Ming stops even such a projectile. He enters the vortex along with the protagonist's power. Unfortunately, he doesn't want to merge with his spiritual form yet, and he throws this miniaturized projectile into the boss's mouth. He comes up to him and tells him not to let his eyes see him here again. The boss leaves and says that the Luo family will not leave him alone. Wang Jin asks if Tang Ming will really let him go so easily, to which he replies that the explosion was concentrated by his consciousness and will occur in 10 seconds. Tang Ming says that he can't yet answer all the questions the guys want to ask him. He trusts them all and hopes that they trust him too. They all say yes in one voice. Tang Ming says the most important thing is to visit Zhao's mother in the hospital. They all come to the ward in a crowd. Zhao says that mom suffers from a strange illness. Tang Ming hears that the illness has been going on for 5 or 6 years, but no one has been able to help her during this time. Mama Zhao knew a lot about cultivation. Tang Ming understands that this disease makes it difficult for future generations to access the spiritual side of cultivation. Pukliash says that there is no way out except self-healing. Zhao's hand trembled at such conclusions. Tang Ming says he can actually cure this disease. Pugliash advises not to say that because it might hurt Zhao. Tang Ming says that he can actually cure this disease because he read about it in books. This disease occurs because of poison, and the person does not die because the concentration of this poison is too small. And paralysis of the body is not a symptom, but a self-defense mechanism of the brain. Puffy says he doesn't trust Tang Ming because human lives are at stake. The protagonist doesn't want to hide anything from the medical expert Xiao Fei. Tang Ming brings up a lot of arguments in his favor, and asks Zhao whether he believes him or not. The student says that he trusts Tang Ming, and he will not do anything he is not sure of. The main character says that his son's consent is enough for him. Tang Ming begins treatment. The poison had been in her body for a long time, so some effort was needed. Tang Ming explains that he has found the required frequency. Now he needs to remove the spiritual poison. He uses his hand to gather the threads of poison from Mama Zhao's entire body into a bundle. It's a red lump that looks like a ball of wool. Tang Ming explains that this is just a part of everything that exists. The doctor is shocked. He understands that the art of cultivators can also be used in medicine. Tang Ming offers to explain how this technique works, but later. Only 10 years later, a revolution will occur in medicine, which will mark the help of cultivators in medicine. The finger on Zhao's mother's hand twitched. She woke up from her sleep. Zhao notices this and starts crying. Tang Ming asks the boys to go out and give mother and son some time together. Pugliash asks the protagonist if he would like to be the chief doctor in his father's company. Tang Ming notes that this is Xiaojia Pharmaceutical. Pugliash says the company is small, but has already invested heavily in drug development. Tang Ming agrees, but only when the chubby one has time. Zhao comes out and is asked how his mother is doing. He explains that mom is getting better thanks to Tang Ming. Zhao says that he will help the protagonist in any way he can, to which he replies that this is how it should be, because they are brothers. After a fight in an underground boxing ring, Tang Ming decided to spend a week in the lab and complete isolation. Realizing the importance of medicines, he created various samples, the research of which took more than 20 years in his past life. The week flew by quickly. Hanbei University, a place for exchanging goods. Tang Ming asked how the old man was doing, to which he replied that everything was fine. The protagonist wants to exchange points for Zhuan skills, but they can only be exchanged for merits. Tang Ming asks Grandpa to look at something. On his methods, Helix Jin and Zhen Jin. The Helix Jin method is like a bullet that spins through the rifling. The Zhen Jin method is similar to a shockwave from touch, which can affect internal organs. Grandfather understood these techniques. They seem simple, but they are incredibly mysterious. The old man even wanted to read them and try them. Grandfather agreed to make an exception for Tang Ming and give him 2 Xuan-level skills in exchange. The protagonist takes a book for female swordsmen and tells his grandfather not to worry about his choice. Tang Ming meets Song Lu on the path by the tree. He reminds her of her promise and asks her to look at her phone. Tang Ming actually gave her one of the most valuable methods for developing swordsmanship in the school. She asks him where he got this technique from, since it requires a lot of merit points. Song Lu asks Tang Ming if he really wants to give her the Xuan method, to which he agrees. She happily accepts the gift and says that if anything happens, he can count on her help. Tang Ming leaves and tells her to go practice her new technique. A week later, the training ground. The protagonist reasons that Song Lu's skill has improved. She mentally thanks Tang Ming for giving her such a valuable skill. Song Lu believes that Wang Jin will not be able to breathe once he has used up the 5 threads of internal qi. They exchange sword blows. Wang Jin is surprised at how Song Lu has made such progress so quickly. The yellow-haired girl begins to use the sword technique. In response, Wang Jin uses sword energy defense. Song Lu is surprised, because this is a gift from the seeds of the cultivators. She slides back after blocking the blow like that, and she notices that her blade has broken and fallen near her feet. Song Lu says that she admits defeat, to which Wang Jin says that she did well. Zhao Lian and the chubby man enter the room, saying that Lian's mother's health has improved. He thanks Tang Ming for the treatment, to which Tang Ming replies that he will visit her. Pugliash tells the protagonist that his father is interested in the treatment method, to which Tang Ming says that there is one condition: it is their laboratory. He asks Wang Jin to cook something and she agrees, and he shows her a flask with a liquid that he wants to refine. Chubby escorts Tang Ming to his father's corporation. Academician Su tells Xiaofeng that they only have 3 minutes. Chubby's father exchanges pleasantries with Tang Ming. Xiaofeng introduces the protagonist to Mr. Su and says that he is the president of the Shudo Society at Hanbei University. The scientist tells Tang Ming not to interfere with their work at the Enterprise. 2 of his charges run up to him and say that all 104 batches of mice died and exploded. The scientist is perplexed and begins to get angry, asking to be taken there. He enters the complex and asks how this could have happened. They explain to him that the mice began to recover after the drug was administered, but then died after being completely cured. Tang Ming is surprised, because this medicine existed in a past life, and it was researched more than 100 years ago. He asks for the opportunity to help them and starts typing something into the terminal. His charges shout at him to stop. He has no right to change the formulas. Tang Ming calms them down and explains that everything is fine and asks them to use his formula. Scientists start laughing at him, saying that he is not smart enough for such things. Puffy begins to defend his mentor. Tang Ming assures that testing his formula will take no more than 10 minutes. Mr. Su is surprised by the protagonist. He is so young and was able to see the root of the problem the first time. He asks his students to follow Tang Ming's formula and try his method. They inject the drug into the body of a dying mouse. Blue energy bubbles appear on her body. She makes a full recovery and opens her eyes. Scientists rejoice at their success and are amazed by the living mouse. Tang Ming explains that his formula reduced the harm to the patient from side effects. Mr. Su asks the protagonist if he can ask him a couple of questions. He wonders why the mice died when they used his medicine. Tang Ming explains that his formula is very contradictory, which conflicts with true Kui. Mr. Su agrees with the protagonist and claps his fist against his palm. He thanks Tang Ming and looks forward to future cooperation with him. The protagonist says he's here to collaborate with the corporation, and the chubby one presents him with his medicines in a suitcase. He shows a pill to improve a person's sensitivity to spiritual energy and accelerate its absorption. Mr. Su swallows the pill. A drop of sweat runs down his cheek. He exclaims that this is unusual. A strong flow of true Qi is flowing throughout his body. Tang Ming says he is willing to share the pill formula, but he has two conditions. The first is to keep the cost and price of production low, and the second is not to announce that the drug was made by him. Chubby's father thanks and is surprised at Tang Ming because he is so noble. Mr. Su asks again if the protagonist really doesn't want to put his name on this medicine, to which he replies yes. The chubby boy's father says his son is lucky to have such a friend. He's also angry because he won't let aliens take the lives of cultivators again. Mr. Su reassures him that with this medicine the company will develop faster. Pukliash thanks Tang Ming because he did a lot for his father's company. The protagonist reflects that these are just the first steps towards increasing humanity's power. 10 major competitions are taking place in the capital. The boss is surprised that Tang Ming will become the president of the university's Shudo club in just a few months. His ward says that this is natural, because he is her younger brother. The boss says that they need to master new skills before the competition. Otherwise, they will not represent the Imperial Military Academy. The girl is at a loss because she has to try hard to see Tang Ming. She assures that she will definitely try and not lose to her brother. The chubby's father says that Tang Ming's pills have proven effective. Mr. Su says the effect is better on low-grade cultivators. Tang Ming learns about mass production and price, and is assured that everything will be perfect. The protagonist comes up with the name of the medicine based on his desire to destroy aliens. He calls it Superlight. This series of medicine will be called Bennett Nash. It will restore wounds and help in learning. Chubby's father agrees with the name, and so does Mr. Su. Tang Ming says it's time for him to go. The chubby boy's father says he has an idea to make these pills a hit in China. He offers to give these pills as a reward to the winners of the competition. Tang Ming notes that the chubby man's father has a good sales plan. Usati doesn't understand why the Mujong company has no new products this year. Tang Ming wonders if there is something wrong with the Mujong family. Mujong company. The head of the family says he will not miss the opportunity to appear at the competition. He also tells someone on the phone to keep an eye on Tang Ming, because he killed his cousin. That guy says he's not a loser like his cousin. He will avenge him and the entire Mujong family as a whole. Someone else calls the head of the family, and his son notices it. He says he's in a hurry, and his son hangs up first. His brother calls him and says that the alien potion was stolen, and it was probably the third brother. The boss tells you to calm down, because he will take care of it. He warned the third brother not to drag the family into trouble, and told him to blame himself. Hanbei University, the third brother is waiting for someone. He gives the unknown person a drug, and tells him to get rid of Tang Ming. Once completed, he will make him his disciple and a fourth-class cultivator. The third brother is happy that he will avenge Xing despite the protection of Hanbei University. He tells his protege to make sure everything is done correctly, and not to let him down. A young girl comes onto the roof and asks who is there. She asks who is here and what they are doing here. It is Xiao Qing, vice president of the Shudo Society of Har University. The girl recognizes Zhang Qi, a member of her club, and is surprised by the middle-aged man. The guy doesn't like the fact that this upstart has appeared right now, and the scoundrel concentrates his strength in his hand. The ward asks not to kill her, because then the university will take over the matter. The boss telepathically tells him that Tang Ming must be eliminated by any means necessary, and leaves the rest to him and jumps off the roof. The girl shouts after him, telling him not to dare run away. The boss shows mercy and leaves her alive today. The girl looks at the man from the roof. She is surprised that the man has disappeared, but that is impossible. The girl asks Zhang who that man was, but he just waves her off. She is worried about Tang Ming and Xiaofei, because he might be in danger. The girl doesn't understand what to do. Pugliash thinks that something is wrong with his sister, because their mental connection has never failed him since childhood. His classmate asks if he is okay, but he hides everything. Tang Ming officially announced that Hanbei University's Shudo Society will participate in the list of top 10 universities in China. Wang Jin, Fang Xiaoying, and Song Lu. Pugliash wonders why the mentor is not on the list. The rest of their classmates are surprised that they are really that bad to participate in the competition. Song Lu tells them not to blab, as the president hasn't finished his speech yet. Wang Jin asks Tang Ming what he plans to do with the remaining replacement spot. Fang Xiaoying asks to leave this to her, the vice president. She suggests that everyone try to fight. Whoever wins will be the replacement. The guys are all for it and both want to try to fight for the right to participate. Tang Ming asks not to worry about the replacement, because he's going to choose Zhao Lian and Xiaofei. Pugliash doesn't understand this, and tries in every way to brush off the mentor's choice. Tang Ming orders Xiaofei to remain silent, and says that he will not allow his subordinates to retreat. If he does not fight properly, the mentor will beat him on the flagpole of the sports ground for 3 days and 3 nights. Tang Ming swings his hand at the chubby guy, and he thinks that his sister was not the scariest person in his life. He is so scared, but his mentor just puts his hand on his shoulder. He tells him that he and his father are expecting good results in the Big Ten, and believe that he will succeed. Tang Ming asks everyone to follow him to find Teacher Shan, as he asked him to arrange a special fight for everyone. The protagonist's charges do not understand where he is leading them and ask him. He explains that this is a combat simulation room and asks them all to go through. They see some huge booths in the room and a man standing at a computer. Pugliash notes that these look like gaming helmets, but they're not for esports players. The man asks to take care of his team members and tell them that this is not a gambling hall. Tang Ming explains that this is not an ordinary game simulation, although it looks very similar. It empties the mind, and then the spiritual consciousness is transferred into a simulated space using virtual reality technology. He asks if anyone has any questions, and the chubby one asks if it will hurt. The man says that few students are eligible to apply for the simulation training, and did the training solely because of the president. While it's not a given that they will all compete during the competition, preparation won't hurt, the instructor continues. He asks if they understood everything, to which they answer so accurately. Puffy worries that they won't be able to defeat a second-class cultivator, to which the mentor asks him to shut up. Tan Ming and the instructor monitor the condition of their charges on the monitor. Loading state. A classmate reacted to the attack of the water hand and intercepted it. His hand felt a little numb. Could this really be the power of a second-class cultivator? The strength level indicates that this is a fake second-class cultivator. Another classmate says the attacks are too predictable, unlike the boss. But this only helps him try his best to win. True Yang Blade is the president's secret technique, but while not as good as the Wind Sword, it's still a decent weapon. The cameras open, meaning they have completed their task. Tang Ming gives them high fives and praises them for doing a good job. One of his classmates notices that Xiaofei has not left his cell. Something happened to him. Something went wrong. The instructor says that the analog signal and Xiaofei's spiritual consciousness are intertwined, and they need 10 minutes to untangle it. Tang Ming decides he needs to intervene and releases the energy. Xiaofei's body and head are covered in a blue aura. The instructor is surprised that the techniques of spiritual practice have already been lost, and secret methods are even rarer. Tang Ming tells Chubby that there is still a week until the tournament, so he will have to train even harder. Alliance of Cultivators, elders are discussing. Chief Li tells his comrades not to worry, he is fine. Flaming Huodao says that the people selected in the competition will be trained as an elite reserve. Guan Han says that Yan Murong is a good candidate, renowned for both virtue and talent. The old man says that if two friends have something to argue about, the feud can last a lifetime. The leader gets up from the table, hits it, and says that no matter how much time has passed, they are still feuding with each other. He says to look at the condition of Master Wenqi, a 7th grade cultivator. The leader says that he created the alliance over 50 years ago, and that he and his body are in decline and can do little. All members of the alliance ask him not to speak like that. He decided that the top participants in the 10 university competition would receive the alliance's core techniques. Beijing Airport. Pugliash says that this is his first time in the capital and wants to go to a restaurant to try some Beijing food. They are met by Shan, who introduces them to Yao Ming from the Imperial Academy. He notices that this girl rushed towards our heroes. She runs up and tugs on Tang Ming's arm. Yao Ming hugs his hand, pressing it against his chest, and is glad that they meet again. Wang Jin became jealous and also took the protagonist's hand. Yao Ming is happy and laughs that her younger brother has won a real pearl from a noble family. She sends the heroes to the hotel and says that they should get a good rest before the qualifying round. This year, the competition promises a big prize, which she cannot say about, the girl continues. She explains that the men's and women's rooms are separated by a corridor, and that it is better for women to lock themselves in at night. Songlu says that if boys want to become girls, they can approach. Yao Ming nudges Wang Jin and says that Tang Ming's room is on the other side. The protagonist's girlfriend knocks on the door while his sister giggles quietly. Wang Jin enters the room and sees Tang Ming standing on the balcony. He argues that Beijing is the capital of China, with the highest cultivator resistance index. However, no one could have imagined that such a powerful capital would be captured in the early stages of the war. Wang Jin hugs Tang Ming from behind and asks him if he is okay. He replies that he is fine, and they kiss each other with a beautiful view of the city. The police see a green explosion and want to check what it is. They see a tornado of a green, poisonous color. 3 naked men of athletic build emerge from it. They have numbers on their necks, and they are all different from each other. The police order them to stand still and ask them who they are and where they came from. One of the unknown people orders the others to kill them, and they take off. The police are screaming for help, and only bloodstains are visible on the walls. The unknown people change into their clothes, and their leader orders them to get rid of the bodies. Beijing Sports Complex, crowds of people watching the screen. The annual Big Ten competition is announced, and spectators here in the capital are eagerly awaiting it. The presenters say everyone is excited, but there is some more exciting news in Beijing that everyone needs to hear. They discuss the prizes. First place will be in the Alliance's military reserve. Second place can take high-end equipment from the library. And third place will become the Alliance leader's apprentice. The audience rejoices at such valuable awards, and everyone is happy about it. The main characters are sitting in the stands. The chubby one is very surprised by such prizes. Xiaofei is very happy, so much so that his classmate tries to shake him off his expectations. Tang Ming reasons that the library is very valuable because it contains what he needs. As for the apprenticeship, he remembers that the leader died before the theory about the last level breakthrough came out. Tang Ming encourages his team to win this competition. The first round will begin in 15 minutes. The hosts are asking for your names to participate in the tournament. The chubby guy's sister glances sideways at the same guy who was with the man on the roof. Pukliash is surprised that her sister's school is also participating in this competition. Chubby's sister approaches Tang Ming and apologizes to him, the president of the Hanbei University Martial Arts Society. Her dad told her that he was the deputy of the club in Hanbei, so she came to say hello to the president. Besides, she tells the chubby one, they shouldn't participate because it's dangerous. The girl grabs Tang Ming's hand and introduces herself as Xiao Qing, the vice president of Har University. The guy from the roof watches their dialogue and curses the main character because he touches the girl. Tang Ming tells Xiao Qing that although they are rivals, they are all Chinese and should help each other. He tells Xiaofei that he can't believe he has such a good sister. And he sees that the chubby one has disappeared, and his classmate explains that he is afraid of his sister and went to the toilet. Tang Ming looks at some note lying in his palm. Pukliash goes to the toilet and hums some song about noodles. That villain from the roof is waiting for Xiaofei around the corner and smiling. Tang Ming's phone vibrates in his pocket. He picks it up and sees that he has received a message from the chubby guy. Attached is a photo of a tied-up Xiaofei, and a text telling him to come to the address to rescue the chubby. The classmate panics because the chubby guy hasn't arrived yet, to which Tang Ming says he'll go get him. He exclaims that the round will start in 5 minutes, but the protagonist stands his ground. Tang Ming reasons that the note spoke of a man named Zhang Qi, and that he was probably the one who kidnapped the chubby one. Xiaofei hangs on a rope and begs his mentor to come for him. Tang Ming tells the chubby guy that if he runs away again, he will punish him with 1,000 push-ups. He sees Xiaofei dangling on a rope. The protagonist asks to free him. Zhang Chai bites his nails and doesn't understand how he found it so quickly. Tang Ming asks the scoundrel to let the chubby one go. He won't repeat it a second time. Some kind of inhibitor with its contents falls behind the main character. While Tang Ming was examining this syringe, an unknown person appeared from behind him. The main character senses this and understands that an attack is about to occur. He blocks a punch from an unknown opponent. Tang Ming mocks him and says that his opponent is much better than Mu Zhongxing. This angers his opponent, and he says that today the main character will die. The unknown person thinks that if he kills Tang Ming, he will become Murong Yuan's personal disciple, and then the president of Har Martial Arts. It turns out that Zhang Qi injected himself with this drug and became like this. But the qi and blood are not real. The enemy is amazed at how a second-class cultivator could defeat a fourth-class cultivator. Tang Ming says that he recently broke through to the 3rd grade in just a month, and wants to give him a flick. He does this with all the force of his energy, and the enemy flies away. Zhang Qi smashes the wall of a building with his huge body. He turns back into his original form and coughs up blood. Tang Ming says that breaking through to the 3rd grade in a month is impossible for others, but possible for him. Police investigate the crime scene while the chubby guy points to where he was hanging. Xiaofei's sister thanks and bows low to Tang Ming for saving her little brother. She blushes and thinks that, just as the chubby guy told her, the main character is very charming. First round, opponents meet in the arena. The crowd shouts slogans for victory. Xiaoqing's father wishes his university victory. Tang Ming tells them to fight with all their might and not give each other any slack, which Xiaoqing hopes he will teach her a lot. First round, Xiaoying, an unknown from Hare University. The girl provokes her rival on the advice of her mentor. Her opponent, Chen Delong, tells her that she is not a coward for talking to him like that. She looks at him and is convinced that her mentor was right, because her opponent is very angry. The round begins, and the girl sends her opponent flying with one punch. The Hare team player went off the field. Fan Xiaoying comes out as the winner. Second round, Feng Xiao versus Wang Jin. The opponent runs towards her and wants to check who is faster, his fists or her sword. He notices that she hasn't reacted and thinks to win the match with an uppercut. The girl notes that sprinting and uppercuts, just as Tang Ming said, are very boring for her. A sword with blue energy swings out, and she catches up with her opponent at the speed of light, placing her sword at his neck. He accepts defeat with tears on his cheek from the tension. Next round, the hosts ask Tang Ming and Xiaoqing to enter the arena. The protagonist goes to meet Wang Jin and gives her a high five, telling her that she tried hard. The girl's father is rooting for her, but Mr. Su doesn't understand whose side he is on. Chubby Xiao runs to his classmates and is glad that he made it in time. He is asked why his sister is fighting for Hare, to which he replies that he didn't know. Teacher Shan looks at them and decides not to tell them anything about the wormhole. Xiaoqing tells Tang Ming not to worry about me, to which he replies that he will give it his all. The third round begins. The host asks the participants to get ready. As soon as the start occurs, the girl launches an aggressive attack. Tang Ming dodges and remarks that it is too slow, rough, and weak. The girl notes that although her opponent is a newbie, there is a real gap in skills between them. She doesn't want to admit defeat, and Tang Ming pokes her in the forehead with his finger. He reminds her to use her hips to more actively release her body's energy. She has learned her lesson and tells him to be careful, and a purple aura forms around her. The girl launches an aggressive kick attack at Tang Ming. The protagonist notes that strength and speed are better, but he still manages to grab her leg. He throws her over his hip, causing her to flip over in shock. She admits defeat and says that Tang Ming is terrible and no match for her. The protagonist holds her in his arms and says that she has good control over her body, and if she works hard, everything will work out. The leaders of the Cultivator Alliance watch the battles and rejoice as the children compete for prizes. One of them says that there is a pre-match report, and there is an ordinary student, Zhang Xiaoqi, who showed good technique. And even if these commoners win, they will remain short-sighted. He finds it funny that he has to choose talents from competitions, and not bright and outstanding children, to which the other protests. The leader says that Guanggan's words are not without foundation, because everyone can use vile methods to win prizes. In addition, the aim of the competition is to educate the younger generation, as well as honesty and fairness. The scoundrel thinks that the Cultivator Alliance is getting weaker every year, and the security isn't that strong. Energy forms in his hand, and he says it is time to show the audience a special show. He puts energy from his hand into the warhead, and he reports to his charges that they are ready. He suggests going upstairs and watching these kids play. After the battles, the host invites the opponents to shake hands. Tang Ming extends his hand and says that he hopes the fight was beneficial for both of them. Qian Ying tells him not to be arrogant because he beat up a little girl from Higher. Tang Ming replies that he heard that their Hanan University successfully beat Hankai University, and asks them to do the same in this round. He shakes the protagonist's hand and says that he is not so bad. Qian Ying is surprised that his legendary glove increases his grip to almost 1,000 kilograms, but this guy doesn't even bat an eyelid. He directs energy into his hand, thereby wanting to show the difference between the second and third class. Tang Ming and Qian Ying accumulate energy around themselves. The presenter recognizes this competition. It is an internal Kuai duel. He does not believe that they are competing so openly. Another presenter says that according to the tournament rules, such a confrontation of QI is allowed, and the winner by default brings victory to the entire team. Qian Ying's feet cracked in the floor, unable to understand how this could happen. Tang Ming reminds him that he has recently jumped to the 3rd grade, and it will not be difficult for him to defeat the opponent. The main character also notices a scoundrel in the crowd wearing a police uniform. He vaguely feels alarming vibrations in his body. The fake policeman understands that he has been noticed apparently. There are still some worthwhile people in this group of bad cultivators. Qian Ying still believes in his victory, even though he is inferior in strength to Tang Ming. The protagonist apologizes to his opponent and says that he is in a hurry and wants to finish this as quickly as possible. They unclench their hands and point their palms towards each other, from which clots of energy emerge. Qian Ying says that it is he who should tell him that it is not over yet, and his energy absorbs the energy of the main character. Qian Ying rejoices and says that he is no match for Tang Ming, He can easily absorb his chi. The protagonist laughs and asks his opponent to look at his QE form. Xianying quickly turns around with suspicion. He notices that his chi form is cracking and blue energy is coming through the cracks. Tang Ming says that the opponent has a lot of internal energy, but it is not completely pure, so even if he absorbs it, he will not be able to destroy it. Xianying bends over and coughs up blood. He falls to his knees and his armor falls next to him. The representative of the Henan team dropped the armor. The entire Hanbei team won. The teacher approaches Tang Ming and says that he is surprised that he has advanced to the 3rd grade so quickly. The protagonist asks why he is here, to which he replies that he is replacing Shan's teacher during the competition. Tang Ming understands that Yue Shan suddenly left for a reason. It's probably because of the wormhole. The woman was undressing, and there was underwear lying on the bench. Xiaoying complains that her mentor ended the fight immediately, and they didn't have a chance to fight. And the organization of this competition itself is disgusting, because they put 4 teams from the last competition in the bottom line in one group. Someone comes out of the shower and the talking breast says that Tang Ming is right. The opponents are too weak now, and ending the battle quickly saved them energy to face stronger teams. Wang Jin agrees with her and says that Xiaoying needs to focus on the next match. Song Lu says Xiaoying is unlucky because 2 of the top 3 from that year are not participating, and the only one is from Huawu University. Wang Jin recalls that Lin Jingsing is the president of the martial arts club of Huawu University. The girl turns away from the others while the others discuss who they would like to fight. Wang Jin thinks that Huawu University has a great list of fighters who can make it to the finals, and among them is someone who can find out about her relationship with Tang Ming. Suddenly, Xiaoying grabs the girl by the chest from behind and says that it's time for them to take a shower. She mocks Wang Jin, who cuts her clothes with sword energy. Shower stall, water is pouring out of the shower. Wang Jin is glad that she took a bath. It is so refreshing. She and Tang Ming are engaged, so she must cancel the family marriage contract no matter what. Even if the family resists and gives up the Wang name, she will not regret it. She turns off the water and decides to talk to Tang Ming after the match. Suddenly there is some kind of earthquake, and the building shakes. There is some kind of sensor beeping on the wall. The girls get out of the shower and don't understand what's happening. Wang Jin's phone vibrates on the table. Tang Ming calls her and asks if everything is okay. He will be brief. The competition was attacked by unknown persons. He orders the girls not to come out and says that he will deal with it himself. Tang Ming reassures his girlfriend and says that everything will be fine. He coughs on purpose and asks to get dressed before answering the phone next time. Destruction of the stadium where the competition is taking place. Tang Ming sees the scoundrel and thinks that he is really strong. Teachers from different universities gathered to eliminate the offender. A mentor from Hare University gathers his students and asks them not to panic. The scoundrel in the police uniform says that the escape will not work, because they came to kill all the nobodies. Chao Guodong orders them to stop chatting with him and go to battle. 3 cultivators attack the standing villain. The guy in the police uniform moves very quickly, as if teleporting. The scoundrel can fly and says that the measly 3 6th grade cultivators are no match for him. The university's mentor, Hare, is surprised by the enemy's abilities and says that he is an 8th grade cultivator. Tang Ming looks at this mess and concentrates. The wounded cultivators are healing their wounds and saying that it is impossible to get close to the villain. The teachers ask what can be done, to which one of them replies that there is a huge gap between the 6th and 7th grades, not to mention the 8th. The scoundrel laughs and asks if this is all that university professors are capable of. He raises his hand and concentrates energy in his hand and is about to kill the teachers. Suddenly, a clot of light appears from behind him, and another cultivator hits him, but the scoundrel was able to block the blow. It turns out to be Yue Feng, an instructor at the military academy who recently broke into the 8th grade. The villain's hand smokes from the blow, and he is surprised that there is anyone standing here. He releases a beam of energy from his hand towards Yue Feng. He, in turn, dodges blows at the speed of light. The teachers are shocked that Yue Feng managed to break into the 8th grade. He orders to stop talking. Yue Feng tells them to get better and then they can chat. One of the teachers is surprised that the veins in his body have relaxed, and the internal ki is replenished. An 8th grade cultivator and 4 6th grade cultivators. They have a chance this time. Ye Feng orders the others to block all escape routes and stay out of the way. The scoundrel laughs and says that this is an interesting situation. Ye Feng strikes with his hand, which contains concentrated energy. But the villain dodges this attack, and counterattacks Yue Feng with a right hook to the solar plexus. The 8th class cultivator slams into the wall and coughs up blood. The scoundrel tells Yue Feng that this little man is overestimating his strength. The other teachers are trembling in fear, as the enemy knocked out an 8th grade cultivator with one blow. The scoundrel says that they have guessed that he is a 9th grade cultivator. The teachers are very perceptive. The teacher's auras pale in comparison to the enemy's aura. The stranger tells the scoundrel to stop joking about his class. It turns out to be Tang Ming, disguised as a cleaner. He moves behind the villain and says that he should be ashamed of himself for not even being able to notice him, and he kicks him on the head with unimaginable force. The scoundrel is surprised that he does not feel the slightest breath next to the person, having a 9th grade. The enemy balances in the air and stabilizes. He counterattacks and says that he didn't know that there was another 9th grade cultivator in the capital. 2 fighters simply teleport around this arena. Tang Ming tells his opponent that he is too weak to fight with 8th grade fighters. Why should he wait for next time, when the garbage needs to be taken out on time? He needs to finish the job to get the clothes back. He delivers a hail of blows to the opponent's body. The scoundrel reflects on the fact that all this does not correspond to the information provided by the aliens, and he screams that they will all die together because he will blow up the central boiler. All the teachers are shocked by such words, but nothing happens at the stadium. The villain does not understand what is happening and guesses that his energy is blocked. Tang Ming says that his opponent is not a 9th grade. It's as if he was given this strength. He uses the 7 stars method to seal the key plexuses of the body, and he says that the enemy's levitation is now supported only by him. The villain falls in free fall and screams. Tang Ming says that the opponent won't be able to detonate himself due to the block with his fake 9th grade strength. The scoundrel doesn't understand how this can happen and falls into the trash bin. It closes and says not recyclable. The teachers don't understand who this garbage man is. Ye Feng thanks him for his timely help. Tang Ming exchanges pleasantries and says there is no need to give his name. And he tells them that there is no limit to cultivation for a strong person. The 9th grade is nothing. He instructs them to use the past for the present, inheriting and improving techniques. Tang Ming says that this is all and concentrates energy in the legs. He soars up and says that they will see each other again. The teachers are shocked and don't understand how anyone can get past the 9th grade, but they remember the breakthrough theory. One of them says that humanity will be saved if this theory is true and offers to support Teacher Hua. Cleaning room. Tang Ming slams the door with his gloved hand and opens the door. He is glad that it is finally all over. Tang Ming took too much of a risk when he temporarily raised his strength from the 3rd grade to the beginning of the 9th grade. Even though he only recently broke into 3rd grade, his body is comparable to a 5th grader. Now he needs to cultivate microscopic hardening to stabilize the condition. And he comes up with the idea that aliens have discovered the secrets of human cultivation and are creating 9th grade test subjects. Its revival somehow changed the world chronology and accelerated the process of development of the future. The breakthrough theory is inevitable. The stadium was destroyed, and vehicles arrived to rescue people. Some kind of mechanized eye. This is not a real bird, but a robot that took samples, and flies away, ready to return. A mechanized hand pokes at the screen. An unknown person in a hood and with a red eye shows data on the operation. Their experiment failed, and their test subject is not so strong. The unknown person says that they need more time to study the cultivators. He is also worried about Tang Ming, and asks him to find out who he really is and catch him at any cost. Another answers him that this is the only thing that can be left to the foolish followers of the earthly star. The ancient torch emits blue fire. There is some kind of coat of arms next to it. This is the headquarters of the cult's ascension. Hooded men greet the mentor. He asks to catch Tang Ming, and says that whoever does this will be rewarded by the alien ruler. The wards pray to the master and say that they will serve until death. The man in the robe says that the 9th grade is very strong, that he is afraid of what will happen with their strength. Another one answers him that the Lord has already provided for this. He takes out 5 vials of serum and says that they will have 5 high-class cultivators. And he shows the newest scepter, which has a special destructive power on the energy of the 9th class. The wards are jubilant and say that the ascent is just around the corner. The leader says that the destruction of humanity will be their greatest gratitude to the master. Yifeng reports that 3 criminals were captured. The site was partially destroyed, and there were no casualties. The Cultivators Alliance thanks him for his great work. The head of the alliance says that there are 2 leaders who will lead the team. He also notes that one of the attackers, Feng Long, had reached the initial stage of the 9th grade. The leader says to find out the identity of Tang Ming, who has changed his clothes, but she immediately retracts her words because she is afraid of making him angry. One of the alliance members says that Tang Min can't be trusted. Another notes that they need to be prepared. Usati says that if they cancel the competition, the whole world will laugh at them. They find a solution: hold the competition in virtual reality. The head of the alliance agrees with this decision. He tells Yue Feng to watch the competition. Usati is glad that they accepted his offer because he is from the Mujan family. A news anchor is at the scene of an attack at a competition. She shows a photo of a mysterious man, that is Tang Ming. On the city's main screen, he is shown saying that there is no limit to perfection. And people start to believe in the breakthrough theory. Cafe Tanmin is sitting at a table. The maid brings tea while the protagonist reads the newspaper. He reads the news. It turns out he was only at one of several attacks. Tang Ming is surprised that the Qinmen attackers are weaker than Feng Long. Xiaoying is surprised that the mentor reads newspapers. He asks what she is doing here, to which she replies that she has no rival in fencing. Tang Ming explains that he thought he wanted to get the book through this competition. The teacher approaches them and asks if they are talking about something important. He tells them that the next tournament will take place in virtual reality. Xiaoying is overjoyed and says her fists are itching. Cultivators Alliance Virtual Training Base. Tang Ming tells his trainees to remember to focus. Students enter the virtual space and explore it. Tang Ming notices that this place is specially stimulated like a wormhole. The stranger wants to warn him about something, but a bigger guy pushes him. He turns around to see who this impudent fellow is. He was pushed by Huo Sunshan, a 4th grade cultivator. There are 2 more of the same behind him. They have a very frightening aura. One of the students tells another that Ye Jingxing's fangirls would kill anyone for him. Huo argues with Murongjeng about Tang Ming. They want to fight him. Ye Zhengxing tells Murongjeng that this is just ridiculous. This is the top student in the martial arts exam this year. Ye Zhengxing introduces herself to Wang Jin and her boyfriend. A guy with green hair greets a girl. They have seen each other before. Huo approaches Tang Ming and says that he wants them to fight after the competition, to which the protagonist says that they will fight after. Huo gets upset and tells Muzhong that this is a waste of his time. Tang Ming mocks Zheng and says that Xing greeted him well. The guy from the Muzhong family is furious. Huo looks at him and becomes wary. Zheng says he will leave the future couple, who come from 2 wonderful families, alone. He thinks that death will be a blessing for Tang Ming. The protagonist realizes that Zheng brought Ye Jingxing on purpose. Tang Ming realized that this guy was engaged to Wang Jin. He was a 2nd-year student and already in 4th grade. The girl wants to talk to brother Jingxing. The monitor says that new rules for the competition will now be presented. Jingxing says it's a pity that happy moments are always so short. He takes her hair in his hand, and he gives her a flower that he created out of nowhere. He says they will discuss everything after the competition. The monitor talks about animal spirits, which the students do not understand. Tang Ming sees a virtual bracelet on himself that saves objects into reality. It's a good thing for rewards. The rules are that the losers are eliminated. Hitting other cultivators is prohibited, and if anything happens, they will be judged according to the laws. Currently, there are only 500 first-rank white spirits. The girl notices them and says they look quite cute. She wants to pet him, but this weirdo opens his mouth with huge teeth. The guys start running away from them and ask them not to come near them. Spirits bite the disciples who cry for help. The guy in armor starts destroying his opponents. Meanwhile, Tang Ming had already scored 29 points. Chen Delan is drowning in perfume and begs the protagonist for help. Tang Ming doesn't understand the point of this competition if he will suck out all the spirit beasts. He snaps his fingers and says he will leave the rest to his charges. The girls obey the order and begin to knead the spirits. A deadly needle technique flies into Tang Ming's back. The protagonist uses the lightness of the body in the flying dragon. It turns out that it was Mu Zhongjeng who attacked him. He sucks the glasses from the spirits and tells Tang Ming not to let him down. At this time, Wang Jin is already destroying the yellow spirits. She scored 60 points. Yellow spirits attack and smile. Tang Ming is surrounded and notices that there is something strange about these spirits. He scores 30 points and uses Spiral Void Slash. The previous beasts had randomly attacked everyone, but these ones targeted him specifically. Tang Ming is told that he is truly something. Mu Zhongjeng applies something and speaks forward. At this time, Wang Jin is attacked by red spirits. Ye Jingxing runs to save her, but Tang Ming is faster than him. Her engaged man asks her if she is okay, and looks at Tang Ming suspiciously. Ye Jingxing doesn't understand how 2 third-class beasts could attack one person at the same time. They seem to have one thing in common, which is traces of spiritual poison on their bodies. Mu Zhongjeng explains that he didn't do it on purpose and laughs. Tang Ming tells the others that he is clumsy and there is no need to be angry with him. Mu Zhongjeng gets angry and says that he will fight the protagonist next time. Tang Ming rolls his eyes while Ye Jingxing saw something. Mu Zhongjeng says that the protagonist will still beg for mercy. One of his protégés points his finger somewhere. Behind him there is a group of red beasts. They are 3rd class. Something happens and Mu Zhongjeng is eliminated. Even though this is a virtual space, the pain from the wounds is real. Tang Ming mocks Zheng, as he is such a young and arrogant guy. Ye Jingxing tells everyone to hold on for another 5 minutes. Everybody raise your hands and keep up the morale. Monitor congratulates the 18 people who completed the competition. Tang Ming took 1st place with 121 points. 2nd place went to Ye Jingxing, who scored 120 points. 3rd place goes to Huo Sanshan with 93 points. Ye Jingxing's fans look at him and say how handsome he is. Monitor congratulates Tang Ming on winning the competition. The protagonist apologizes to Ye for the 1-point difference, to which he tells Wang Jin that she wanted to talk to him. The girl clenches her hand into a fist, and she says that she wants to call off her engagement with him. Ye Jingxing understands what happened, and he says that their marriage contract was concluded by the elders of both families, and nothing depends on it. Tang Ming stands up for her and says that nothing will separate them. Ye Jingxing says that since they are so sincere, he should respect Jin's decision. But he's afraid that he alone won't be enough to convince his family, let alone the Wang family. He gives her a flower and she thanks him for his understanding. Tang Ming thanks Brother Ye and asks him to inform his family about the situation. The main characters leave while Jingxing stands still. He smiles and waves at them. Yi Jingxing notices someone and asks what he wants. Someone turns out to be Mu Zhongzheng, who wants to talk to him about something, to which Ye says that they have nothing to talk about. Mu Zhong offers to help him, to which he replies that he doesn't understand what he's talking about. Zheng hints to him that taking his wife away is hateful, and suggests that he destroy Tang Ming. He didn't expect that the main character would start to trample two great families into the dirt. Zheng tries to manipulate the situation to get Ye on his side, but he hits Mu Zhong on the hand with a fan and says that he must go. He needs to go to the Alliance Library. The students drink to Hanbei's victory, and to their mentor Tang Ming. Pukliash and Xiaoying sing, making everyone's heads spin. The two stop singing and discuss why Wang Jin and Tang Ming haven't arrived yet. Xiaoying calls Wang Jin and asks why she didn't come if they had agreed. At this time, Tang Ming is strengthening his strength in his room. Based on the results of the competition, the Alliance selects people who may be suitable for entering the wormhole. But even in this case, it will be just a drop in the ocean. The only way to stop the aliens is to raise the entire power of the Earth from scratch. Tang Ming notices that he has stopped at the 3rd grade peak, and the spiritual stones from Jin are no longer enough to progress quickly. Looks like it's time for him to start thinking about alien space resources. So the people who are best suited for breakthrough are the elderly retired people who have retired due to injury or illness. But the most annoying thing is Jin's engagement. I wonder how she's doing, Tang Ming thinks. Wang Jin fights with a representative of the Wang family. He says that he advised her not to get involved with Tang Ming, but she didn't listen. She explains that she hid it because she was afraid that he would stop her. Wang Jin concentrates energy in the legs and attacks his opponent. He notices her talent for fencing and notes that he cannot win so easily. Wang Jin says that the winner has already been determined, to which he replies that this victory does not decide anything. The family representative explains that Tang Ming and she will do nothing against the heads of the two great families, to which she replies she just believes in her boyfriend. The representative remains silent and watches the girl leave. He understands that he would like to help them, but he simply didn't have time. But he will still help them, because he is the girl's brother. He calls Mr. Ye and introduces himself as Wang Changfeng. Changfeng apologizes to him, to which he says that he wants to discuss it. A roof with 3 guys and an old man standing on it. Young people greet the master of alchemy. He gives them a secret medicine, which he gives them. This elixir is enough to save life. Now that they were all here, he wouldn't waste their time. Huo doesn't understand what's happening, and Ye explains that it's a teleportation spell. The library is a top-secret area, and the Alliance won't show them the official way in. They teleport. The kids find themselves in a library and are given 30 minutes to take any book and return to this place. The master explains that the projection underfoot is a plan of the pavilion. Yi says that these entrances should correspond to the 8 trigrams and 8 doors. Huo wants to avoid the hassle and just walk through the door. Tang Ming knows the structure of the library so well that he can walk with his eyes closed. But he doesn't know the starting position, so he can only move at random. Suddenly something flies out of the wall. These turn out to be blades and needles that fly at Tang Ming. He notices them and just smiles. Tang Ming understands what kind of trap these are, and believes that he has chosen the gate of death. He passes and stops. Tang Ming tells someone to come out and says that President Ye is into stalking. He is impressed by the protagonist's movements, and comes out of the shadows. But Tang Ming's pursuit skills are not as good as Ye's. Jingxing is curious. It seems they are looking for the same book. Tang Ming shrugs, and says that the book will only be given to the person it is intended for. Yi says that in that case their goals are different. He smiles slyly and leaves. Tang Ming walks around the library. Luckily, he knows its location. Among them, this section is a collection of books dedicated to the theory of celestial changes. He releases energy from his hand and directs it into the books. Tang Ming thinks he was mistaken, and the fragments are not here. But suddenly he hears some sound. He sees an unknown person in the smoke who recognizes Tang Ming. It turns out to be Huo, who was exposed to poisonous gas. He reported to his brother that he had fallen into one of the traps and could not find the book for him. Tang Ming simply slapped his forehead in shame. He takes Huo by the chest and carries her with him. The guy is coughing up blood. Huo gets angry about this, but Tang Ming explains that he needs to drink the master's medicine. The guy says in an incomprehensible language that he has already taken his medicine. Tang Ming throws his portion of the potion, and he says that he can take her because he doesn't need her. Huo thanks his new friend. The Cultivation Alliance observes this situation and praises Tang Ming. Meanwhile, The son of the Ye family took the book and came out unharmed. Huo says there are 10 minutes left and asks Tang Ming to name the book he needs. And he starts to sort through all the books on the shelf. He picks up some book and Tang Ming tells him not to do that. But he doesn't make it in time, and they fall into the crevice below them. Tang Ming jumps on walls using energy, and lands neatly on the leg. And Huo falls to one knee like a hero. Tang Ming realizes that he has entered the sorting room. And they need the book from the black box, the most valuable one. But he can't break it without 5th grade strength. Huo says he will get her at any cost. And uses the sand-falling fist, and then the 24 kills technique. He shows the book and says that he got it. Usagi sees this and says that this is already some kind of robbery. The leader tells both of them to shut up, since they were able to get it. Then this is their destiny. Tang Ming thanks Huo and asks for permission to stop the bleeding. The guy is amazed at how quickly the protagonist's technique stopped the bleeding. Tang Ming takes the book and realizes that it is not a fragment. And he gives the book to Huo, who is surprised that it is a heavenly class technique. Tang Ming understands that he won't be able to find anything and wants to get here in a couple of days. An idea dawns on him. He suddenly starts running while Huo asks him where he is going. Tang Ming was looking in the wrong direction from the very beginning. He understands that these books are not sorted because no one has studied them, and they are considered useless. Huo says that these are ordinary books, while Tang Ming examines the shelf with energy. But still nothing. Maybe the main character missed something. Huo mentions a useless book that is used as a support for the stand, and Tang Ming runs towards it. The scholars whom the elder brought were blind to the study of the wordless books. Time is running out, but Tang Ming tries to take the book. Huo asks him if he managed to get the book, to which Tang Ming proudly shows it. Ye says he was afraid the two would return empty-handed. The master is glad that they have all returned and sends them back. He only teleports Ye and Huo, and he explains that Tang Ming is invited by the leader himself. He thanks him for his help. The master was legendary, but died prematurely due to injuries and illnesses. And the largest families tried to resist each other, which ultimately resulted in defeat before the aliens. The office of the head of the alliance, Tan, arrived to the head. He pays tribute. The leader says that Tan was an ordinary student for 16 years, but this year he seemed to have been reborn. In addition, he helped the Wang family and the alliance. Now Tan and the leader are connected. The leader says that his parents were students of his second student, and he treated them like his own children. But during a rescue operation in the wormhole, they were ambushed and died as heroes. Tang Ming says that heaven is impartial in choosing people in matters of life and death. The leader asks the protagonist why this competition is necessary, to which he notes that it is necessary to find candidates for the role of fighters against the aliens. He understands that the boy has a clear mind and excellent vision. Tang Ming continues that to win, one must understand strategy and properly organize a counteroffensive. They must strengthen themselves and not fear their enemies. The head gets up from the table and says that these were golden words. If they have this child, then humanity is saved, and he sheds tears. The leader asks to look at the book that Tang Ming took from the library. He sees her and offers to take another one. Tang Ming explains that she is studying the breakthrough theory with teacher Hua Feng and needs this book. And in the future, she will learn this theory and reveal it to the whole world. Thus, teacher Hua was awarded the title of Theory Master in the entire cultivator world. The head is pleased that the breakthrough theory is possible under such circumstances. But he says that the kingdom's breakthrough is just a legend. And is Tang Ming willing to sacrifice everything for this? The protagonist says that this is just a way to break through the kingdom and increase the power of the land. The leader invites Tang Ming to study with him. The protagonist gets down on one knee and says that he is completely under his control. But before that, he asks permission to return to the university to help Hua. He will return in a month or a week, depending on the results. The head thinks he can afford to wait for such a long time. Tan, as expected, the old man always thinks about the alliance and humanity. At the stadium, the host wants to give a round of applause to the members of the Hanbei Club, Tang Ming, Wang Jin, and Xiao Yingfang. The presenter says that their school was able to achieve great results thanks to the school president. Tang Ming gives a speech to a crowd of disciples, instructing them to protect humanity. The main character's fans are already rooting for him and want to train with him. The presenter says that there will be an interview with Hanbei TV later. Tang Ming tells Xiao Ying to be in charge of the interview, to which she only agrees. The girl tells Uncle Wan that she will definitely help promote Hanbei. Tang Ming chats with Wang Jin, while the host thinks that young people rarely show such determination these days. The protagonist is glad that he is free from all this and is going to go to Teacher Hua, Specialized Research Laboratory. He enters the office and asks for the teacher, and he sees that she is lying on the floor among the books. He touches her forehead and realizes that she has a fever. The internal energy is unstable and confused. It seems that it is overtired. Tang Ming will clear the meridians and fix everything. She will feel better soon. It looks like she worked day and night on her research. The teacher opens his eyes and sees poorly. She looks into space and doesn't understand what's happening. The teacher started to rush around and looked for her glasses. Tang Ming gives them to her and asks if she is awake. He smiles and looks at her. Tang Ming says that the competition is over, and now he can help her. He gives her a decoction and tells her that she should take care of her health. She believes that he is not only a good student, but also a caring boy, and she immediately thinks that she shouldn't think about such a guy, because he is her student. She blushes and turns away from him. Tang Ming asks her to guess what he brought her this time. She sees this book and can't believe her eyes. Tang Ming explains that he found this book in the Alliance Library. Teacher Hua says this could very well be the second half of the book her family has been searching for hundreds of years. This book is called Yahello. Their Hua family has been dedicated to the study of theory for generations. A generation later, her ancestor accidentally received a strange book without a cover, incomplete, but was amazed. This book was about the endless secrets of the earth, and it was called the Yahello Heavenly Book, after the ancestor who found it. But without the other half, her ancestors could not achieve significant progress. She thanks Tang Ming, because now this proves that the breakthrough theory is not an empty hypothesis. But she is afraid that she won't be able to understand, because she doesn't have enough cultivation class. Teacher Hua says that by the time she gets into the next book, humanity will already have lost to the aliens. But Tang Ming talks about a method that might work. He talks about the technology of the spiritual world in virtual reality. After this, Teacher Hua discusses the prospects of this method. She agrees and hugs Tang Ming, thanking him very much. Teacher Hua leaves to negotiate with Mr. Yin Liu. Tang Ming reflects on how her teacher is as excited as a child when it comes to research. 3 days later, the protagonist comes to Hua. She notices that Tang Ming has broken through, and he now understands that he must now reduce his internal ki in front of her. Teacher Yin Liu agrees to lend the virtual equipment for 4 days. He is surprised by the speed of the breakthrough and Tang Ming's training. The protagonist and Teacher Hua put on helmets and ask Yin Liu to launch the virtual reality. A mountain with a blue column of energy rising from its top. Tang Ming speculates that if they go through the forest to the sacred mountain, they might find the answer to the mystery. Yin Liu tries to contact the teacher and her student, but gets no response. He can't maintain stability, so he leaves everything to Tang Ming. Teacher Hua says that there are many useful elixirs in the ancient book. She finds some pink flower, and she says that she must record the appearance and character of the plant. Tang Ming asks permission to show her the truth, and the illusion is dispelled. It turns out that the flower was never here, and he disappears from the hands of Teacher Hua. She does not understand what is happening. Tang Ming explains that people here see what they want to see. Teacher Hua understands this and believes that she should remain conscious all the time. Tang Ming smiles and is confident that she can do it. The protagonist reminds the teacher of their assignment and tells them to move on. Hua points out that isn't the sacred mountain they're going to which Tang Ming asks her again. They reach the foot of the mountain. It's only been 3 hours of walking in the opposite direction, and they've already arrived. Teacher Hua is surprised. She falls to her knees and asks Tang Ming to take a break, but the protagonist wants to hurry. He has a bad feeling about this. Suddenly, a cry is heard from the depths of the forest, and the birds fly away. Red eyes look at them from the forest. Teacher Hua hides behind Tang Ming and asks what the noise is. The sources of the noise turn out to be black wolves with red eyes. They surround Tang Ming and Teacher Hua. She starts to panic and keeps saying the main character's name. One of the wolves starts to attack Tang Ming, but he deftly counterattacks with his fist right into the animal's jaw. Teacher Hua helps him and tells him that 2 more wolves are attacking him. Tang Ming uses the storm spiral technique and thinks that their strength is equal to the 3rd class. The wolves are angry and look at the heroes. Tang Ming believes that it is better not to drag out the fight because there are a lot of enemies. Then he wants to finish quickly. And all the wolves scattered from the powerful force emanating from Tang Ming. Teacher Hua is shocked by such power. She emphasizes that this is the power of spiritual techniques. Tang Ming exhales after the fight ends, while the teacher calls him. But the wolves don't lag behind and appear out of nowhere. The protagonist doesn't understand what it is, and Teacher Hua asks him to stop fighting. She explains that wolves are like those rare plants, just part of the illusion of a heavenly book filled with divine meaning. Tang Ming understood her, and believed that this level seemed like a test of strength, but in reality, it was a test of intelligence and understanding. The wolves begin their next attack. Tang Ming takes Teacher Hua and asks her to hold on tightly. He jumps away from the wolves with her in his arms, and lands on the mountainside. Teacher Hua says she is scared and afraid to death. Tang Ming understands that her mentor is only a 4th grade student, so it is difficult for her to remain calm. But she says they've wasted a lot of time, so they need to move forward. Tang Ming looks at her and realizes that her will is strong and her mind is mature. They crawl up the mountain, but Teacher Hua is already exhausted. Tang Ming offers her his help, but she refuses and says that she will do it herself. but suddenly her fingers slip off the rock. She cries from her helplessness and trembles. Teacher Hua steps on the moss on the mountain and slips, and begins to fall down like a stone. But Tang Ming manages to grab the teacher's hand. The teacher apologized for being a burden, and the protagonist encourages her. The peak of the mountain, which reaches into the clouds, is snowing. Tang Ming carries Teacher Hua's tired body on his back. He asks her not to pass out, but she can't control herself. Tang Ming picks up the teacher's unconscious body with his hands from behind, and he directs his strength into his legs so as not to fall down. He thinks that if they don't crash, they will freeze to death, so they have to cheat. Tang Ming begins to hover above the cliff. Since this place is created by divine consciousness, he can destroy it with his divine consciousness. He looks at the peak of the mountain and concentrates, and he rushes with a powerful leap towards the gaze. He falls and rolls along the rock along with his teacher, and also coughs up blood, gritting his teeth. This time, Teacher Hua wakes up the protagonist, and not the other way around. He wakes up and tries to understand what happened. Teacher Hua says that she doesn't know any healing techniques and is therefore useless, to which Tang Ming replies that he just fell hard, and he says that it's better for the mentor to go and not worry about him. He asks her to enter the beam of light and clear her mind, to use the spiritual power of the body to feel. Teacher Hua stands next to the beam of light while Tang Ming replenishes his strength in the lotus position. She sticks her hand into the yellow light, from which strange symbols appear. She feels something warm and enveloping. She feels very pleasant. Teacher Hua goes completely inside the yellow beam of light. She begins to float in the air as her clothes are torn and disappear. Teacher Hua is getting younger, and she turns first into a girl, then into a teenager, and finally into a small child. Tang Ming is surprised by this and does not understand what is happening. The beam begins to destabilize and expand with the Hua in the form of a child in the center. A powerful explosion of energy occurs at the peak of the mountain. Tang Ming closes one eye from the force of the explosion, and one looks at Teacher Hua. Huge, incomprehensible symbols emanate from the mountain peak into the sky. Teacher Hua returns to her original appearance and says that the endless realm after 9th grade is really incredible. She runs towards Tang Ming, who closes his eyes and points out that she is naked. Teacher Hua doesn't understand and lowers her gaze to her body. After the two left the spiritual realm, they said goodbye to Teacher Yin Liu and immediately began working on the breakthrough theory. They worked day and night to develop the theory of the kingdom's breakthrough. The roof of the university's academic building. Teacher Hua and Tang Ming present the breakthrough theory. The man never in his life thought that he would witness the birth of the kingdom breakthrough theory. Tang Ming explains that only those who have reached the peak of the 9th grade will be able to break through. The man agrees with him, saying that there are only a few candidates for a breakthrough. Tang Ming also talks about the second revolution of cultivators. He wants to form a research group on the theory of breaking through the kingdom in Hanbei, which will help the whole world. And he thinks that his rapid growth is due to the fact that he focuses not only on physical strength, but also spiritual strength. The man thinks that if a revolution takes place in Hanbei, the university will go down in history. Tan Min proposes comprehensive reform of education and examinations. Yin Lo is shocked by such a student and thanks Teacher Hua. The man at the table silently watches all of Tang Ming's ideas. He completely agrees, but the issue is how much money will be needed for such changes. Tang Ming explains that they won first place in the competition, and the director can count on the alliance's support. He also owns 30% of Xiaojia Pharmaceutical shares, which shocks everyone. The man estimates how much it is, and comes up with about 30 billion. Teacher Hua and Yin Liu watch as the man takes off. He takes Tang Ming's hand and says that with his help they will make Hanbei the greatest university. He agrees and understands that he will be much more comfortable at the university. He leaves and mentally tells the teacher to wait for him. The Ascension cult is destroying the city. The helicopter flies over the city and repeats this again and again. The man in the helicopter radios to continue monitoring the situation and says that reinforcements are already online. But suddenly someone else boards the helicopter. The scoundrel behind the man says he found rats from the Cultivator Alliance. He stretches out his iron tentacles and says he wants to have fun. The projection shows the situation inside the helicopter. This matter is being looked at by the composition of the Alliance of Cultivators. The man in red begins to burn with rage. The head of the Ascension cult asks that a mysterious cultivator be found and handed over to them. Otherwise, the lands of China will face the wrath of an alien overlord. The man in red asks for permission to destroy this cult today. His alliance partner says the situation on the battlefield with the aliens is tense. 3 days ago, 3 out of 5 operations completely failed, and one of them was completely destroyed. The man in red says he is not a coward like his alliance partner, to which he offers him a competition and says that he is not afraid of it. The old man at the table says that while there is no leader, they cannot make decisions and must unite. These two leave the table because of this quarrel. The old man reflects on how they can't even manage a small meeting when the leader is in solitude. Little Wenki asks his grandfather to play and pulls his beard. Cultivation Alliance treatment room. Tang Ming is also in this room and says that in order to achieve a breakthrough, one must integrate with the world, nature, and everything else. In a past life, it would have taken more than 10 years before a special type of practice method emerged. The space of the spiritual world, the initial stage, spiritual awakening. Middle stage, spiritual liberation. Advanced stage, spiritual fusion. Peak stage, spiritual distribution. Peak stage, spiritual distribution, process 80%, danger index 43. Things are bad, the QE is not completely purified, the spiritual toxins are not removed. Tang Ming began to refine the Alliance leader's qi with his own efforts. The old man says that if he gives up now, he is afraid that he will never have another chance to break through this kingdom. The leader of the Alliance tells the protagonist that he is not afraid of death after what he has been through. Tang Ming was shocked by these words. The danger index was 55. The teacher says it's all or nothing. If he doesn't die on the battlefield, then he will die on the way to a breakthrough. Now that the teacher's deadly dangerous desire is predetermined, the students must help in any way possible. Tang Ming was honored to be his disciple in this life, and he uses the spiritual technique of cleansing needle. Tang Ming points it at his mentor's forehead. He decides to try to remove the spiritual poison with a spiritual needle, but the success rate is less than 50%. Danger index 45. Internal QE purity is less than 99%. The danger index is 25. The spiritual poison has been completely eliminated. Tang Ming did everything he could. Now the rest depends only on him as the head of the Alliance. The purity of qi is not less than 100%. The danger index is 0. Tang Ming is glad that everything worked out for them. The teacher is surprised that this is a level above the 9th grade, and his qi has become invisible, like that of an ordinary person. And yet, there is an indescribable feeling of fullness. With one swing of his hand, he cut the earth in half. Tang Ming bows to him and congratulates him on his breakthrough into the realm of infinity. The first stage is cleansing the body, then absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. At the peak of the 9th grade, the spiritual and internal qi are perfectly merged, and the qi itself becomes invisible. One who has broken through the realm is one with the nature of heaven and earth, and with one thought can change the natural qi of heaven and earth into an endless flow. There are 5 levels of realm breakthrough: endless, emperor realm, heavenly, divine, and saint realm. In his previous life, Tang Ming had reached the peak of the 9th stage of the emperor realm. Now the leader of the Alliance understood why he felt full of energy despite the fact that his qi was gone. Tang Ming tells him that because of the breakthrough, he can now live for about 300 years, and his body is almost invulnerable. The head of the Alliance bows to the protagonist, to which he replies that a teacher should not do what is intended for a student. Tang Ming reasons that now the mentor will need some time to recharge the enormous spiritual power. The protagonist heard that after the attack at the last tournament, the Alliance sent a team from the Imperial Military Academy to search for the hidden power. Tang Ming remembered that there was something like obsidian on another planet that could suppress qi and reduce the risk. The old man from the Cultivator Alliance asks about the leader's condition, to which the protagonist replies that he has broken through. A community member says that the Fire Huodao went alone to meet with the Ascension Cult. The Ascension Cult is a servant of the aliens, and acts as an intermediary between earthly cultivators and the alien race. But since they are looking for the mysterious person, Tang Ming will meet with them. Hilly terrain, Huodao's encounter with the cult. Elder Wuyin demands a mysterious person from an Alliance member, but Huodao doesn't understand what they mean. An Alliance member strikes and asks to chat with him. The scoundrel jumps behind him and says that the 8th grade cultivator imagines himself to be strong. He shows him the true power of the cult, and raises his hand to strike. But Huodao does not defend himself, but only attacks, without fear of death. The villain blocks the blow and is surprised by the enemy's strength. Fire Huodao covers himself in fire, showing off his art, and uses the technique of leaf fall of the fiery wind. The villain is shocked by such forces. He is at the moment before death, and uses the art of misty transformation. He dissolves and changes his mind about taking Huodao alive in exchange for the mysterious man. The villain demonstrates the martial art of golden mist. Huodao holds his fire sword and rejoices in this battle. He uses the technique of the enraged dragon flame. The villain realizes that Huodao is sacrificing himself to suppress and provoke him. A fire dragon emerges from the Alliance member's sword. Huodao says that the Ascension Cult should go to hell. The villain asks to be saved. Huodao uses the earth prison technique. But another cult member jumps out from behind him and raises his hammer to attack. And attacks him, but an Alliance member blocks the blow. From such a force of the blow, his sword slides along the ground away from his opponent. The scoundrel tells the 5th that it is a disgrace, and he is no good for anything. To which he points his finger at Huodao and asks to kill him. A member of the Cultivator Alliance is already saying goodbye to his life, as his opponents are very strong. The Ascension cult asks to cut off his limbs, eyes, and tongue, so that he can then exchange him for a mysterious man. But at this time, an unknown person hovers above them and mocks them, because it is not fair for a crowd to beat one. The unknown person turns out to be Tang Ming in a mask, who says that the Ascension cult does not follow a martial ethic. The villains look up to him. One of them notes that it was only necessary to inflict a little damage, and the idiot himself immediately appeared. But Tang Ming rushes into the crowd to attack. A guy with a hammer threatens the main character, but he misses because Tang Ming is as fast as lightning, and rushes with blue energy towards another opponent. He kicks him right in the face, causing his head to fall back, and lifts him into the air with the power of thought. And then, in front of everyone, he smashes him to the ground. The Fifth's allies look at their fallen comrade. Tang Ming asks to try to stop them if they have enough strength, to which the villain with a hammer runs into the attack. The head of the villains asks his subordinates not to be impulsive, and orders his henchmen to use the earth prison on the guy with the hammer. But Tang Ming uses the 9 true words, the 4th word, the generation battle technique, and he crushes his opponent into the rock. Huo Dao was shocked by such power. The protagonist killed an 8th grade cultivator with one move. The leader of the villains asks the 2nd and 3rd to inject the serum. They obey and inject the inhibitor into their hands. But Tang Ming manages to get behind the villains. The leader of the villains uses a martial art, a meteor shower, and Tang Ming immediately attacks him. He strikes with his right hand, in which he concentrates his energy. A very powerful explosion occurs on the battlefield. It turns out that some kind of staff is absorbing the energy from Tang Ming's fist. The main character jumps away from them a short distance. The villain explains that despite Tang Ming's strength, they are now all at the peak of the 9th grade and have magical weapons, and their master gave the order to bring him alive. But for killing his brother, they would flay him alive. Tang Ming tells them that they are just obedient dogs who kill their own countrymen. The villains use meteor shower and earth prison, but Tang Ming breaks out of captivity. It instantly closes the distance with enemies, and he uses 9 true words, Ling, and the opponents freeze. The enemies understand and shout that they have nowhere to run, and blue, yellow, and purple energies fly across the battlefield. Tang Ming believes that the opponents cannot be underestimated, and he sees 2, while the 3rd has disappeared from sight. He sees the villain behind him raising his weapon over Huo Dao. Tang Ming uses the 9 words of truth, wind dragon speed. The scoundrel laughs and smiles, but then Tang Ming blocks the enemy's attack and protects Huo Dao. The villain says that the protagonist is just a mortal in front of the scepter, and Tang Ming notices that the qi in his body is not circulating. The protagonist realizes that his opponent did this on purpose, and they cannot defeat him so easily. The enemies explain that Huo Dao is standing on the battlefield, an excellent decoy that forces Tang Ming to protect him. The leader began to talk to the main character, but his partner began to talk about avenging the 4th and 5th brothers. Tang Ming says that there are already people who have gone beyond the 9th grade, and the earth shakes beneath the enemies on the battlefield. Their feet fall into the crevices. They understand that this is not Tang Ming, who stands firmly on the ground, doing this. The leader sees someone flying and says it is him. The leader of the Cultivator Alliance has arrived to help. He says that the Ascension cult, the traitors of planet Earth, will be killed. The leader of the Alliance accumulated energy in his hand and released it on his enemies. Destructive force falls on enemy positions. The burning alive cult leader says that this power is beyond, and that there really is still hope for people. Somewhere on the ground, a reptile peers out, watching all this. The Alliance leader pulls out Huo Dao and thanks the masked Tang Ming. The fireman thinks that if he had not come to the meeting, the cult would have attacked the Alliance. The leader says that Huo Dao is an old grumbler, fierce, but brave and cautious. Tang Ming throws a stone to the leader that fell from the enemy's scepter. The leader of the Cultivator Alliance caught it with his hand. Tang Ming bids farewell to his respected guests, because otherwise his identity will be revealed. And the leader tells Huo Dao that this unknown person will appear again when the time comes. He is a truly strong man, the strongest in this world. Meanwhile, quarrels begin within the Ascension cult. There has been no news for over 2 hours. It looks like 5 elders are in critical condition. One of them leaves and asks to establish contact, and he will report to the master. On the news, a woman and the leader of the Alliance talk about how 5 elders of the Ascension cult were killed. One of the main opponents of the Earth in the cult is listening to all this. The chapter says that the breakthrough theory was successful because he performed an experiment, and he continues that those who do not surrender within 3 days will never be forgiven. Suddenly the screen breaks. The master's assistant asks him not to get angry, to which he says that they should not be distracted. And to counter the breakthrough theory, they have to be at the peak of 9th grade. With the divine energy serum granted by the alien overlord, they will all be able to break through. Meanwhile, Tang Ming restores his chi with the high-purity spirit stones from Jin. But they ended, although the aliens had already understood the properties of obsidian. Both of these stones can only be obtained by going deeper into the wormhole. The teacher asks Tan Ming to come to him through the intercom, and he says that there are two things he wants to talk about. He plans to appoint Huo Dao as the head of the team and get rid of the cult and revive the alliance. The leader of the alliance allows the 18 best young participants of the tournament to go into a wormhole to an alien planet, to which Tang Ming bows, thanks and says that he is ready. The leader tells the protagonist that he wants to show something. He shows him the obsidian stone and explains its properties to him. Tang Ming tells him that these stones can control Qi, which will increase the success of the kingdom's breakthrough. And he suggests that the head of the alliance assign newcomers to discover obsidian veins. The head of the alliance agrees with this proposal and says that this is what they will do. Huo Dao says he has seen such stones in wormholes before. That wormhole was level 3, low danger level, ideal place. The leader asks Huo Dao to guarantee the newcomer's safety, and he agrees. In this case, the head of the alliance asks to send them to the island of the fire dragon in the wormhole Hal. Notification of the alliance's dispatch soon reached 18 students. They will first meet at the alliance headquarters to prepare, and then enter the wormhole. The first stage was theoretical, where they talked about wormholes and the enemies inside them. The second stage is the equipment worn by the Alliance Army and various combat equipment. The third stage is comprehensive simulation training, simulating real combat in a virtual environment. Wang Jin misses him very much. Fang Xiaoying simply adores being in his company, and Huo wasn't that familiar, but already feels a spiritual closeness. The others also treated Tang Ming with respect and reverence, except Jinxing, the one that girls fall for. But he just glances at them and turns away with contempt. The position of the head's disciple, Wang Jin's fiancée, the admiration and respect of the people, all belong to Tang Ming. The protagonist noticed Jinxing and greeted him, but he only answers coldly and immediately turns away. Huo doesn't understand this and asks the heroes what's going on with him. The boss explains the wormhole to the students. The Fire Dragon clan joined the alliance on the mineral-rich planet to help establish a defense base. The girls are shocked. Can life even exist in such a place? To which the boss replies, yes, creatures on such a planet feed on fire and heat. Now they will be given their combat suits, and once everyone has put them on, they will need to press the green dot on their hand to tighten the suit according to their body type. The woman undressed. Xiaoying is happy with the suit because it does not hinder movement and is very flexible. Suddenly someone spanks her on the butt. A girl with red hair compliments Xiaoying's figure. But those two look at Wang Jin's appearance, and they look at her figure with embarrassment. They like her very much. Xiaoying asks what these cat ears are and is told that they are for communication. She accuses Tang Ming of spying, but he explains that they turned on the radio mode. All the students stand in front of the main character and the boss. The girl is embarrassed in this tight suit. Tang Ming explains that their battle suits are not just clothing, but a tool for survival, and that they are no longer students in an ivory tower, but soldiers who defend their planet. They answer yes, to which he tells them to speak louder. The boss is pleased with Tang Ming and is proud to have such a leader. Jinxing is dissatisfied with the protagonist and looks at him with disdain. 3 days later, 18 newcomers set off for Hare in a small transport. They see a forward frontline fortress blocking the wormhole. This is a closed military zone with a special barrier, invisible to ordinary people. Ships fly into it. The 5th Elder in the Fire Dragon League welcomes the students. He leads them into the wormhole and reminds them that safety comes first. Elder B asks the students to fasten their seatbelts. They enter a wormhole that looks like a portal, and at the exit they fly out very quickly. All students experience overload, and again they enter this blue hole. Elder B welcomes the students to the alien battlefield. They land at a space base. Tang Ming stands and smiles next to Huo, who feels dizzy from seasickness. Elder Bai meets the disciples and says that entering the first wormhole always has a side effect. But something happened. A powerful explosion occurs outside the base, and he asks not to worry because this is not a serious attack. Wang Jin discusses the Fire Dragon League's techniques, which utilize fire and explosions. Tang Ming explains that such an environment filled with the fire sign is a true home for Fire Dragon unification cultivators. Elder B praises the protagonist for such words, and he says that the requirements for joint technology are very high, and it cannot be accomplished by people without chemistry between them. There's an explosion behind him, and he says that it's their Dragon Gate, protecting the city from aliens. The students stand with their mouths open and say that this is madness. Elder Bai says that showing mercy to the enemy in battle is the greatest sin, and he goes to show them the base. Students say this base is huge, even bigger than a frontline fortress on Earth. The old man shows them a monument to the battle for Fire Dragon Island. The students look over the cliff and say that people have returned from the front lines. They are all bloodied and some are limping. The man reports that the alien squads have been eliminated, and that the remaining ones will die without provisions. There are dead and wounded, But the elder says he will do everything possible to compensate. The soldier can go to rest. Huo is seething with rage, but Tang Ming tries to calm him down. Julie and Huorong also arrive to report to the elder. They arrive just in time and asks to be introduced to the students. These are the second-generation disciples, Julie and Huorong, 6th grade cultivators. Jingxin asks the elder to divide the recruits into 2 teams. The girls are already taking their place next to Jinxing. Ah Huo is happy that he will be on a team with Tang Ming. But the main character will be on a special mission, and Huo says that he will protect his assistants. The elder dismisses the new recruits and asks them to settle in and gain strength. The next day, after a short preparation, everyone went their separate ways to complete the mission and explore the situation. Tang Ming walks alone. His target is approximately 200 kilometers south of the base. From the base, Tang Min headed south. He crossed 2 checkpoints. I also encountered several patrols in groups of 5, and he continued to delve deeper into the alien lands in the south. Desert zone. Tang Ming notices something, and suddenly an attack comes from the ground against him. He dodges and sees something huge. Tang Ming lands neatly on his foot. This is a scarlet fire snake. It is equivalent to a 3rd or 5th grade human cultivator. Judging by its size, it must be hundreds of years old at the peak of the 5th class. This creature is trying to eat Tang Ming with its mouth, but he dodges and thinks that such a ferocious snake has a fatal weakness. And this, he uses Ice Touch. And she says that she is afraid of the cold. Tang Ming gets up after his opponent falls and dusts himself off. He looks at the defeated snake, and it takes away the poison, which immobilizes the human body for a short time. He looks at the sky and thinks that he needs to hurry. An hour later, Tang Ming is also walking through the desert. He stopped and suspected something. The main character sees a detachment of soldiers, and he thinks that this is some kind of patrol. They approach him and say that they are Fire Dragon Island Patrol number 1520, Captain Luo Jixiang. The guy recognizes Tang Ming and says that he really became the disciple of Chief Li, and he explains that the magnetic interference in this area is very strong, making it impossible to establish communication. Tang Ming apologizes and says that he has to go and thanks them for their kindness. The squad leader sees him off and tells him that this area is very dangerous, and he needs to be careful. The protagonist leaves and thanks the head of the patrol squad. He looks after him and throws down his hand, showing 2 fingers on it. The chief's entire squad rushes to attack Tang Ming's back. They do a lot of backstabbing, it's very mean, but the traitors' weapons clash with each other, and they understand nothing. Tang Ming stands to the side and asks what they are doing. The boss reasons that the protagonist can maintain visual projection for a second. He is a 5th class cultivator. The commander says that the recruit is trying to infiltrate the restricted area, and is suspected of collaborating with the enemy, and orders him to be killed. Tang Ming uses the 9 true words, Ling. The whole squad is shocked by the spiritual technique. How did he know that something was wrong with the patrol? Tang Ming explains that his signal was picked up well, which means a member of their team had a jammer, especially since they had moved far from the Fire Dragon Island base. He would be a fool not to notice it. The squad leader believes that Tang Ming knows too much and cannot be left alive. He concentrates the energy in his hands, which he crosses over his chest. Tang Ming looks at him with disdain and waits. The commander says he doesn't give a damn about a 5th class enemy, and uses techniques equal in strength to a 6th class one. He recognizes the boy by his Earth Stage technique and Great River Sword. He is indeed from the Luo family. The commander is shocked and does not understand how the enemy knows. Tang Ming asks him if he blocked the signal. Why would he hide? And he says that a righteous person on the path of Tao will achieve anything. A huge blue explosion occurs on the battlefield. The squad leader is smoking and coughing up blood. Tang Ming is happy that he is using a heavenly stage technique for the first time after reincarnation. He ties a knot with a rope on a tree, and he ties the villains to a tree in the cave. He didn't expect the snake toxin to be needed so soon in such quantities they wouldn't be able to move for 5 days. Tang Ming leaves them and wants to find out what they are doing in such a remote place, and decides to pick them up on their way back. Scarlet Flame Gorge, the main character, is finally there. He heard something and immediately reacted. Tang Ming uses the technique of merging with the landscape, and he understands that the Luo family is covering for the aliens. He didn't expect that the traitors of the Earth would infiltrate the battlefield with them. He sees obsidian in the alien's hand. They are looking for him. This is the Rakshasa race. They have a very strict hierarchy, and they are natural fighters. Judging by their clothes, they are first-class warriors with the strength of human cultivators of the 3rd, 5th class, and the slaves are untouchables, that is, unworthy of life. Tang Ming is making a tactic to destroy them. There are only 10 of them. The protagonist hears the enemy scolding the slave for digging too little, and he begins to beat him on the back with a whip. His partner asks Ebolo to calm down, because they won't have enough hands, because several people have already died. He really enjoys torturing slaves, And at that moment, Tang Ming smashes the alien's head into pieces. He uses the 7 constellations touching technique, 24 piercing stings. The 2 aliens begin to panic and tremble in fear. Tang Ming ends up behind one of them, and the slave resigned himself to his fate. But suddenly the alien's head bursts, and the poor guy gets scared. Corpses remained on the battlefield after the aliens clash with Tang Ming. The protagonist sees the slaves and understands that they did not stand up for the old man because they followed the rules. They realize that there were no more rules and were ready to fight to the death. Tang Ming tells them that he will not harm them and gives them the right to take the spaceship and return home. They ask him if this is what he is looking for, and the girl hands him the obsidian in her hands. She introduces herself to IG, their home was destroyed, and they were made slaves and forced to dig stones like these. Her grandfather tells her that it is better not to cooperate with Earthlings, to which she replies that they are waging war with the Rakshasas. Tang Ming recalls that he never interacted with this Jilliking race because he had never been on the front lines. The girl wants to thank the protagonist by accompanying him to where they found obsidian deposits. Tang Ming understands that the girl wants him to help her a little more. He could have found the obsidian vein himself, but with her help it would be faster. Tang Ming agrees to help find a Jillising woman named Emitada, but does not promise that he will find her. The girl asks her benefactor to follow her. The old man asks Her Majesty IG not to talk so easily, and she, in turn, uses sound waves when communicating with the benefactor. Deep in the cave, Tang Ming looks up and feels his chi being affected inexplicably. He concentrates his power in his hand and cuts through the rock in the cave. The main character finds entire deposits of obsidian and is happy about it, but someone with red eyes crawls out of the stones. Tang Ming sees this and stands still. The girl covers him and asks her benefactor not to move. Tang Ming tells her that he is not a coward to hide behind her back and brushes her away with his hand. He pressed her to himself and used the black frost blade, cutting the enemy in half. This opponent was some kind of reptile. 2 parts of this creature fall in different directions from the main character. Tang Ming recognizes these enemies. They are alien creatures called salamanders. The girl tells the main character that there are more like them perched on the walls. Tang Ming asks the old man and the girl not to come near and says that he will take care of it. He uses 10-touch ice touch. The fallen salamander lies with a piece of ice in its head. There are still a bunch of these scattered across the battlefield. Tang Ming sits on the mountain of such creatures and looks at the girl and the old man. He had already used the 4th word of the 9 true words, so he wouldn't be able to use it for 3 days. But the ice touch they learned at the university was good at restraining fire creatures. The girl thanks Tang Ming for saving her, and the old man asks where people get so much strength if they have the same body structure. The main character wants to go into the crevices and check out something strange there. There's a very important obsidian vein here. We need to make sure it's safe. There are no more salamander attacks, so it looks like there won't be any more. He covered almost 100 meters. Where does this passage lead? The main character sees light at the end of the tunnel, and comes out of the crevice. At the exit, he sees that deep in the gorge of Scarlet Flame there is a powerful spiritual flame. It is blocked by an obsidian vein, and over the years this massive energy entity has formed. Tang Ming realizes that this place is literally a natural replica of the medicine chamber where he was practicing tempering. But the cultivation conditions here are thousands of times better than in an artificial cabin. The matter brooks no delay. A day later, Tang Ming opens his eyes and red energy flows out of them. In just 1 day and 1 night, his level rose from the beginning of the 5th grade to the peak of the 6th. But what's even better is that, with this pure fire attribute energy, he will be able to utilize the abilities of his past life, the Red Lotus Karma. And now, with the breakthrough, the heavenly steps are only the beginning for those who have broken through. In the past life, techniques were divided into 8 levels: universal, infinite, unknown, heavenly, earthly, black, and yellow. And this technique that he mastered belongs to an unknown level. But he needs to leave here, because if he absorbs the fire attribute excessively, the 5 elements will be out of balance, and this will cause irreparable harm to the body. He looked at the obsidian deposits and now gets down to business. Tang Ming mines some valuable stone and believes that it will be enough for the small number of people who have broken through. Outside the mine, the protagonist sees that the Jillisons have already equipped the ship with everything necessary for the flight home. The girl notices Tang Ming, who asks if she is going to stay here. She replies that their home was colonized by Rakshasas, and now they remain here, in this stronghold. Tang Ming thinks that the Jillisings are very smart, but in the eyes of their enemies, they only deserve low physical labor. And he offers to give them grains suitable for sowing on this land. He decides to leave them here for a while because they are aliens too. In addition, Tang Ming places his hand on the girl's head and she is filled with energy. The old man is scared, but the little girl calms him down. A burst of blue energy occurs between Tang Ming and the girl. Unknown symbols are drawn into her head. He gave her some basic methods of practicing spiritual energy absorption, so that they would be able to defend themselves. The girl jumped up and kissed Tang Ming. She jumped and landed on her feet, and she explained this by saying that she had heard that this is how people thank each other. The old man realized what was going on, and he also goes to thank Tang Ming. He runs away and says that he will contact them in a while. The girl reasons that they have earned the trust of their benefactors from Earth quite well. They must establish a strong alliance with the people in order to regain their independence. Tang Ming hears all this and thinks that their intentions are sincere, and he leaves them, stopping eavesdropping. He lands at the entrance of the cave. The squad that attacked him was depleted. Tang Ming didn't expect this outcome. Somewhere at the base of the Fire Dragon Island, an unknown person reports to the Lord on the throne that Luo Jixiang's patrol disappeared a day ago. It is also reported that the recruits arrived and split into two groups. They recognize Tang Ming and think that it was he who did bad things to their squad, but they refuse to kill the main character so as not to alert their opponents. Now their priority is the new plan that the aliens will carry out. The leader orders to monitor Tang Ming's movements. Perhaps he will die at the hands of others. Fire Dragon Base. The protagonist is asked what he found, but he doesn't answer. Jikin says that they have already found deposits containing 200 tons of stone. Jinxing is glad that at least sometimes Tang Ming is useless. Suddenly, an elder enters the room and calls the main character. He says that Huo Sanshan and the others are in trouble. The elder explains to them that the signal disappeared 10 minutes ago. Tang Ming immediately goes to help them, and Jinxin is also with him. 3 hours before the second group's signal was lost. Xiaoying says they have been searching for more than 2 days, and there is no trace of the mine. Suddenly, a squad member notices movement on the detector. Wang Jin asks what it is, and she replies that the signal is moving. The guys from the Fire Dragon clan exchange glances. Huo and Xiaoying ask their friend Cheng to help them, and they grind the earth's rock under their feet. Worms come out from there. Huo is hot, and Xiaoying says they are slippery and disgusting. The Fire Warrior says they are harmless, but it is better not to touch them, because they feed on earth and minerals, which they melt with their high-temperature saliva. The Fire Warrior and the others are getting ready to go home, having traveled more than 500 kilometers west. Huo and Xiaoying refuse to return. Wang Jin suggests going to the Red Rock Ridge that is in front. It is not far. The Fire Warrior and his partner discuss how they didn't expect the newcomers to be so motivated. They all go together towards the signal coming from the mine. All squad members receive the same signal. The Fire Warrior realizes that something is wrong here. Xiaoying found the signal location and stood on the hill. But it dawns on the Fire Warrior. Some kind of powerful wave of energy flies very quickly across the area. The Fire Warrior covers Xiaoying and tells her to watch out. He uses the fire technique Flame Shield, and the wave of blue energy breaks. The Fire Warrior commands caution. This is an alien magnetic cannon. He explains that they have lost contact with the base and need to use techniques to determine the number of enemies. His partner uses 10-facet vision and says that there is a magnetic cannon on the hill, 30 alien creatures, and a regular army. He panics and says they are surrounded. The squad members are not very happy about this news. Huo and Xiaoying remain motivated and ready to fight their enemies. The Fire Warrior is glad that these two newcomers are keeping the team's morale up at a time like this. They get into a fighting stance and prepare for battle. The Fire Warrior covers the squad while they rotate. All the fighters run through the gorge, but the presenter stops. It turns out they've reached a dead end. The Fire Warrior can't believe it, and his partner says it's his fault. Wang Jin suggests holding out for an hour and then counterattacking with the rescue team. The entire squad agrees with this proposal. The Fire Warrior is about to organize the first line of defense. Everyone is formed at his command. He asks Lao Chung to turn on the portable defense array. He places some kind of sign. This is an alliance defense spell. It can effectively protect against alien magnetic beam. But it is not infinite, and aliens are attacking it. A squad of aliens appears before our heroes. The Fire Warrior takes out his swords and wishes the bastards a quick death. He uses a fire technique, cross-decapitation. The cannon collects energy, and fires a destructive beam at the protective field. Xiaoying points with his finger where to look. There are alien tanks standing there and loading their guns, and they fire their shots in the same way. But with one hit they hit their own soldier, which Huo emphasizes, and he notices that the protective field is starting to crack. The alien leader commands to attack. At that time, our squad of heroes is ready to accept the battle. The Fire Warrior uses fire techniques, an unrestrained dance. People beat up enemies while Huo counts his kills. Xiaoying and Jin deal with their opponents gracefully. Another man is piercing the alien with his abilities. The enemies retreat after such an unsuccessful attack, and the Warrior of Fire understands something. He commands everyone to retreat back. Huo doesn't understand why this is necessary. And then 2 rays fall to the ground. They explode loudly with red energy. 2 powerful aliens emerge from there. These are the Judge's Warriors, the lowest strength equivalent to the 6th class. The Fire Warrior asks his partner to give him a drink, but the latter doesn't understand what's going on. He takes greedy gulps, and it flows past his mouth. The fire warrior rejoices at such a massacre and commands Chung to take the rest and break through. He uses some kind of technique. This is the forbidden secret technique of the fire dragon, the immortal warrior. Xiaoying and Huo are delighted at this sight, and only Chung understands that this technique cannot be used on Earth, since at the end the soul is destroyed and the QE burns out. But on this planet he simply loses years of life. The fire warrior charges alone against a crowd of aliens. He uses a fire technique, the flame whirlwind. Aliens see a pillar of fire. They tell him that he is just a pathetic man who does not dare reveal his lineage to the judges. Chung commands the squad to break through the flank. Huo is against this, but Wang Jin explains to him that they cannot be rash. He doesn't like it, but he has to listen to orders. He runs first and says that he will clear the way for them. The squad breaks through and defeats the enemy. Huo accumulates energy in his hand and uses the technique of earthly ranked arts, the huge palm of 1,000 years of pain. Chung admires his allies' abilities. Huo asks to retreat while he blocks the alien's path. But enemies also approach from behind. Huo gives it his all and scatters them. He commands the others to keep their heads down and run while he recklessly attacks the enemy. The squad is shocked by such words and watches as Huo is attacked by an alien fighter judge. He uses the huge palm of 1,000 years of pain, but it can't withstand the force of the impact and flies off. Old man Huo bumps into his ally. The judge says that no one will leave the battlefield. The recruits understand that the enemy's strength is at its 7th grade peak, and the alien throws out his hand and tells the people to die. An explosion occurs in a group of people, but the alien sees that something is wrong, and then Tang Ming appears, who protected the squad on his cool bike. The wounded Huo says that Huo Rong needs to be saved. Tang Ming orders Zhu and Qi to assist Huo Rong while he takes care of the judge. He attacks the alien and tells him that his opponent is him. There is a fierce fight between two fighters. Jingxin asks Jin how she is, but she tells Tang Ming that his opponent is at the peak of the 7th grade. The guy with green hair thinks that the main character will lose the fight, but Tang Ming holds his own against the alien. The enemy tells the protagonist that despite his strength at such an early age, he will still lose. Tang Ming tells him that he has a great plan, but he is too naive and shows a red lotus in his hand. The alien recognizes the energy condensation, the scarlet lotus that burns all sinners. The alien gets scared by this and runs away. Tang Ming releases the flower from his hand and commands it forward. He reaches his goal and incinerates the alien, screaming in pain. The recruits are shocked by Tang Ming's strength. Xiaoying and Wang Jin are proud of their mentor. Jingxing is furious at the protagonist's abilities. The detachment in the gorge was left without enemies. Tang Ming says they did well, but the battle is not over yet. The whole squad agrees to go with him to help the fire warrior. On the other side of the gorge, Huo Rong and his partners are still fighting. He fights the aliens fiercely, and his life is gradually burning out because of technology. His partners carry out combination attacks, and the two of them fight the alien. Huo Rong thinks that if they don't manage to kill the judge, they will lose. The alien taunts that even with their combined strength they cannot defeat him. But suddenly there is a loud explosion behind him. The alien asks if his partner Tana has returned. Outlines are visible from the cloud of smoke. It turns out to be our squad of heroes led by Tang Ming. The alien doesn't understand how this is possible. Huo Rong is happy about this and says that it is time for the enemy to die. Jingxing uses the 5 elements technique, Wind Strike, and he thinks that he can't let Tang Ming take all the credit. Even if he kills the alien judge, he will still be the best. This is his chance. He uses the 5 elements technique hidden underground. And while the fire warriors fight the alien, Jingxing appears behind the enemy and uses a manipulation technique. And then he uses the technique of the 5 elements, metal. This is the perfect combination of the 5 elements of his Ye family. He tries to hit the alien and thinks he's caught, but the enemy turns around and anticipates the recruit's actions. Jingxing falls somewhere and 2 terrible eyes look at him. He doesn't understand what's happening to him. Jingxing uses essence manipulation technique differently to protect his soul. An alien approaches him and tells him that he cannot be attacked so presumptuously, and tells him to die. Jingxing's body burns with purple fire. He screams and says that he cannot die. Jingxing demands mercy and will give his all if they help him kill Tang Ming. Jingxing's eyes are covered with red pigment, and he blows off the alien's head. The aliens see this and move away. A man from the squad praises Jingxing for such a job. Huo tells Tang Ming that he didn't expect Ye to be so strong, and the protagonist suspects something. Jingxing says the alien leader is dead, but it's too early to relax. The entire squad of recruits rushes into battle with increased morale. Half an hour later, the fire warrior thanks Jingxing for his great contribution to the victory. Xiaoying is glad that it's all over, and Wang Jin says that it's all thanks to Tang Ming, who cheers everyone up and explains that their strength and experience have improved since then. Cheng sees Ho Rong fall and runs to him. Huo calls Xiaoqing here. Ho Rong's hair turned gray and he himself looked old. Besides, he himself only dies, and does not die in battle. Tang Ming explains that Huo Rong's ability took years of his life, but he can reverse it. But the fire warrior says that little can be returned in an hour. Tang Ming protests, and says that Huo Rong must remain clear-headed and focused to avoid dying during the process. Everyone has doubts, but Wang Jin is confident in her boyfriend. Ho Rong laughs and says he is not afraid of such a challenge. Tang Ming takes out a scarlet lotus from his hand. Ho recognizes this technique. Tang Ming points his hand with the scarlet lotus towards Huo Rong. Xiao Ying demands silence, and Wang Jin says his boyfriend will succeed. A scarlet lotus rests on the head of the fire warrior. Tang Ming uses the 9 true words. The third word, the warrior contract. The scarlet lotus begins to spin furiously, and red waves emanate from Ho Rong's head. The fire warriors are shocked by such a masterful method of managing ki. Huo, Xiaoying and Wang Jin look at this with surprise. Jinxing passes by and looks at him with disdain. He approaches the body of the fallen alien, and absorbs his energy and thanks the patron for the gift. He smiles and his eye turns black with a purple pupil. Waves of scarlet lotus disperse. Tang Ming explains that this is the limit of energy that Huo Rong can absorb in this state. The fire warrior is surprised that the loss of life energy has been reduced from 10 years to 1 year. He was at the peak of 6th grade, but today he finally broke through to 7th. Huo Rong thanks Tang Ming and says that he will repay him for his kindness. The brothers from Ruo Hong's clan congratulate him on his breakthrough and the fact that he sacrificed only 1 year of his life. Tang Ming asks Huo to tell him how they met the aliens. Little brother starts telling a very long story, gesturing actively. Tang Ming thinks as he listens to this story. He understands that even the Luo family in the Fire Dragon sect is undercover, which means that the aliens are active. Huo didn't understand anything and asked if the actions in the north were really a diversionary tactic, and if they were really surrounded. Tang Ming explains that this is just his guess, but he is almost 100% sure of it. Ye says they came from the east, and there were no aliens there. Tang Ming explains that the aliens will not miss the opportunity to attack the Fire Dragon base from various directions. Ye understands that the main character is very smart and resourceful. He needs to get rid of him quickly. The soldiers in the squad ask what they should do, to which Huo replies that they don't need to be afraid, and that they will kill everyone together. The girls completely agree with this outcome of events. Huo asks Brother Tang to tell him, and Ruo Hong also begins to ask him. The protagonist explains that although they are all first-class fighters, there are too few of them, and they can only do so much. He proposes to take advantage of the current situation as a surprise attack, and go straight into the enemy's rear. The entire squad agrees with the protagonist's plan. Ruo Hong is proud of Tang Ming because he is calm and talented, not at all like a student who has just set foot on an alien planet. How can a young cultivator, less than 20 years old, be so experienced on the battlefield? The Fire Dragon cult member continues. One of the Fire Dragon clan says that a surprise attack requires precise information about the enemy's position. Otherwise it will be difficult to deliver an accurate blow. Tang Ming agrees with him, and they cannot act rashly. But regarding information about the enemy, he suggests that they ask the alien's corpse for a judge. The squad doesn't understand how it is to ask a severed head. Tang Ming explains that the alien's body is so powerful that even if it dies, the electrical signals inside its brain are still in a state of slow decay. Yi hears this and shows his displeasure. Tan Min says this means that they can obtain information from the dead through effective means. He uses the 9 words of truth technique, and creates spiritual technology with his own hands. It uses instant spiritual connection. His eyes twinkle, and he sees all the information about the enemy through the fallen opponent. He reasons that the judge, being a middle link in the aliens' military operations, they have access to relevant information. Tang Ming sees a plan that calls for an attack from all sides, and then a sharp retreat to attack from the east to paralyze their command center. The main character sees this and rejoices, as if he knew the whole plan. He shows his squad the general picture he got from the judge's head about the deployment of alien forces. What they encountered was likely 2 squads of guards they had sent to check the perimeter. Fortunately, their army has a strict hierarchy, and command of the units is concentrated in the hands of the leader, that is, the judge. The Fire Dragon clan fighter points out that the aliens are unaware of their presence, and Tang Ming agrees. Zhou Hong is shocked that the aliens were able to transport a 5,000-strong army across the eastern and western lines without leaving a trace. Tang Min explains that the enemy's blitzkrieg plan relies heavily on a constant flow of support, and if they cut off the supply line, the enemy will be routed. Zhou Hong says the aliens understand this, and have placed 3 supply points in different locations. Tang Ming suggests attacking from the east from the shadows, and creating a diversionary tactic. He wants that as soon as the main enemy forces begin the attack. Elder Lao Chung uses the communicator from the judge's body to send false information about the detection of an enemy army near the supply line. Then the 3 seniors will attack together to create the impression of a mass battle. Then the rest will disperse in 3 different directions, find an opportunity to blow up the warehouse, and destroy the supply point. Ruo Hong and his Fire Dragon clan fighter agree to this plan. Tang Ming suggests starting to form groups. Huo, Yuqian Yin, and Cheng Dalun will be in charge of the first supply point. Jin, Xiaoying, and Xiaoqing will be in charge of the second supply point. Tang Ming suggests that Brother Ye and he take charge of the third supply point together. He agrees and thinks that the protagonist is testing him. Chenling is given a radio and asked to report to headquarters about the alien infiltration situation and their battle. An old man is already shouting on the radio and asking if they are okay. The messenger replies that they were attacked by 2 squads of aliens, and thanks to Tang Ming, everything turned out well. Suddenly, the radio reports that the western and eastern fronts are under attack. The contact tells the squad that he has lost contact with the base. Tang Ming wonders if the aliens have changed their plans. He gets on the motorcycle and presses the pedal to the metal, and commands the rest to go forward. They all get on their bikes and ride to the base. Fire Dragon Base Operations Headquarters. Soldiers report that the enemy has launched a surprise attack, and the western front has been broken through. Fire Dragon Sect Elder Zhou requests that cultivators be dispatched to defend the base. The soldiers agree with the order, and do not delay in execution. Zhou thinks that the main force cannot return in time, and the master is in seclusion. The henchmen of the Fire Dragon Sect leader tell him not to worry, and that a request for help has already been sent to Earth. One of them says that the Luo family will protect the island because it is rich in minerals. Attack on the Fire Dragon's base. Shields cover the base from shots. A massive salvo from tank guns. Soldiers who use the protective spell cough up blood. The fighter sits down at the gun and begins firing back. But someone used the water supply system and understands that he cannot shoot at the enemy because he cannot see anything. The base's shields are cracking. The alien frontline commander says that in another half day, they will take the island. Even the strongest defense will fall if it is destroyed from within. Tanks still attack the base's shields. The alien commander-in-chief commands the offensive to begin. But suddenly he receives a notification with a danger sign. He hears that Transport Squad 2 and 3 are under attack. The commander-in-chief realizes that the Earthlings are not so stupid, since they attacked the supply lines. If the soldiers are recalled and the line is not broken through in one blow, all their efforts will go to waste. He orders the soldiers on the front lines to hold the battlefield and not retreat, and to maintain the supply line. People notice that the enemy's advance has slowed down, and the Air Force is also retreating. This is reported to headquarters, and the commanders-in-chief do not understand what is happening. Zhou tells the others that despite everything that happens on the battlefield, the people are prepared for any outcome on the battlefield. The alien commander has a window pop up. He asks how things are on the battlefield and is told that no enemies have been detected. The commander-in-chief does not understand anything and orders to return and defend supply points. At this time, he sees how his army is being defeated by people, and he realizes that it was a trap. Zhou is informed that 3 explosions have occurred behind enemy lines and that the aliens are now retreating. He understands that they must not retreat with such an advantage. Zhou raises his hand and commands them to follow him. They begin to counterattack and defend their base actively. Even Zhou himself uses techniques and deals with his opponent's techniques. His wards tear apart enemy tanks with their hands, and the battlefield is cleared of alien equipment and of the aliens themselves. The alien commander-in-chief is displeased and says that he swears that he will take revenge. Tang Ming's squad sees explosions ringing out near the base and realizes they have won. Zhou Hong says that they have nothing to do now, because the Western Front has already been completely defeated. The entire squad thanks Tang Ming for such a wonderful plan. He explains that this victory happened because they were all united and fought to the last, while the aliens were overconfident. The soldiers from the Fire Dragon clan thank the protagonist for the victory. Tang Ming turned around and looked at Brother Ye. He asks what's the matter, why they're looking at him like that. He understands that he was with Ye Jingxing from the very beginning to continue monitoring him, but he actively cooperated throughout the operation. Is he really not under the influence of aliens? Tang Ming thanks Brother Ye for his help and decides to wait and watch. He orders everyone to go to base and celebrate the victory. But Jingxing stands behind the entire squad, and an awkward smile appears on his face. When Tang Ming returned to base, the battle had already ended. The Zhu Flame Squad is met and told to go straight inside. They don't understand what's going on. He explains that the Western Front has been recaptured and the aliens have left. All the people go inside the base and repair the walls of the building. Tang Ming hears how the commanders-in-chief are supporting the soldiers' morale. The old man meets his soldiers and is glad that they returned alive. They tell what happened to them on the battlefield. Now he understood why the aliens had slowed their attack and retreated without a fight. He thanks Tang Ming for his excellent work, But Tang Ming is just shy and says that it is thanks to their joint efforts. A member of the Cultivator Alliance pats the protagonist on the back and says that he is a great guy. Tang Ming asks why he is not on Earth, to which he explains that it is a long story. In short, the head of the Cultivator Alliance sent him to help the people in the wormhole, and he himself went to Shangan. Chang'an and Sichuan were also attacked, and it was no surprise that the leader had to go there personally. In addition, the elders from the Ye and Fan families are in seclusion to break through the 9th grade. In addition, some of the hidden cultivators at the peak of the 9th grade have also been found, and the search party will take them back to headquarters. Tang Ming thinks that instead of the aliens being cautious, they attacked all 3 wormholes at once, and suddenly something dawns on him. He realizes that this is a huge trap. Tang Ming begins to explain to Elder Huodao that not everything is so simple. The protagonist explains that while all the cultivators are in the breakout capsule, the aliens can kill them. Xiaoying and Jin want to return to Earth to help and protect, and Huo is with them. Huodao says that Huo Rong, Zhu Li, and Tang Ming will lead the team, and all the training members will return to Earth to form an alliance for protection. Human warships, people board them. Tang Ming uses divine sense to allow Huodao to secretly receive the message. He gives him information about the Luo family. Huodao was shocked that the Luo family on Fire Dragon Island were moles. Tang Ming flies to Earth. The elder sees him off and says that he will take care of what the protagonist gave him. At this time, the headquarters of the Earth Alliance. The Ascension cult attempts an attack. A huge explosion occurs. Behind him lie soldiers of the Ascension cult and members of the Cultivators Alliance. Elder Wanshu and his grandson are watching all this. The soldiers report to him that most of the guards are killed or wounded, to which he replies that everyone should return or retreat. The wards say that then the headquarters will fall, to which the elder replies that he has his own methods of fighting the enemy. With so many lives at stake, he wouldn't let any cultivator die in vain. The soldiers run away and say that they have never seen Master Wanshu so angry. The elder looks out the window and thinks that even if the enemy is cunning and fierce, he will defend the headquarters at the cost of his life. The Ascension cult fires cannons at the Cultivation Alliance soldiers. They put up shields and someone wants to continue the battle and not retreat. The Ascension cult is rejoicing at the retreat and is chasing after the cultivators. But suddenly huge walls rise up near them. They are shocked by this. Someone used a massive iron wall and they found themselves trapped. Ascension cult soldiers fall through a hatch below. There they are overtaken by a thunderclap technique, and the rest are the technique of heavenly grasp. Wanshu thinks that launching a long-range attack by luring the enemy into traps is very difficult, but it is the only way to contain the attack. The soldier sees that their enemy is trapped and wants to turn around. They are joined by Fan Cheng, a defender in the middle of the 8th grade. He commands everyone to get into a fighting position and show what they are worth. Fang Cheng uses Fire Fist, Red Dragon Fist, and 7-star Destruction Fist. The cultivators on the street are discussing the massacre and saying that they are here to protect the elder. They don't need to worry about things that don't concern the Ye family. Wanshu looks at the battle and thinks that the rift between the cultivators is growing wider. But suddenly he hears words about some ruler being praised. He turns to see the founder of the Ascension cult floating in the air on a throne. The grandson hides behind Vanshu and says that someone terrible is approaching. The elder commands Lei Ming and Chen Yue to return. They are right there and are told that they must stop the cult leader who wants to kill 2 elders, one from the Fang family and one from the Ye family. The elder gives them medicine that will give them strength in battle, and the grandson wants the same too. He explains to Wen Qi that it is a medicine, not a sweet, and he refuses it. Lei Ming and Chen Yue take the medicine and feel the power of the 8th grade within them. Wanshu says that it is almost impossible for the 3 of them to defeat the 9th grade. But despite this, they must withstand the elder's breakthrough. They understand everything and begin an attack on the founder of the Ascension cult. He just sits on the throne and says that his opponents are moths flying to the flame. Chen Yue uses the Earth rank martial arts technique, Great Moon Tribulation. And Lei Ming uses the technique of modern technology and the traditions of his family, the technique of the flow of 1,000 lightning. He summons a phantom weapon that fires on its own. The founder of the Ascension cult sits under a hail of shells and does not move. He raises his hand. The technicians are almost on top of him. The founder of the Ascension cult points his finger into the air and vibrations occur. All techniques are scattered against the purple wall, and this vibration overtakes Chen Yue and Lei Ming. He sits on the throne and says that in the face of absolute power, any fancy techniques are just pathetic tricks. Suddenly, Wanshu takes out a wooden staff with a yellow core inside. He uses the secret technique of the King of Medicine, Reverse Life, and Vanshu strikes the cult founder straight in the forehead with a shot from his staff. He looks at himself and doesn't understand what this technique is, and his body is rapidly aging. The enemy looks at his hand and screams in fear. Wanshu reasons that he can use it once because the technique was sealed in the 9 staffs by the former Medicine King. He sees his enemy raise his hand under the influence of the technique. The enemy uses some kind of technique and speaks incoherently. A cloud appears above him, and Wanshu realizes that he is using self-harm to dispel the effects of the reverse life. The blue rays from the purple cloud strike even the soldiers of the Ascension cult. Alliance cultivators realize that these projectiles must be dodged, and one ray reaches Wenqi's granddaughter. He is surrounded by a blue aura from the projectile and does not understand what is happening to him. The elder shouts his grandson's name and is very scared. The cult founder reaches out to him and says that he will kill him for forcing him to use self-harm. Wanshu is covered by his charges and told to take his grandson and leave. The elder refuses to leave because there are 2 valuable cultivators left in the headquarters who are in the process of breaking through. The 3 cultivators who didn't interfere in the fight are thinking. Someone starts moving their leg not far from them. Wenqi's granddaughter's body has lengthened. The old man decided to take a risk and took out the pill, and also asked for help and care for Wenqi. He pops the pill into his mouth and swallows it. His body is enveloped in red smoke and the old man sighs. And he turns into a 9th grade peak blood giant. All the Ascension cult soldiers begin their attack on the old man. The blood giant sees this and prepares to attack. He punches his opponent's fist. The soldiers of the Cultivator Alliance begin to fly away from such power. The blood giant fights in the air with the founder of the Ascension cult. They exchange blows and block them furiously. All the Cultivator Alliance soldiers are lying on the ground because the strength of both of them prevents them from doing so. 2 fighters hover above the ground and look at each other. The founder of the cult does not understand what this technique is, and the grandfather thinks that by using this technique, he is killing himself. He uses the power that can move mountains, a crushing blow, and this blow flies straight at the enemy. He doesn't understand why the speed has increased again, and uses the opening of the Aegis of Darkness. And on this crushing blow, some golden object falls. The cult founder flips in the air. He notices the elder rushing towards him to attack. The old man tries to strike his opponent, but to no avail. The cult founder scoffs because, despite such strength, his opponent cannot strike. Wanshu's wards watch the battle and understand that the elder is sacrificing himself for victory. They rise into the air and say that they will help him. Lei Ming uses the martial arts technique of a stream of piercing lightning, and Chen Yue uses the martial arts technique Frost Moon Ray. 2 projectiles and an old man are sent to attack the cult founder. He only says that even if they block his path, they won't stop him. But the old man says that this is not the right time, because the giant is chasing the sun. The enemy does not understand why the elder is able to move so quickly, and Wanshu pierces the founder of the cult with his powerful blow. The enemy's mask cracks and blood gushes out from underneath it. Wanshu lands and hears praise from his charges. The cult founder admits that they are not so bad and deserve to see something. Lei Ming asks the elder to kill the enemy while he is wounded, but he disagrees. The cult founder takes off his robe and says that they do not have the strength to kill him. Beneath it is a modified body. All 3 stand in shock from this. The enemy will raise his hand and ask the almighty and noble alien ruler to give him strength. His mechanized heart began to beat faster and faster, and a purple aura envelops him. Waves emanate from it, and you can feel the power of over 9th class. The enemy waves his hand and says that he is now the rightful ruler in power throughout the entire universe. He points his hand towards Wanshu and asks him to enjoy his power. A huge clot of energy rushes towards the old man. His wards fly away from the power of Wanshu, who is covered in red energy and is at the peak of the endless realm. Red and purple energy collide as the old man gets into a stance. He starts pushing the purple cloud back. The old man's body began to incinerate. The skin was torn from his hands. He coughs up blood and says that the Alliance cultivators do not give up until death. The blood giant expands and uses the peak form of Kwafu. He becomes covered in red flames and pushes away the purple sphere. The elder's wards are shocked by such self-sacrifice. Wanshu is still trying to push the purple cloud. The enemy scoffs and says that the pathetic old man is still trying to compete with the light of the moon. And he conjures something with his hands. The purple cloud begins to expand. It puts a lot of pressure on the elder. The purple cloud had almost reached Wanshu's face. Suddenly, an adult Wenqi appears and tells the enemy not to harm his comrade. He uses the Chen Yikun heavenly formation and opens it. A yellow aura begins to appear around him. It covered the entire city, and the purple cloud begins to dissipate. And the soldiers of the Ascension cult instantly fall dead. And the yellow beam with the enemy will recognize the building. The enemy lies and does not understand where such strength above the 9th class comes from. Wenqi closes his eyes and falls dead. The old man holds it in his arms and thinks that his grandson created this technology for 636 years. Suddenly, alliance ships appear. The enemy thinks that the Cultivator Alliance is not so simple and weak, and he thinks that he can't delay any longer, and he sets off on a flight. The old man can't believe that his enemy is still alive. The Alliance of Cultivators soldiers see the enemy fleeing, and one of them rushes after him. The Trinity looks at this and encourages him. Some 3 rays of light fall onto the roof of the building. It turns out that it was Tang Ming and his guys who landed. Wang Jin uses the 24th sword art, Rain. Xiao Ying uses a secret technique, the Fist of Infinite Rotation. He uses the Creator's Hand technique in the desert. The Elder sees Tang Ming and is glad that he returned on time. He tells him to hurry to headquarters because the enemy has broken through the kingdom. Tang Ming was dumbfounded by these words. The enemy flies as a purple cloud above the building. His eye blinks and beeps. It turns out that instead of an eye, he has a scanner that analyzes the building. He found the cultivators and directed a purple sphere at them. And he says that the Alliance headquarters will become their grave. The soldiers of the Cultivator Alliance see this and try to do something. The enemy laughs and asks if they can stop him. The guy with the mustache demands to form a line of 9 stars and fight back. They stand up on command, and Fang Chen becomes the middle of the 9th grade. The enemy does not understand whether the 9th grade is really the peak of humanity. Fang Chen begins to hold back the enemy's purple projectile. A very powerful explosion thundered on the roof of the building, and Fang Chen's red aura dissipates. He stands with his hair tousled, blocking the projectile. Fang Chen falls dead along with his charges. The enemy did not expect them to hold out and formed another projectile. He raises his hand above himself and smiles. Trinity flies into battle and surrounds the enemy in the air. They use a common technique of 1/10,000th of a phase shift. The enemy notices that the sphere in his hands has disappeared, and it appeared on his head, completely enveloping it. The trio realizes that they were only able to move the sphere half a meter, but that was enough. And the enemy's head explodes. A huge explosion thunders in the sky. Tang Ming and his girls don't understand what's going on. One of the 3 falls to the ground and coughs up blood. He is glad that everything is ready, and that their strategy turned out to be correct. His eyes close, and he thinks that if one of the 3 had been exhausted, nothing would have worked. The 3 guardian elders did not disgrace the Ye family's name. The body of a dead enemy lies without a head and an arm, but it has moved. It rose up abruptly and stood on 2 legs. His body began to regenerate. He stands up and is happy that his body is being restored thanks to alien technology, while its main components are not destroyed, and he thinks that now no one can stop him. But suddenly someone calls him from behind. The enemy gets angry and asks how much longer this can go on. It turns out that the one who summoned him was Tang Ming. He was interested in seeing the strength of those above the 9th grade. The enemy looks at the protagonist and doesn't understand why he is only in 6th grade. He ignores Tang Ming and runs to destroy the old men who are breaking through. Tang Ming reminds the enemy that 3 days have passed. The enemy thinks about these words and does not understand, but promises to return after the destruction of the old people. Tang Ming continues that it has been 3 days since he last fought. He uses the 9 words of truth, the first 3 words. The enemy turns around and sees an explosion of red aura behind him. Tang Ming uses the 4th word, and the ground beneath him explodes. The enemy doesn't understand how the protagonist became a 9th grade peak, and he guesses that this is the same mysterious cultivator. Tang Ming says it is possible and goes to the enemy. He is so fast that he simply disappears from his place and appears in front of the enemy. A hail of blows sweeps across the battlefield. Tang Ming and his enemy fend off each other's attacks. They both land on the ground. The enemy understands that he must kill him immediately, because the main character is very dangerous. And it uses the OTA mecha, increasing the power by 120%. And also the secret technique of the Holy Sage, God's Explosion. A purple beam rushes towards Tang Ming. The protagonist uses the 9 words of truth, the 5th word, and also the space of divine consciousness. The enemy doesn't understand what's happening because Tang Ming blocked his technique. It turns out he slowed down time and simply dodged the attack. Tang Ming slowly approaches his opponent. The enemy begs for mercy and asks the protagonist not to come closer. Tang Ming took the final step and stopped. The protagonist explains that breaking through with the help of alien technology is considered a false breakthrough. The enemy froze and asked Tang Ming what he was going to do. The protagonist strikes for those who died at the hands of aliens. The next attack he makes is for Elder Wan Shu, and also a hail of blows for the Fan family and for the Ye family. The protagonist delivers a final blow of enormous force and crushes the opponent to the floor. And he says that this is for those people whom he betrayed. Tang Ming cancels the divine consciousness and clenches his fist. A purple beam appears from behind the main character. Tang Ming reacted to it and sent the projectile into space through the clouds. The protagonist uses his power to lift the enemy's body and asks him not to pretend to be dead. The enemy smiles and says that he didn't think that Tang Ming would win, because their plan is not that simple. He also tells the protagonist to beg him to tell him the plan, but changes his mind and asks him to beg on his knees. Tang Ming gets angry and looks at him, asking if he really wants this. The protagonist uses 9 true words, perception, and blue rays are directed at the enemy's head, which form a veil on his face. Tang Ming's eyes flickered, and he realized that the aliens' plan included Hanbei University. 1,400 kilometers from the imperial capital of China, there is a crowd of people standing at the foot of the mountain. The general of the Cultivation Alliance says that he is late and apologizes for it. Green Dragon Qin, a cultivator at the peak of the 9th grade, asks not to be so polite and asks about the alliance leader. Yu confirms this and tells the story of the birth of the breakthrough theory and the leader's success in this matter. These two used to be comrades, but then one distanced himself from the other in search of a way to break through, but never found it. Qin grabs the general and asks him not to wait, but to go to the leader as soon as possible. Blue Lotus, Zhuge Shifang, a cultivator at the peak of the 9th grade, hits his friend's hand with his fan and reminds him that they have a meeting. Qin says that as soon as he breaks through, he will personally kill the aliens, to which his friend replies that for now, they just have to wait. The old man with glasses says that no matter how much he fights, he knows no fear, while Zhuge may be afraid. Behind Qin, someone is using the Imperial free flight technique. 2 unknown persons landed smoothly on the ground. They turn out to be the Hongar clan master Qingsong, a 9th grade peak, and the mountain hermit Dan Jipi, a 9th grade peak. Qin is not very happy with them, and they exchange pleasantries out of dislike for each other. One tells the other that he stinks, and the other asks to look at his beastly face. The general of the UA Cultivation Alliance army feels uneasy. The Cultivator Alliance soldiers run to the meeting place, and Tang Ming's sister says that old people at this age are faster than young people. In the distance of the forest, dust rising from the ground can be seen. The guy reports that the team is assembled, and Tang Ming's sister asks for a break. Suddenly, a sound comes from the depths of the forest, and the birds fly away from the trees. The old men in the fight notice that someone is approaching them. They look around them and realize that they are surrounded. 3 Fenglongs turn out to be unknown. The UA Cultivation Alliance general looks at this and doesn't understand anything. Their opponents are covered in a pink aura. Yui understands that Feng Long was a 9th grade general when they last met. But now the general himself is at the peak of an 8th grade general, and there are many more enemies. But now these enemies have reached the peak of the 9th class, and there are 10 of them. Terrible alien technology, cloning. The general's charges can barely stand on their feet due to intense pressure. The old men stretch their arms and say that they have not fought for 46 years. The Green Dragon proposes a bet on who can kill the most, and his friend says that this is his territory, and he will kill the most either way. Xin asks General Yue Feng to look after the others and lead them away from here. The hermits choose their targets and rush into battle. Yue Feng reasons that although the old people laugh, 10 people of the 9th grade are a serious problem. The general's soldier's ward takes out his sword and asks the brothers to unite. Chang Feng explains that they are cadets at the Imperial Military Academy and cannot flee from the battlefield. Yu places his hand on his soldier and says that this is what he expected. Meanwhile, the old men had already become close to their opponents. Qin uses water threads and rushes through enemies. Zhuge uses Lotus Sword, Infinite Nothingness, and Decimal Slash. The Green Dragon uses the 5 Mountains technique, the Green Fist, and the Greatest Source. And the last old man uses the Tree Style, 9 Deities, and the Indestructible Vine. At this time, Qin Yu is rebuffed by one of Feng Long's clones. The old man is thrown back by such a powerful blow to his face. He wipes away the blood and thinks that these clones are very likely to be at the peak of the 9th grade. Zhuge tells his friend to hold back the enemies and draw them towards himself, while the rest attack. But suddenly a clone of Feng Long appears behind the mustachioed old man, and he takes the blow, reasoning that he was careless and did not have time to dodge. The Green Dragon asks Zhuge if he is okay. He explains that the plan is good, but there are too many of them for one person to hold them back. His friend adds that these opponents fear neither life nor death. They do not fight for their lives. Old people take hits from clones. The general of the Cultivators Alliance notices this and orders his subordinates to join the fight. They use the 9 words of truth, the word of war, and the formation of the 5-pointed star. Yellow rays pierce through Feng Long's clones. Tang Ming's sister is no longer strong. She can barely stand on her feet despite only being able to give 30% of her agility. But suddenly her brother's voice sounds in her head. After the battle, Defender Lei Ming rallied the few Alliance cultivators who could still move to take inventory and recover from the battle. Protector Chen Yue was in charge of the medical area. Xiao Ying is driving a carriage with 3 wounded soldiers, and he rushes straight to the medical area. Something is happening inside the ward. She hopes that her uncle Chen Feng will recover soon despite his severe injuries. Xiao Ying didn't know that Hanbei University was one of the aliens' targets. Huo puts his hand on her shoulder and encourages her with a kind word. Teachers from the universities of the imperial capital and the capital arrive late. Jinxing says that he will take care of this area where the defeated enemy lies. He looks at the lifeless body of his dead enemy. Yi steps towards him and mocks that the ascended master ended up like this. His body remains intact, but his soul is crushed. Who possesses such powerful spiritual power? Chief Li is far away from here. Could this be? No way, it couldn't possibly be Tang Ming, Jinxing thought. He stretches out his hand and absorbs the corpse into a purple clot. Jinxing is happy that the power is tens of times stronger than last time. But suddenly his belly swells, and he realizes the force is too great to contain. He remembers Tang Ming and Jin, and decides that he cannot die and asks the master for help. His stomach is bursting. He lies on the ground unconscious. Jinxing is bleeding and thinks that he can't die like this. He is the son of the Ye family. The second part of his body crawls towards him, and regenerates with the rest of the body, connecting. Previously, the extremely powerful energy was not contained in his body, but now it has completely merged with his flesh. He is at the peak of the 8th grade. He thanks the greatest master cell demon. On the way to Hanbei, Tang Ming used the 9 words of truth to communicate with Yao Yu, who was thousands of miles away. He learns that they are being attacked by 10 Feng Long clones, each of whom has reached the peak of the 9th grade. The girls are shocked by these words, and despite the fact that there are 4 more hermits with the squad, they are still in danger. Tang Ming says that if he understood the information correctly, then he has an idea. On this side of Qinglangshan Mountain, the 4 old men and the clones are fighting together. Although Yue Feng also comes to the rescue from time to time, due to lack of strength, he cannot fight back fully. Wang Changfeng and his team formed a sword formation and released a stream of swords from time to time to cover those fighting in the sky. The beam rushes towards 3 clones of Feng Long. Tang Ming's sister asks him if he has an idea, and because of these words, one of the rays flies into space instead of the enemy. All the participants in the technique look at her with bewilderment. She is excited and asks her brother to tell her about his plan. He suggests that she empty the clones' minds, because without it, there will be no use for a soulless body. She says that now, after this plan, she finds it difficult to maintain spiritual understanding with him. Tang Ming says that the only way left is to give him your body. The ship flies through the clouds. The girls next to Tang Ming became embarrassed after his words. The protagonist explains that in order to have complete control, his sister must give him complete control over her body and soul. She understands everything and agrees to this idea. Tang Ming starts. He uses the 9 words of truth, the 3rd word. A dot appears on the foreheads of the sister and brother, which reaches into the sky. Blue energy accumulates on the girl's forehead. Suddenly, a collision occurs between the blue and purple spheres. The old men were thrown back by such force. Old man Qin is disappointed that his favorite glasses are broken, and Elder Zhuge laughs and asks why his glasses bother him when there are enemies nearby. The green dragon spits out a tooth and says that their opponents are strong. Another old man says that this situation is really difficult. The general of the Alliance of Cultivators' army says that this is the 2nd such powerful clash. He turns to the students and realizes that they are already exhausted. 10 shots at full power. Everyone's QE reserves are already at the limit. They are no longer able to gather sword energy. The sister asks Tang Ming if he is ready, but he replies that he will only be ready in 10 minutes. The old man laughs and says that at this rate they will all die here. The hermit Qin asks him why he is laughing. He rose into the air and said that this mountain was his home. He would not let them die here. The old man will hold off most of the clones, and the rest will be able to destroy them one by one. Elder Qin tells him that now is not the time to be a hero, but he only says that now might be the last chance to say such a thing, and he explains that before, Xiao Feng's heart belonged to him, and he did not make a choice to hurt another. He understands everything and says that he believes in him. Some kind of green funnel starts spinning. The old people look at this and understand what it is. Something starts to burst out from under the ground. Green, huge beams rush towards the cluster of Feng Long clones. Secret spiritual technique, Great Mountain Fury. Tang Ming says that because such people are just one step away from a breakthrough, it is precisely this one small step that prevents them from breaking through. This technique was achieved through solitude on the mountain, closeness to nature for many years. At the critical moment, at the cost of burning his soul, he uses the natural powers of the mountain's heaven and earth to achieve an effect similar to that of a breakthrough. The old man uses his own life to complete this secret technique. He shouts that he will stop them at the cost of his life. And huge green vines intertwine and strike. It hits exactly a few of Feng Long's clones, and envelops them, separating 1 from 9. The old men see this and want to carry out a combined attack. Elder Qin uses the world-devouring dragon technique. Old man Zhuge uses the blue lotus sword technique. The green dragon uses the storm strike technique. And Feng Long's clone uses an automatic barrier to block these projectiles. He wraps himself in a ball as the elder's techniques swirl around him. The old man explains that even with the Great Mountain Fury technique, he can't kill 9 peak 9th grade cultivators at once. But Feng Long's ball-shaped protective barrier cracks under the blows. The old man with broken glasses noticed this, and took the opportunity to kill the enemy. He uses an earth-rank martial arts technique, the green dragon palm. But a sarcastic grin appeared on Feng Long's clone's face. The old man doesn't understand what's happening and why his opponent is smiling. The green dragon sees that the enemy's belly is swelling and he wants to self-destruct. The Trinity manages to cast protective barriers on themselves and protect themselves from the explosion. The self-destruction power of the 9th grade peak energy is the same as the strike of those who broke through. The old man understands that it's all over. They had no chance of winning from the very beginning. Their opponents are clones, not normal people. They will commit suicide without hesitation. 9th grade puppets, they are time bombs. Now that the old man has burned up half of his spiritual power, he no longer has the ability to resist. He has come to terms with his death and closes his eyes under the blows of the 9 palms. Suddenly, Tang Ming's sister opens her eyes, and he begins to read some incomprehensible, incoherent words. She uses the 9 words of truth, the 9th word, and all the creatures in the area fall into a spiritual state, without the ability to move. The 3 elders stood frozen in the air without their shields. The soldier looks at Tang Ming's sister and doesn't understand what's going on. One of them looks at the girl and begins to be afraid of her. Even the bird that flew out of the tree froze in the air, with 2 feathers frozen next to it. And a boar ran from somewhere in the forest and froze. The entire area around the mountain froze in place due to Tang Ming's technique. Feng Long stops attacking and wonders who he is. All the opponents suddenly started talking and asking who they were. They ask each other why they look the same. They start fighting with each other and proving that each of them is real. 10 Feng Longs fight and wish for each other's death. The UA Cultivation Alliance general looks at this and doesn't understand what's going on. He jumps from his place and heads somewhere. It turns out he wants to pick up a falling old man who was sacrificing his life. He catches him and asks if he's okay, but he only asks what just happened. The elders wonder why the enemies started attacking each other. Tang Ming's sister explains that the technique stirred up the remnants of Feng Long's soul in each body, and the protagonist's voice continues that the clones without their own souls doubted their own existence. They have no choice but to kill each other. Suddenly, a loud explosion is heard in the air, and something flies out of this explosion in a clot, and lands on the ground, emitting smoke. This something turns out to be the one surviving Feng Long, who is happy that he is real. Someone blocked his view and he doesn't understand what's happening. Tang Ming's sister approaches him and tells him that he is just a clone of the traitor Feng Long's human, a creature that should never have been born. Red foam flows from his mouth, his eyes fill with blood, and one of them begins to burn. Tang Ming's sister turns around to avoid watching her opponent die. After the battle, everyone decided to rest and recuperate. Compared to the 4 old men who were as unshakable as a mountain, the military school cadets who survived the attack could not believe what had happened. Tang Ming, with Ao Yu's help, explained that it was urgent to send aid to Hanbei University, and then left her body. He opens his eyes already in his body. Wang Jin asks what's there, and he explains that he used a secret spiritual technique to kill each other. His ward says that the aliens are targeting 9th grade cultivators. Wang Jin asks why they attacked Hanbei University back then, since the strongest person there is the 8th grade principal. Tang Ming realizes that teacher Hua Feng's realm breakthrough theory is in danger. Meanwhile, at Hanbei University, soldiers lie dead in front of the entrance to the educational institution. The Ascension cult fighters stand before the Earth fighters. The director looks at them and asks who these people are and why they attacked the university. One of them creates black balls and directs them at people. The director and his students look at this and do not understand what it is. Madblade Wang, peak 7th grade, says that these balls are their weapons. Scholar Hua Shuben, a comrade in the 2nd Cultivator Revolution and a 6th grade peak, notes that he has never seen anything like it. The director understands that it is his fault, because he did not pay much attention to the news that 2 unknown people in the wormhole broke into the gate. He asks the students not to be distracted, and to concentrate their ki to destroy these black balls first. A hail of balls meets a hail of human techniques. Multicolored projectiles from techniques are combined into one arrow, and the balls start bouncing off one big projectile. Wang looks at this, and does not understand how such concentrated ki, which is capable of cutting a diamond, does not affect these balls. The scientist uses the eyes of heaven, insight into the essence of things, and understands that these balls are hard, but smooth. He tells the others that these balls can make circular turns and asks them to dodge. The students look at this and see how fast the balls are. They dodge them and thank the scientist for the warning. Suddenly, purple energy began to form near the balls. Students cannot concentrate Kui because it is suppressed. The scientist tells the others that the composition of these balls is similar to that of obsidian. The Ascension cult soldier says there are enough black cores and asks him to take another soldier to Hua Fengyang's man. The director realizes that all is lost, because their target is Teacher Hua. He uses an Earth-rank martial arts technique, instant punishment. But a field of black cores and purple energy corrodes the director's equipment. Suddenly, purple swords cut through the body of the university rector. It turns out the scientist used the eyes of heaven, precognition, to see the future and tell the director to avoid it. He sees these blows and manages to react to them. The director uses an air step and dodges the attacks. Meanwhile, within the walls of the university, the cult soldiers meet the grandfather. The hooded man tells Old Man Min not to interfere, as he is quite old. But he simply swings his broom and directs his attack at the enemy. And the soldier uses the bonds of living toxin and makes the grandfather's shells freeze. This enemy turns out to be the uncle of the dead disciple whom Tang Ming killed. He lifts his leg and walks towards his grandfather. He in turn prepares for battle and clenches his fist. The grandfather does not understand how his opponent disappeared instantly. The enemy asks to see the strength of the man who was the strongest in the world, and he will show the strength of a man named General Ming. The grandfather stands up and tells the ridiculous fool to have hope. Research laboratory for the theory of kingdom breakthrough. A hooded Ascension cult member enters this office. The latest virtual equipment, specially configured for Hua Fenghan's further research into the Yahello heavenly book. The enemy approached the camera and looked at the teacher. The level of brain cell development is 25%. This is really something. The alien says that compared to them, the Saldemons, she is simply a non-entity. The teacher opened her eyes and saw this creature in front of her. The enemy takes the girl by the head with his palm. The ship arrives at Hanbei University. Tang Ming and the girls come out of it. Wang Jin says that this is a disaster. The main character runs to the teacher and tells the ladies to help the others. A purple field of energy and nuclei sealed the people inside. The director looks at the situation and doesn't know what to do. They are in trouble. Wang fights the enemy and asks the scientist to analyze faster. He, in turn, says that there is one plan, but they will not be able to implement it. The girls came to help and saw the prisoners in this cage. Van asks to tell him the information in brief. He no longer has the strength left. The girls understood him and got down to business. Wang Jin uses the 24th sword art, Rain. And the other one is used by the star fairy of the 9 heavens, the heavenly maiden who showers flowers. The balls become motionless. The scientist says that their combined strikes should not go beyond half a second. He asks them to try again. This time their maximum deviation was less than 45 hundredths of a second. They need to do better. He asks to pay attention to the synchronicity of the first swing of the swords, and then to maintain the intensity. The ball remained motionless after the impacts. The girls are already breathing heavily. They gradually reduced the maximum deviation to 19 hundredths of a second, but as the number of attempts increased, the deviation increased to 23 hundredths of a second. Van wonders if there really is nothing they can do. The scientist understands that the girls need to use a joint technique. He explains to them that if they work together, and at the same time, everything will work out. Since entering Hanbei, the 2 swordswomen have been practicing together. They always competed with each other, but never thought about combining their skills. The girls want to try and do it. They cross their swords and want to make a joint attack. Combined martial arts technique, Star Fairy, Stream of Tears. And the balls transmit red energy sequentially, and the purple mesh crumbles. The scientist recorded 2 hundredths of a second. With one swing, they penetrate 16 targets in different directions. Meanwhile, on the other side, the grandfather falls in space from the number of blows. He lands and slides across the floor. But suddenly another blow comes from under his feet. He uses the void severing technique, and from his hand come yellow circles like vibrations. The enemy uses a lot of techniques: Heavenly Fist, Heavenly Finger, and Rotating Void. The grandfather puts up a protective barrier for himself and defends himself. But suddenly an iron rod is thrust into his chest. The enemy explains that Ming lived up to his name, but he is not that strong. Grandfather uses a heavenly rank technique, the 4 Great Void. Old Man Ming's own heavenly rank technique, the 4 Great Void, had become the absolute unity of the natural aura of the surrounding earth and sky. The enemy is surprised by the 9th grade peak, but this is the time to test the strength. An alien collects data from a teacher's head. She can't imagine that such an exquisite thought transformation formula came from such a 0-level being. But suddenly the wall behind her explodes. She turns around, and out of it comes Tang Ming with a scarlet lotus in his hand. She is surprised by the compression of energy and wonders how he did it. He throws a scarlet lotus at her. The flower is directed towards her and transforms into a red arrow. She dodges the projectile and is surprised by the intense flame. Tang Ming catches the teacher and realizes that she has a spiritual trauma, but she is fine. The alien is amazed at such skillful management of such chaotic energy. But the shell hits her and she doesn't believe it. She tears space with her hands and puts a scarlet lotus there, and it closes this spatial gap, which surprises the main character. He understands that this is one of the signs of the power of the Emperor's kingdom, and besides, it is a body. How similar it is to the leader of the aliens who destroyed the Earth in a past life. Could it be that aliens broke into the Emperor's kingdom? In that case, there would be no need for them to come here and steal the breakthrough theory. The alien realizes that the skill Tang Ming just demonstrated was a normal use of energy compression. And he, the most vile creature on Earth, used the most basic form of energy compression with just one hand. Is the human civilization of cultivators really that terrible? The alien wonders. But suddenly her thoughts are interrupted by an explosion in the wall. The enemy has impaled the grandfather on his iron tentacles and says that the old man truly deserves the title of general. Tang Ming sees this and is shocked by this scene. Mu Zhongyuan recognizes the boy and says that it wasn't easy to get here. He agrees to keep him company while the alien escapes through a dimensional rift. Tang Ming is eager to fight and knows that she can't let him take away the breakthrough theory. But suddenly the main character is attacked by Murong Yuan and says that he will kill him. The protagonist uses 9 true words, Ling. But the purple energy still overtakes him. Something flew out of the building with a trail of red energy. Murong Yuan landed and asked the protagonist if he was going to defeat him using only his innate talent. He says that he won't let Tang Ming die so quickly. The main character's fake body began to burn, and it exploded, which greatly surprised Mu Zhongyuan. Tang Ming stands up and glows. He mocks and says that he is very scared. He understands that the fire of pure karma protected him from the poison. But the 9 words of truth and the Scarlet Lotus cannot be used. At his current level of cultivation, he can only try to resist such a strong opponent. But suddenly the voice of Elder Ming appears in the protagonist's head. Tang Ming began to gather energy around himself as he heard the technique's words in his head. Murong Yuan learns the heaven-rank technique, 5-color lightning. The enemy will not just stand here and wait to die. In Tang Ming's mind, the elder continues to recite the technique. A powerful surge of energy occurs. Mu Zhongyuan almost caught up with the protagonist and told him to go to hell, but suddenly the enemy froze. The elder grabbed the enemy from behind and asked where he was going. He continues to recite the technique while Tang Ming gathers energy above his head. Mu Zhongyuan tries to break free and pierces his grandfather with purple rays. Lightning gathered in 5 colors. Mu Zhongyuan tells him to leave him alone because they will both die, but the old man only laughs. And then he says that it couldn't be better. Tang Ming lowered his hand with horror on his face, thus ending the technique, and lightning of 5 colors falls on the old man and the enemy. She incinerates General Ming and Murong Yuan. The enemy says they are crazy, but the old man only praises Tang Ming for his courage. Wang Jin came to teacher Yin Liu and said that Director Duan sent them to him. The girls' classmates meet them and ask how they are doing. They say that Tang Ming went to protect teacher Hua. Director Duan and his men are heading to help. He sees 2 silhouettes and asks if they are okay. Tang Ming shakes his head and Hua tries to say something. The director and his charges realize that General Min has died. The teacher falls to her knees. She cries and says that she was unable to maintain the theory of the kingdom's breakthrough and asks to condemn her. The director hears her and gets upset, and her uncle says that it is not her fault. Tang Ming yells at her to get up because this is not the time to blame herself. He extends his hand to her and tells her that she must learn to work with failures and develop methods to counter the next wave of alien invasions. The director and his henchmen agree with him and say that next time they will fight back against the aliens. The teacher realized everything and will now put all her efforts into researching the breakthrough theory. Tang Ming promises himself not to repeat the story of his past life. After several fierce battles, the alien conspiracy was finally fully exposed. The Alliance took the opportunity to capture the Ascension cult, which was soon all but destroyed. In this incident, 189 people were slightly injured, 31 people died, and 73 were seriously injured. The Alliance has decided to hold a major memorial ceremony in 3 days for the heroes who died in this incident. It will be broadcast live across the planet to pay tribute to those who died for the great cause of humanity. The monastic union conducted funerals to the highest standards for the deceased at the Imperial Cemetery. The ceremony was broadcast live to all 233 states and regions of the Earth. In the country's main building, a projection shows the death toll. Jieli of the Ye family, Tian of the Ye family, Bobo of the Ye family, the 3 of them. Chen from the Fang family, Xiaoying is looking at him. Huo holds an umbrella over a crying girl. She wishes her uncle a safe journey. 9th grade cultivator, great teacher, General Ming. University teachers cry and lay flowers nearby. Tang Ming stands with an umbrella and looks at the projection. He sees something special. Namely, what Min's projection tells him is that life and death are one, the latter being the inevitable result of any person's path. Tang Ming recalls his first meeting with the general, and how he learned from him, and how he bought his first equipment from him. There are tears visible on his face. Wang Jin approaches him and says that she is sorry for his loss. She says that they must continue to fight, and Tang Ming agrees with her and clenches his fist. He stands there and thinks that human life is so insignificant, fragile, and small. True liberation can only be achieved under the protection of the ruler of the universe, His Holiness Saldemon, Yi continues. Let us observe 3 minutes of silence.